All right, here we go on a Wednesday. It's Cody and Gold. Alex Gold, Cody Tapp, Drew Nixon with you.
What you guys got going on in there?
Cody's trying to check on something. My computer completely went off, and so did the phones. And he was trying to plug in a light for our camera, and maybe accidentally moved something. We don't know, but my phone to my left isn't work, Drew. So if someone needs to come on the air, you're going to have to do that. And I can't play any sound from my computer. And so Cody is underneath the desk right now trying to figure out what's going on. And I don't know. The phone's still off, Cody, so I'm not sure. That's engineer's going to love you. We got power. I heard something.
I did as well.
Yeah. There we go.
Handyman Tap.
We're back. Wow. Self-created issue, but we're back. You know, we're back.
You know what? Actually, I think this is the business's problem. I'm just going to say that I actually think that this is an Odyssey-related issue.
Way to right your wrong, Cody.
And all I know is Dusty signed off. There was no problems. Cody came over here for 3 seconds, and everything shut down for a second.
I know what happened now. This is not on me.
Okay.
I mean, it is in a way because obviously it was my fault. We work in a studio in which we need laptops and phones and stuff like that. And whichever jerk, and I'm assuming that person does not work here in any way because they're an architect, whatever jerk designed this building relies on everything that you use, Gold, being plugged into one 16-gauge extension cord from God knows where, plugged into a power strip that I believe could only be described from the movie War Games, and then hoping that it all just works flawlessly. So yeah, the two bigger cords got unplugged from each other. Okay. I thought maybe just like the power switch got clicked, but no, it got actually unplugged. Problem solved. Crisis averted, everybody.
We're back up. Everything's back up. Phone's on and everything. We might have a guest calling in a little bit later. There's a chance we could have Michael Massey, depending on how things go out in Arizona today, as he is in the lineup today for the Royals. So depending on scheduling, we could have Michael Massey join us. We know we'll have Vern join us from Arizona a little bit later on around 12:45. Hope you guys are having a good Wednesday. Going to be another nice day in Kansas City, enjoying the heck out of this week after what we've had, obviously. And you guys can join the show, as always, on video, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, X, you name it. Also on the Jay's Southland Tow Service text line, 913-586-7965. So we had Brett Veach on the show yesterday, and of course he was very confident in Travis Kelce's return. He also acknowledged that Trey Smith is at the top of their priority list. And then our guy, Nate Taylor from The Athletic, was on his show, his podcast that he does, Only Weird Games, as well. And he is reporting that there is also growing optimism that the Chiefs are going to sign Trey Smith to a new 5-year deal. Now, projections have said like 5 for 105, 5 for 110, something in that range is what you're talking about.
Woo.
Look,
not cheap.
Trey Smith's an incredible guard in the NFL. He's going to become the highest paid guard. There's no denying that. I want to know still, though, like, what's the, as I said yesterday, like, what's the consequence of getting that deal done? One, I get it. You want to keep your interior of your offensive line intact. You don't want to replace your entire offensive line. And Brett Veach yesterday told us that that's the difference between the Bucs year. They felt like they had to redo the entire O-line then. This year, they don't need to do that. There's a couple of spots. And Trey Smith, are they a better football team if we just make it simple? Are they a better football team with Trey Smith? Absolutely. Of course they are.
Yeah.
Are they a better football team 2 years from now with that dollar amount associated with them than what they could be elsewhere? That's what I think you have to answer. And does it mean that Joe Thuney's not getting an extension, or do you now have to extend them because of the dollar amount? That's what I don't know. But on the surface, if we're just saying in a poll question to Chiefs fans, do you want Trey Smith back? I imagine everybody just about would say yes.
I think a lot of it is, I feel like with fans, and I don't think everyone would say yes quite as fast as you think, because I think that there seems to be a division point with Trey Smith as a player amongst fans. I think there's a group of fans who think he is not as good as people make him seem, because I think there are parts of his game that are flawed, like a lot of players that are flawed, right? Because most players aren't robot Joe Thuney at left guard, who pretty much just do every conceivable thing right all the time. But I think that a huge chunk of his game, especially when you consider the fact that offensive line play, I think in the league is just bad. You kind of, if you can keep him, I get the benefit of doing it. But I still think that there's some sort of like avalanche effect. Like, you got to be thinking a couple of steps ahead as far as Juwan Taylor or Tooney and replacing those guys and eventually replacing those guys cheap and everything else that kind of comes with that assignment. Because otherwise, what are you doing? Because I'll say Trey Smith is actually kind of a good test for why offensive line play is bad. If the Chiefs said, we don't want you, Trey, how many different teams have we said would love to sign Trey Smith to the exact same deal the Chiefs are thinking about? The Titans, the Patriots, the Bears. I can list 5 or 6 teams right now who, when they put up their little like dream free agent wish list, Trey Smith was at the top of it. That tells you how bad offensive line play is. He's a really good player, but every single team would sign him to the same deal. That's why I don't think it's a bad deal if they give him a 5-year, $100 million.
Yeah, is he worth the dollar amount? That's what the market tells us he's worth, and so that's the going rate for the best guard or one of the best guards in football. It's just more of, does that prevent you from doing other things? I think it's pretty telling if they end up getting a deal done also, and their belief of being able to find a free agent left tackle. I could be way off here because the cap went up. But
they're like, I'm not going to solve all my
but I wonder if they bring back Trey Smith, does it tell us that they don't think there's a free agent? Like, they're not going to spend free agent money really on a left tackle. That's either going to have to be in the draft, which you and I think if it's in the draft, it needs to be trading up, or is it going to be kind of a 1-year stopgap, and like, I don't know how confident people will feel. It's a DJ Humphries path, and they truly believe that a whole offseason is going to be good enough for him. I'll tell you, would I rather have, it's weird, financially, even though Ronnie Stanley's a better football player throughout his career, would I rather give Ronnie Stanley multiple years and a lot of money for a guy that finally had a healthy year, or would I want DJ Humphries on a nothing burger type of deal? There's part of me that's willing to roll the dice a little. And you're like, that's crazy. We just saw what happened, Alex. But man, I'm not sold on Ronnie Stanley, I guess is what I'm saying, in free agency. And if you pay Trey Smith, I wonder if that prevents you from paying a decent-sized contract to a left tackle.
They're not. I don't see any world in which they pay Trey Smith and then pay a free agent left tackle. They would then have a high-priced left guard, high-priced center, high-priced right guard, high-priced right tackle, and now they're going to go out and spend left tackle money? Yeah, I don't think so. I think the idea behind, one, you do buy yourself years. Trey Smith buys you years down the road. His big number, I said the same thing about Tooney, and it applies to Juwan Taylor. Trey Smith's big number wouldn't occur until somebody else on the offensive line is gone, whether that either be Juwan Taylor or be Joe Tooney.
True.
So if you bring in Trey Smith, you at least buy yourself a couple of years to get one of those numbers off the books so that you don't have to pay him down the road. And so, like, that does, I think there's more flexibility than you think. But you can't have 5 offensive linemen all on, like, free agent deals, essentially,
well,
you know?
It's bad roster construction at that point, and it's not. And I don't think it'll end up being that. And obviously, Creed Humphrey was a homegrown guy, and so is Trey Smith. Both were drafted by this organization, and you're right. Juwan Taylor, we basically know, has 1 year left. This will be the final year for Juwan Taylor, assuming he's still playing right tackle this year. It'll be the final year, and it's a big cap hit. But Trey Smith wants to be in Kansas City. We know that, and so financially, from a dollar perspective, I think the hometown discount stuff gets way overblown. But is he willing to work with him on a structure? That's where I think you get the advantage, right? You're not going to convince him to take way less money than what he can get on the open market for a guy that's been a 6th rounder that, by NFL standards, has not made any money. But is he willing to be flexible in how it's structured to help you out to what you're saying, hey, a year from now, 2 years from now kind of thing? That's where I think you get the luxury of having someone that you have a good relationship with. So if they give a dollar amount that meets the market standard that he can get out there, that's one thing. I think what you would notice is maybe the structure is friendly to Kansas City to allow them to do what you're discussing.
And that's as close to team friendly as you get when you're on the open market for that. We've made it, and I think everyone's made it clear, Trey Smith wants to be in Kansas City.
Yes.
He likes being here. His best friend's in Kansas City. He gets to play for the best team in the league. He gets to play for the best quarterback in the league. Like, there's a lot of benefits to being a player here where you're comfortable with your surroundings. You're comfortable with the organization. They took the chance on you. You're going to win and compete in every year you're here. But, like, the discount could just be like, can we give you a little less signing bonus than the team would give you, but you're going to get that money somewhere, and can we maneuver it? Like, that to me is being team friendly, not the average annual per year. He'll still be the highest average annual per year of any guard in NFL history.
If I play devil's advocate for a second, do you think that, like, do you truly believe they're close? They're growing optimism, or is this
I think it's 50-50.
Or is this hey, hey, we're going to show that we did everything possible to keep him, and man, it just didn't work. We wanted him. It just didn't work out, and all of a sudden we find out on day one of league year or legal tampering that he still ends up signing elsewhere. I think that's still a possibility because yesterday Brett Veach talked about Kingsley, Smtih, and the guard, the potentially being a guard in the future, and just like the coaching staff is confident he can be a guard. If you bring back Trey Smith and Joe Thuney, unless you let him play out the final year of his deal, which they could, then you are saying Kingsley is not going to have any starting position for you till at least year 3.
Mm-hmm. Well,
then the pick. I know it's a second round or not a first round pick, but boy, oh boy.
I'll say though, that doesn't seem that far of a stretch. He got in like 3 games and then they benched him, and then they never brought him back in a game after that. So it's not wild to me. It's pretty believable to think that Kingsley Smtih might not be the goods. Part of the reason I think it's the truth that they're actually
the Chiefs might have the highest paid pair of guards in football if they go with Thuney and Trey Smith next year.
I think so.
All I'm saying.
But the reason why I think there's a lot of truth to the rumor, not just because Nate Taylor said it, an empirically honest person who has very good sources, is because both free agency and the draft stink at offensive line. You can't rebuild 2 to 3 spots in free agency this year. You just can't. And I get it. You're like, well, really only 2, right? Because Taylor for a year, but you want to start working ahead on that in the draft. If you can, but you can't. Guard, maybe Kingsley's part of the future plan there. Okay, you don't have to worry about center. You do have to worry about left tackle. Because the options are limited and your offensive line already had struggles, I get the appeal of saying like, well, in a year where there are no good offensive linemen in the free agency class, Trey Smith is the cream of the free agency crop as it relates to offensive linemen. And in a year where most people who follow the draft, including our guy like Jay Binkley, say it's not a good year for offensive linemen, I could see how you get squeezed into being like, you know what? We should pay Trey. There were 17 guards that looked like they were going to go in the first 3 rounds of this upcoming draft. They probably don't pay Trey. You know?
I think it would be a mistake, though, to then also give an extension to Joe Thuney, though.
I agree.
On top of it. Because
I wouldn't do both simultaneously.
I haven't looked across the league, but I feel fairly confident saying if it's not the highest, it would be a top 3 in terms of what you'd be paying your guards in football. You'd have the largest contract in NFL history.
Thuney's number's been coming down.
It has. But the combination of what the Trey Smith deal would look like, and then if you gave a new deal to Joe Thuney, that's way too much for guards. I'm sorry, like just in terms of positional value. It's fine on the Trey Smith thing. I just think if they're willing to do the extension for Trey Smith, then they have to tell themselves that we got 1 year left of Joe Thuney, and that's it.
I'm just going back through because, again, how far down now is Jawaan Taylor on the average annual department? He's down to like a 12th, 13th, right? So, I mean, now he's paid appropriately. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He is 15th. So Jawaan Taylor is officially paid what he should be paid, right?
Wow.
Roughly?
Wow.
He's paid like a league average left tackle, and he's a league average left tackle?
The overall contract, yes, but not the $27.3 million cap hit this year. Yes, you're right on the average salary now, but this year, Jawaan Taylor's a $27.3 million cap hit.
Get to the final.
And there is nothing they could do about it. Last March, it became guaranteed. There's no out until after this year. If they don't like how things go this year, I think it's very likely they move on with a $7.3 million dead cap hit.
I'm just like
he's $27 million next year as well, but they can still get out of that.
Like I'm trying to look through the other offensive lines and look through the other teams in the league. And yeah, they would be one of the higher ones. But if you look at like the Eagles, they have 3 players in the top 18 in highest paid average annual salary at the offensive line position. Mailata, whose big number hasn't kicked in yet, Landon Dickerson, and Lane Johnson all rank in the top 18, like just one spot behind Jawaan Taylor. Actually, the same money as Jawaan Taylor. He's tied with Jawaan Taylor, average annual. So they got 3 guys making Jawaan Taylor money or more. So is it unconventional to do that at guard? Because 2 of the guys I just mentioned to you, to the Eagles, are tackles, not guards. I'd say it is. I'm just saying, like, they don't have another choice. The left tackle market stinks. You're going to have to go back into the draft. Same thing applies. I think the Chiefs kind of have to trade up. Unless they're just going to do another year of DJ Humphries and their forward scouting tells them, oh, there's a lot of good left tackles next year. Let's actually trade back in the draft this year. Acquire picks.
I think it's a possibility.
Things are going to help us move up in the draft next year. We're going to do 1 year of DJ Humphries or 1 year of any other random vet we can find on the street. And we're going to do this again, sadly. And we're going to ensure the future of our offensive line is good except left tackle, and then we'll solve that then. But then you might be solving left and right. You wait a year, you might be looking for a left and a right tackle. That's tough living, right?
No question. This is where you wonder what's the big move? Is there something that's coming that none of us know about right now? We asked Brett Veach yesterday, like the big swings they've taken when they've had devastating losses before, whether it was the Bucs Super Bowl, whether it was an AFC title game loss, they traded Tyreek Hill. Is there kind of a surprise, bold move, trade or otherwise, that's going to happen this offseason? And it might just simply be trading up in the draft. I don't know. But that's something that I still always wonder if it's out there. Brett Veach at this point in time, I think, has proven that he's willing to take that bold move into an offseason and make that bold move, I should say, into an offseason. We'll get back into the Chiefs and this a little bit later on in the show. But let's talk some Royals baseball. They got another spring training game going on later on this afternoon out in Surprise, Arizona. Josh Vernier is going to join us at 12:45, and we might have Michael Massey call in before they take the field later on today. And you were doing some digging on return trips to the postseason in baseball.
I think it's easy to be like, the expectation for the Royals this year is get back to the league, get back to the postseason. And I kind of agree to the sense to be like, I'm going to be disappointed in any season this year for the Royals that does not end in a return trip to the postseason. I got some bad news. It is way harder than I am making it sound like that, despite the fact Major League Baseball has increased their number of playoff teams in the last decade. So Salvy I thought about this because Salvy was talking to the clubhouse the other day. I don't need to play the clip, but Salvy was like, this team's got a good mentality now. They know they can win. They're not thinking about winning. And all those things make sense to me. Once you know you're a winner versus you're hoping you are, it's a lot easier to kind of like roll that into winning again. Last year, only 50% of the teams that made the playoffs in Major League Baseball went back. And I want you to remember an important note to that. That is, teams like the Dodgers exist. So of that 50%, the Royals aren't 50-50 to get back to the postseason based on historical average, because high spending teams are gonna go back, right? The teams who handle their money and know how to handle their money, like the Yankees and the Dodgers, they're at a disproportionately high advantage of returning to the postseason this year just based on salary alone. So like realistically, it's probably, and I looked up 5 years in a row, 40% chance. I think a market the size of Kansas City returns to the playoffs the following year. Does that put a different perspective on what the expectations for this team should be, knowing that everyone is still under control? I'm not saying you have to do a rebuild year or anything like that. They should be competitive, and I think they will be. But just penciling in playoffs, man, the stats do not back up that that's something I should be doing.
So I think any Royals fan would just say, well, obviously nobody's going to take it for granted because we just got done discussing all last season how they made their first trip to the postseason in 10 years.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of Royals fans are like, well, yeah, we get it. It's not likely.
But the last time they went to the playoffs, they went to the playoffs and then went right back to the playoffs.
Look, my expectation is for them to win the division, let alone make the playoffs. Absolutely, I'm expecting that. I think everybody in this town should hold this team to that barometer for this season, right? I mean, that to me is pretty clear. Is it going to be another tough task? Yeah, the division looks like it's going to be ultra competitive again, and these teams are very close to each other. The difference between being first and third, yet again, might be like 4 games or something like that. I mean, I think that's very, very true. And I know we'll have more time as we get closer to opening day to discuss what's it look like if they do get back in repeat as playoff appearances, if you will, or what's it look like if they fail to reach the goal of getting back and winning a division. I think it's actually very clear. It's not hard to figure out what each one looks like. And pitching is a huge part of the equation.
Yeah, injuries. Look, we always know that because baseball's a long season, they lose some important pitcher for 90 days this year.
Sure.
Expectations maneuver and change throughout there. But, they are a young team, and fundamentally, they were a playoff team last year, and they are the same. Actually, they're better because they're the same lineup, except for now they have a qualified leadoff hitter, and unlike the last 6 weeks of the baseball regular season, they have their middle-of-the-order bat currently in Vinny Pasquantino. And I know it's on paper because this is the thing I would be hesitant of on the bullpen. But we know what the bullpen ended up being last year and how hard they fought to be of relevance late. And they were better late because they had Urseg and a few other guys who started to perform and that they traded for that made a difference. They should be so much better in the bullpen. It kind of makes me feel like this case. I'm not trying to temper expectations fully because I do think that it's playoffs or bust in a lot of ways in my mind for what the Royals need to do. but because I want them building an organization similar to what I see in those teams that go to the playoffs 6 or 7 times out of a decade in those small markets. I'm going to have to accept that there's going to be years in which they make the playoffs one year and don't the next. And the statistics bear that out strongly,
but
especially for a small market team.
But their best chance, or like if you want to expand this out over the next 2 or 3 years, their best chance to get there is this year. Like if you're going to say over the next, include last year, a 4-year span. Yeah,
because there's only so much time with Waka, Lugo, and Reagan.
Right.
Although they have those guys under contract for a few
years. But just an age thing and otherwise. Like if you were back it up to last year, well, let's just use a 4-year sample, and you say they're going to make it 2 out of 4 years. This is the best remaining year, I would argue, over the next 2 years to maybe do it. Salvy gets older. You don't know about the health of
because they have Caglione for maybe a full year next year.
But still, we're talking as much as we're excited about Jack. And it was on the show yesterday. If you missed the interview, it's up on our website and the Odyssey app. As much as we're pumped up about what he probably will bring, that is still an unknown. We are still talking about a prospect. So, banking on that 100% a year from now, this to me is still their best year in this 4-year period. To get to the postseason. I think they are better on paper heading into this year than they were a year ago as well. Not just because we saw them do it, but the bullpen is way better this year. Yeah. I think they have their leadoff hitter. We hope to have Jonathan India on the show in the next week or so. The question will be, does the starting pitching that is, regress? And if it does, okay, is the offense better? Is the bullpen better to mask that?
I think there's a chance. I think if you made me guess right now, I'd probably agree with you that this is their best, but there's part of me that thinks that they're doing things functional organizations do, and that the build-up behind in just the general minor league system, not specifically just putting it all on Jack Caglione, would be better because everyone in their projected 2025 starting lineup is, except for Hunter Renfroe, is under contract next year. They can technically return their entire starting lineup again if they want. India, right. Bobby Wood Jr., Vinny, Salvy, Massey, Melendez, Garcia, and Isbell. I'm not saying they'd return all those guys. I'm just saying every single, and their starting projected 5, I think everyone but Lorenzen is under contract. It's a huge chunk would be back next year, plus an extra year developing a minor league system where maybe some of the names outplay some of the guys who are in the bigs and take their jobs, and hypothetically you're better. The bullpen's the unknown, but I would say that's just baseball. Sure. Baseball, I got no idea what a bullpen's going to look like year to year. That's just caution to the wind kind of
thing. The only thing I'll ask, if a couple people texted in, they said expecting the Royals to make the playoffs is always a bad way to fan, just begging to be disappointed. I would ask you, though, what a year in which they just went to the playoffs, when I think we agree, even though there's concerns with the roster, they're either at minimum just as good, if not better on paper, and on paper doesn't mean results, but on paper heading in, that they're better, then what is your expectation? A year in which you win, what was it, 86 games, I think they ended up winning? 86, something like that? Yeah. They won 86 a year ago. For me now to sit here, I'm my expectation is for them to just win 80 this year.
75 would be fine.
Then what are we, I guess, honestly, text back, please. What are you expecting? The bar should be to make the playoffs again. If I say, you know what, that 1 year was good enough, I don't expect them when they have virtually the same roster coming back. If they would have lost Cole Reagans to an injury and Michael Walker didn't get re-signed and they didn't bring in Jonathan India, then I would totally be with you. My expectation is they're not going back because they lost this guy and they didn't bring in this guy.
They lost Singer, but they got better in the lineup and, whatever.
If your expectation is 70 wins, you're solely basing that off of being hurt for a decade. And I get it. That's all. That's the only thing you're basing off of. If you're saying you're not willing to have the bar at playoffs, then you are just saying, well, I've been disappointed for 25 years, and they only go to the playoffs 3 times every 25 years or whatever it was. That's basically what you're saying. That's fine. I get the pessimistic attitude, but man, if you're just looking on this year, because again, what's happening with this organization now is what happened in 2008 has nothing to do with the people in the building in 2025.
I also would point out that in all those years that I was disappointed in my youth, they did not build a team like this in the sense that they have a generational superstar, they have a future Hall of Famer maybe in Salvy, and a huge chunk. This is, again, where I think they could get better in the future years. This is a massively homegrown lineup. A huge chunk. The only guys who aren't are Renfroe and India, I think, probably at this point. And the rotation is not. They're still going to have to prove that they can develop starting pitching and play them. Right now, the entire starting pitching, there's one homegrown guy, I think, in Bubic. End of list.
I think that's right.
That's it. just Chris Bubich. But they were a smart organization who made the trades that they had to in order to get controllable players at good prices.
Yeah, look, I'm not telling you I think they're going to win 93 games. That's not all.
I would point out it's like a lot harder than we think.
Yeah, and I'm not sitting here saying they're winning 93 games and going to roll through the AL
I think
Central
they're
at
win
all.
119.
Yeah, not saying that
record.
at all. I think it's going to be a grind again, and it's going to come down to the final week of the season, whether it's a playoff spot and/or division. I think absolutely that's the case. I'm just saying we all grew up in Kansas City, right? Most of us did. That probably are listening to the show, and I get it. Like normally saying expectation make the playoffs should be like it's crazy because we've only seen it a handful of times in my life. But like this year's team is not impacted by what hurt you 10 years ago, or not 10 years ago, 15 years ago, or 4 years ago.
Plus undefeated in the Cactus League, so.
Oh, that always is a direct indicator, That's always a direct indicator.
There's only two teams undefeated in the Cactus League. That is the Chicago Cubs and the Kansas City Royals. Technically, they have a tie because spring training's funny.
We don't need extra innings in spring training. Thank goodness.
They can do them, but both teams have to agree.
No, nobody needs to agree to that.
I've seen it agree to.
Why?
It's a real.
Why? Who's agreeing to that? That should be like if Q agrees
because they
to
have a
extra
certain
innings.
number of at bats or people they wanted to pitch.
Man.
If the game goes by kind of quick and that those guys don't get the innings in, they do sometimes agree.
That's crazy.
Nobody
needs that.
I would just under any circumstance be like, no.
Yeah.
Like I'm a hard no. Just know that that's the case. I'm not the person who's ever going to agree to it, but I have seen it agreed to.
Up next, we'll get back to some comments from Brett Veach, including something we did not know was going on during the Super Bowl. That's next.
Cody and Gold.
I didn't sleep well. I was drunk.
Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com. 96.5, The Fan.
Well, those record low temperatures from a week ago, I think, are finally in the rear view mirror. Things are going to be a little bit nicer this week. And if you were driving last week, maybe driving a vehicle from Max Motors, and you had those heated front seats, the heated steering wheel, oh man, life must have been a lot easier, not to mention four-wheel drive. And at Max Motors, they have everything you need to make sure the next time you encounter a storm like that, you don't have to deal with the inconvenience on the road or even just right there sitting in the vehicle. I'm talking about that new 2024 Jeep Grand Cherokee, by the way. That's up to $15,000 off MSRP, stock number S250069. That vehicle has some of those features I just mentioned. And at Max Motors, they will be able to take care of you and walk you through the buying process to make sure you find the vehicle you're going to love. You got to finance with a dealer lender. The offer expires 3/3/25, but Max Motors has the best financing options to get you in that vehicle in the Midwest with the max trade-in values. Check out one of their 7 Kansas or Missouri locations. Or, of course, you can go online. Max Motors, the easiest place to buy a car, maxmotors.com.
Men, this is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health. And you've heard me talk a lot about how treating low testosterone can improve your sleep, your workouts, your energy levels, and more. But today I want to talk to you about your sex drive, because low testosterone can have a significant impact on your desire for intimacy. It can even be a factor in erectile dysfunction. And if you're in a relationship or wanting to be in a relationship, a low sex drive could really be a problem. The good news is that if you're like most guys, treating your low testosterone could really change the way you feel about sex, giving you back the flame and desire that is so important when you love someone. So if you're feeling sluggish and tired, if you're not sleeping well, if your workouts aren't that great, and most of all, if your sex drive is more like a putt, make an appointment at Heartland Men's Health and have your testosterone levels checked. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes blood work and a medical consult. And if you start on testosterone the day of your appointment, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600 or go to heartlandmenshealth.com. We have 3 offices, Overland Park, Independence, and North Kansas City.
Hey, it's Rex here with RexBuysKC.com, your local KC home buyer. If you own a property in the Kansas City or surrounding area and want to sell it fast and at a fair price, write this number down, 816-330-6000. I'm a private real estate investor, not some hedge fund or large national chain. My family and I live right here in KC. I can pay cash and close on your timeline, even in as little as 3 days. Here at RexBuysKC.com, we're improving Kansas City one house at a time. I buy inherited houses, vacant houses, foreclosure houses, behind in payment houses, my tenant won't pay the rent houses, and properties that need complete rehabs. Do you own a house that's trashed and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at this number, 816-330-6000. That's 816-330-6000, or go to RexBuysKC.com. That's rexbuyskc.com, and I look forward to working with you.
Huge news. Right now at Wendy's, you can get a Son of Baconator for just $3. I don't think you understand this situation. The Son of Baconator is only $3 for a limited time. You know, smoked bacon, rich melted cheese. That Son of Baconator is only $3. Thank you to whoever wished upon that star. For bacon that just won't quit, gotta be Wendy's.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii, not valid on a combo or on third-party delivery platforms.
Hi, it's me, your USPS Ground Advantage shipment. Just left the warehouse and hitting the road.
I know. Just got the notification.
Great. Smooth sailing so far. I'm almost there.
Yes, I know. I get all the updates.
Made it. Safe and sound.
I know.
Well, did you know I was with USPS the whole time?
Oh, yeah. I know.
Keep your business in the know with the USPS Ground Advantage service. Visit USPS.com/in-the-know.
Getting your guaranteed maximum refund with TaxSlayer feels like saddling up and chasing down.
Look at that sweet moolah!
That big old cash cow.
Look at all that money!
File with TaxSlayer Simply Free and get your guaranteed maximum refund. Simply Free is available to a limited number of taxpayers. See TaxSlayer.com for eligibility.
All right, when it comes to getting life insurance for your family, a lot of excuses can get in the way. But ask yourself this: if something were to happen to me, who would pay the mortgage, the kids' education, and the other bills? Then forget the excuses and check out Ethos Life, the online, easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Ethos has rates that you can afford, like a $500,000 policy for a 40-year-old male starting at $1 a day or $30 a month, with a few health questions and no medical exam. Get your free quote right now at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Rates do vary.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the Relief Hotline at 800-390-0766, 800-390-0766, 800-390-0766.
Hey, this is Brad Evans from BetMGM Tonight, weekdays 7-11 Eastern. The BetMGM Network is your home for expert sports betting insights, real-time odds, and nonstop action.
And the best time to tune in is right now. The madness of college basketball is heating up, the NBA playoff race is tightening, and MLB opening day is just around the corner.
We've got expert picks, in-depth analysis, and everything you need to stay ahead of the game.
Presented by the sportsbook born in Vegas, BetMGM.
Watch on YouTube, listen on the free Odyssey app. This is the BetMGM Network.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios.
Just getting started here on a Wednesday. It's Cody and Gold here on 96.5 The Fan. Maybe later in the show we'll get to the NFLPA survey stuff. It's that. It's my favorite.
It's out?
It's my favorite. You know how much I love these NFLPA surveys. It is that time of the year where the results, the anonymous NFL Players Association survey, where the players tell us how they feel about their owner and their facilities. Remember last year Clark Hunt got a F-, I think it was.
F-, not
grade,
just F. He got F-.
An F-. So I'm
saying it looks like he moved up to a C-.
He did. We can get to this later. You know, I joke because I don't put a lot of stock into it because the minute Chris Jones got his deal done, he jokingly tweeted out, Clark Hunt, A+ owner. I still have a fundamental belief with this, which is, hey, if you're a player that's getting the big deal that you like, most likely you think the owner's great. And if you think you're not getting the deal, most of them probably don't like the owner. Because Chris Jones basically told us that, by the way he approached the negotiation and then sent out a tweet and said, A+ owner. Yeah, I love my owner. I love my boss, too, if I got a huge-ass extension. You know, that would be amazing. I think we all would. Everybody thinks they're underpaid.
Most people do.
You know?
I guess the question is, so like with this grading system, Can I ask employers something real quick? Like if you if you own your business and you hire people, or you're just a hiring manager, have you ever checked anyone's grades at college? Because I had to go through this at the end of last semester, Gold, where I had a couple people who had 86s.
Okay.
They're like, anything I can do to get it to a 90?
Right.
Now, you could have done the work before, sure. If you could go back in time and do the work, sure, you can get a 90.
Hard ass Professor Tapp.
Hard
Who
ass.
knew?
It's just like
Who knew?
they were asking 2 days before grades were due, a week after we turned in the final.
Also, 4% is a bit much. If it was 89.1, that's different.
Probably letting 89.1 go.
Yeah.
Honest to God, when I was grading the final projects, if they were at 89.1, I think I just jumped them to 90. No one checks your grades. No one cares if you got an 86 or a 90.
So we'll
showing that.
We can talk about the grades a little bit later on in the show, but they did come out, and there's some areas that improved quite a bit, and there's some areas that are still kind of embarrassing from a grade perspective. I just don't think it matters as much as people make these. There's some media members that will act like these grades are set in this is everything. This is everything. This means everything. And oh my gosh, they're just the worst treated people on earth. How dare they have small chairs in their locker room?
They got them stools. They fixed that.
Oh. No,
they went from stools to chairs.
I don't remember what it was. Yeah, I think that's right.
I think they didn't like the stools. They got chairs.
Yeah,
chairs.
Just put a bunch of those gorilla chairs in the locker room and everybody will be happy.
Drew and I were looking at those on Amazon today. There's some...
Those giant couch things?
Yeah.
We were saying we should get one right in the corner of the
That'd
studio.
be great for the fan
Let's
club.
get one right over here, you know?
You could bring guests, and even if they're not on the microphone, they just hang out in the gorilla couch.
So we'll get to the grades a little bit later on. But Brett Veach, he joined us yesterday, and then he's also been making the rounds there in Indianapolis, talking to various national shows as well. And he said something that I don't think we've heard anybody bring up in regards to the Super Bowl performance. And we don't need to rehash what happened against Philly. But maybe it makes more sense for those that looked at some highlights or even those that broke down film. We're like, man, it looked like Travis was kind of just walking around. We haven't seen that. Well, maybe this makes more sense. This was Brett Veach talking with Pete Prisco and the CBS Sports crew yesterday afternoon.
This year, we're never going to make excuses and talk about it. But, and he was battling with pretty big illness there for the Super Bowl. But, listen, the way the Eagles played, it wouldn't have made a difference.
And that's the key. The last part's the key. Nobody's saying this would have changed the outcome of the game. But, that would explain why maybe it looked weird. He was just walking around. We didn't know at the time, I guess. Maybe we supposed to. You believe that Travis had sickness?
He didn't say it. He didn't use the excuse himself, which I think does change it. And Brett Veach spoke to 7 different media outlets, including us, yesterday. And this was the one that maybe he was like, I should make a point of saying that Travis Kelce was battling a very serious illness. I don't think there's any reason why Brett Veach would make this up after a Super Bowl loss.
Probably had the flu or something.
A month after it took place. I actually
bad oysters, Cody. Bad oysters there in New Orleans.
Could have been. I don't know. I guess could have been. Whatever.
Those oysters will get you.
I actually think this helps Travis Kelce's image a little bit because I saw the same thing other people saw. When they were down 24-0, 30-0, there were some moments in the game where it looked like Travis wasn't giving it at all, or not with the same fervor that I am accustomed to seeing Travis Kelce participate in either blocking or loose balls or tracking people down. It didn't seem like he was moving with the same juice I am accustomed to seeing, especially in a Super Bowl, even in a game in which they're down. He'll never use this as an excuse. You will never hear Travis Kelce on a microphone say, this is the reason I played poorly. But doesn't it excuse
somebody will ask him about it,
for me, though, it does put in perspective why it looked like he was dragging ass a little bit in the Super Bowl. If he were 100% healthy, they're still losing the game.
And Brett Veach acknowledged that.
It doesn't impact that, but it explains to me why, for the first time in Travis Kelce's career, it didn't look like he was moving with the same. He didn't move. He wasn't operating the same. Okay, he was super sick.
Yeah,
that's not crazy.
It would make sense. He'll get asked about it at some point. The next media availability, I guess, it's going to be in May or something when we probably hear from him. Otherwise, maybe he addresses it on a future episode of New Heights. But yeah, he's going to downplay it and not talk about it much. But I also think, if you're Brett Veach, not that it's not being truthful. I think it's that you want to make sure a guy that you're trying to make sure comes back and doesn't retire
has a reputation he deserves to have.
Yeah, you're trying to make sure that you're not covering for him, but make sure people understand why maybe a performance looked the way it did.
I guess the question I was always asked is like a follow-up to that is, if this were a regular season game, week 11, would he have played at all? Would he have been able to physically be on the field? Because somebody would be like, hey, why play so much? Well, because it's the Super Bowl.
Travis doesn't strike me as a player that from a sickness is ever going to miss a game. ever for being sick.
Yeah. Like, even if it is like horrible flu, they're giving you IV fluids at halftime, whatever the things. And again, illness is probably, like you said, either flu or severe food poisoning. That's pretty much it. And flu is the one, at least we assume, because if it's severe food poisoning, they might just stuff you full of Imodium and call it call it a day. They'll figure out a way to get your ass out on the field, even if you're feeling a little bit
When was the last time you got food poisoning? And we know the last time you poisoned some of our listeners.
I didn't
or
poison.
our
I don't think
coworkers.
that was food poisoning.
Chipino.
I don't
Bad
know what that
Chipino. Got people sick.
God, food poisoning? I don't know. This is always this goes back to the way people exaggerate sometimes. I did a food handlers class once. They made you legally in Missouri take a food handlers class to make sure you don't poison people. And the guy who taught it was like, I've been food poisoned. I'm dead serious. I have been food poisoned 53 times. I'm like, dude.
What, he keeps a log?
I was like,
Keeps a log of how many times he was. It's hard to prove, too, because if you just have food, the next day, or that night, you don't know.
I'm pretty sure that guy's just lactose intolerant and he's not treating his body right. Dude, you were obviously allergic to gluten or dairy or something. And you should watch what you eat moving forward. You have not been food poisoned 53 times, sir. I do not think that is how this is going down. I know it's a bit of a PR thing, and Brent Veach probably felt the need. He probably saw the same thing again. The guy who was not performing at the level that he saw, and he felt a need after a month or so to defend his guy from what were some attacks a month ago, right after the Super Bowl. But I also think it actually tracks. Very simply, yeah, that tracks. Travis Kelce was moving worse and gave worse effort because he felt worse. That's not crazy. I think that's a common thing, even in football, where you're just well, just play through it. Sometimes you can't when it comes to stuff like flu or symptoms or sickness.
All right, coming up in 20 minutes, we'll get back to the Royals in particular. MJ Melendez, I think you guys have maybe heard by now that they worked on his stance, his swing. It's all new, and we'll look at that already and the impact that could have, because it feels like this is a huge year for him in terms of where his career goes, both on the positive end and of course, maybe on the negative end. So we'll talk about MJ Melendez coming up in 18, 20 minutes or so here on Cody and Gold. I want to talk college basketball for a second. Missouri got a win last night. Nice bounce back, impressive performance.
Look a lot different with their center back, I guess.
They did, and against South Carolina. K-State plays tonight against UCF, and then KU doesn't play again until Saturday. But I saw a stat that was circulating, and you know my feeling on college football or college basketball poll rankings. That's not something I put much stock into, especially the preseason ones. But whether KU's number 1 or MU's number 5, I don't care what year it is. I think they're worthless for the most part. You use the word PR when we were just talking about. It's PR. It's marketing. It's trying to build hype for a game. That's all that is. I don't believe in them, especially the preseason ones. Did you know that this year is the 4th time ever? Or the 4th time in the last 55 years, I should say.
Not ever, but long enough.
That's long enough for me. That's ever for me, okay? That's forever for me.
That's forever for you, plus 20 years.
Yeah. So the 4th time in the last 55 years that half of the men's college basketball preseason top 10 is now unranked. So way back in late October when, oh my goodness, it's the preseason rankings and KU's number 1 and all that, half of those teams that were in the top 10 are not even ranked anymore.
That's kind of wild because they were number 1 and not top 25 because, yeah, sure, okay, half the top 25. Yeah, some team you had at 18 wasn't as good as you thought or whatever. Half of the top 5's unranked. Mm-hmm. And Missouri's ranked in the top 10 now. So you got to think about, or no, they're not. They're
14th, I think.
14th. If they win, okay, so they're fringe. They're not quite there, but they're getting close. And so when you start looking at it, I understand they're kind of dumb. But I also think that the sport needs it. Some sports need gimmicks.
I think casual fans like to see the ranking. You brought this up
the
on
casual
TV.
Fan, yeah.
Right. You've brought it up on TV. Even though Vegas, a team that's ranked 15th, might actually be the underdog because they're 5-point underdogs to the team that's ranked 25th. And so we see the 2015 winner whoa, what a huge upset. Well, no, that team was actually favored, but because people are trained to look at these rankings, they think, anytime the team that's ranked 20th beats a 15th, it's a massive upset. And that really is not how it, in my opinion, works. But they've created this market angle. ESPN loves it to be able to put out the promo tomorrow or Big Monday, number 9 versus number 15.
I view underdogs as being two different things. You can either be an underdog statistically, right? Vegas says you are a statistical underdog, or you're just an underdog because of the systems we put in place. So like a 10 win.
What, a random media member that puts a poll up there?
I think that they operate like.
That's
I know
all
that,
it
like,
is.
Yeah, but I mean, I get it.
And
Like in
media-
Vegas, it's just an algorithm, and they're choosing the metrics in order to decide it. I'm not saying there's not math or science behind it.
I would rather trust that than guy on the East Coast that I know is not staying up till midnight to watch Gonzaga play. And this was, I guess I'll move them up by ranking one spot because you know that happens.
I know, but to me, it's like they're all somewhat relevant. Like I just view them as like two separate things. They're not at odds with each other or fighting each other in my mind. They're just two different things that create the same value. So, like, if a 10-win football team, who's a better football team, is an underdog to a 7-win football team, not crazy, happens all the time. Vegas is telling you the underdog, but what I'm telling you is the underdog is the team with 7 wins. I don't care if Vegas says they're favored, and they're favored by 1.5. They're the underdog in this game because they're not supposed to win this game in my mind because the other team has done a better job winning.
Yeah,
I view them.
We just fundamentally disagree on it.
I view them as two separate things. To me, underdog, like you view underdog as it is only a Las Vegas thing. You are not related to it unless it is related to sports game, which is fine.
Well, there's just different, like you even trying to make it as
like, so that's why I like the rankings.
I hear you.
They're two different things.
But trying to make it as simple as one team has more wins than the other, so they're automatically an underdog, I think is way too much simplification because we don't, you know what Vegas does factor in on a Wednesday? The rankings come out on Monday, and that Saturday, all of a sudden a player's hurt. That ranking on Saturday doesn't change because a guy got hurt. You know what does change?
Sure.
The odds change. But the ranking from Monday is not changing on Saturday. It didn't change for a week. It's a week behind.
No, but it does. But my view of that game changes. The ranking itself, because like it changes in the same way, which is, let's just say Missouri's getting ready to take on the number 1 team and they lose their best player before the game. Well, it's still an up, but like I don't view it the same way as I did before. They're without their best player. It's still just a number in the end that I don't have to like be beholden to. Like I actually think the ranking things are really good for the sport. Do they matter in the end for if these teams are any good? Hell no.
Well, especially
no, they don't matter at all. They're guessing like anyone else is guessing.
Especially in college basketball, because college football, the rankings actually matter a ton because they determine how things are going to go. Where seeds, your ranking doesn't determine your seed at all whatsoever.
No, but the AP, Drew, the AP top 25 in football does not matter because the college football playoff committee is who comes up with the rankings. So it doesn't matter. It's not the same thing.
Sure, but when we went back and looked at the first college football playoff poll compared to the AP poll, it was essentially a carbon copy of the AP poll. It might as well have been with a couple of different changes where I think to Cody's point, it helps college sports be good for the casual fan to attract them. But in the end,
I've admitted that, yeah.
The preseason poll, to your point, though, Gold.
Preseason's the one that really
the preseason poll makes absolutely no sense because even just looking at it, I didn't have Florida State. I didn't think Florida State was a top 10 team. They were ranked 8th, I think, in the preseason poll. They went 2-10, 1-7 in the conference play. The preseason ones don't matter, but I think it's more college football. The polls matter, I think, more in college football than basketball because, like right now, we can look at the team who, I don't know if you really want to go into 35th, whoever's 41st in the country, they're going to They're going to get into the tournament. Whoever you think is 41st in the country is going to get into the tournament because they're probably in a power conference. They're probably 4th or 5th in the conference play. It might be Mississippi State. Mississippi State's probably getting into the tournament. Their ranking of being 41st or whatever the case is truly doesn't matter.
They're 24th in the country, man. They're in the AP poll. You're dissing Mississippi State for no reason.
They got throttled.
They're in the actual top 25.
They won't be after this week. They got throttled by almost 40 last night.
The poll's behind now.
But I think for college basketball, they absolutely do not matter. It's more about the Ken Palm stuff than it is the actual
quad 1, quad 2.
It's more about the Ken Palm stuff in college.
At this point in college football, the one thing I will say is it tells you where you are. Like if you are, like no offense, but if you're 16th in the AP poll, you know you're not in the college football playoff. Whether they put out the standings yet or not, you know you're not in because the AP is 98% accurate to the college football playoff poll. It's the same thing.
It tends to go that way, but I disagree. It's not. It literally is a different group of 10 people. The AP poll, I don't know how many people do the. Is it 100 people across the country that do the AP?
There's
I don't know.
A lot of people that do the AP poll.
It's random media people, and you and I have both known people.
But they're doing a really good job.
You and I know there's random people that vote on this in the media, and some of them are very lazy, and there's no possible way they're watching every single game.
And yes, very true.
Typically the rankings.
Do you think those 10 people are?
I think it's way more likely 10 people are.
They're not watching every game.
I think it's way more likely.
Sometimes
it is way more likely that 10 people, when most of them are either retired, some of them are current ADs or whatever. It just depends on Condoleezza Rice was on it or whatever as well.
Yeah, I'm sure she got plenty of time to be watching every college football game.
But she also doesn't have to watch every single one. To your point,
You just
she only
said
has to
that
watch.
They don't have to watch. It's the same poll.
But it's, oh my gosh, it's not though, Cody. Literally, the AP poll does not matter one bit for determining who is in the college football playoff at all. It is not the same poll.
But they are telling you who is in the college football playoff.
But they are not.
They have a 99.99% accuracy rate at this point, pretty much.
Is that that's just official? We just were making stuff up. It's very close.
You're talking more about the cross-referencing from week 10 to week 11 of, hey, the AP poll matters. Now it's the college
we all
football
have
playoff
eyes.
poll.
Nobody's saying there's going to be a discrepancy that a team that was ranked 5th in the AP, the committee doesn't have in the entire thing. I'm not arguing that at all. But acting like on November 5th, what the AP poll has matters, it doesn't. What matters on November 5th is actually what the college football playoff committee, the people that are determining who is getting in, that's what matters, not random beat writer from Utah that's making his poll vote at 1:30 in the morning after Saturday's college football game.
I think the 10 people who are voting on the college football playoff committee are the same people you're complaining about on the AP. I do not think that those people are just like in a lab, computer monitor, watching every football game. You just admitted some of the people have other jobs. The AD of whatever college isn't watching every college football game that involves all these teams. You can't. You just can't. Honestly, part of it is just like time.
Right.
I don't think anybody could watch all the games. This is not like knocking anyone. Like, I don't think if they gave Drew $250,000 a year and they said, watch every college football game. I don't think he could.
I'm just taking it literal. Like if Cody Tapp had the TAP football rankings of the year, yours don't matter. The ones that come out do matter. That's all I'm saying.
I think the AP matters until the college football playoff comes out.
Yeah, we can keep going in circles on it. Like literally, it doesn't matter though. Like fundamentally, it doesn't. That's not what determines who's in it. That's all I'm arguing. It does not determine who's in. The AP poll has no bearing.
I can make an argument that the AP poll influences the college football playoff poll, and it does matter because they look at that and they make decisions on the college football playoff poll based on the AP.
I think it does.
They're almost too close to not be related.
I think that's why also though you should have the committee be ranking teams earlier on in the season. Instead of
when do they do it? Like week 10?
Instead of like 3 weeks away from the college football playoff, where I think, correct me if I'm wrong, obviously Lenardi's got his bracketology, got Jerry Palm does the bracketology, but when I think now the NCAA...
What you're arguing is the same thing, that Lenardi's bracketology is what influences the entire selection committee, and basically Lenardi's bracketology should be exactly how we view the committee. It's like, basically, that's the same argument you're making. It's still a media member that's doing it.
More powerful thing. I'm making, an entire AP
I think
poll versus one guy.
The AP is more powerful than Lenardi, but I think to the point of what you're making, Gold, Lenardi, his bracketology is likely going to be similar to that of the actual selection committee in the tournament. But if we're going to say the committee, the playoff committee, the selection committee, whatever the case is for either college football or college basketball, they should be coming out with more consistent bracketology to start the season all the way through the end, because they're the ones that ultimately make the decisions. Like, not that it would make Joe Lenardi's irrelevant, but it essentially would, where anything that he does doesn't matter because the committee's coming out with their quote-unquote bracketology
pulled up,
every single week.
He's just not even like one of the most accurate anyway.
Correct.
Like completely
He's
separate
not.
from the
He's not even
conversation.
close.
Somebody looked it up. He's like the 10th most accurate ever.
Yeah,
There's some guys we've never...
That's not bad.
Some guys we've never even heard of. Like there's some site that does that.
I'm sure it's just running like some roto algorithm.
Yeah, there's a couple names
Ken
that
Palm at least is in the top 5, I think. Or Jerry Palm is, whoever.
One of them is terrible. Like one of them is way... You want to talk about just not being in line with the committee or whoever? Like one of them is the big national names is, and maybe is it Lenardi? One of them is way off every year. Yeah. It's like not even close. There used to be a site that like would track it.
There's always a tweet that comes out at the end of the year showing how accurate or inaccurate.
And it's surprising. All the names we know, they're not even close to the most accurate.
Yeah, the ones who are on TV all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. It's some random guy.
Got to have more time doing TV. It's just some guy running an algorithm.
I guess something like that. I'm not sure. Coming up here in a bit, we'll talk some Royals baseball or whatever. I don't know. I was trying to find the site.
I am kind of curious now. We have Jerry Palm on every once in a while. We have had him on the show before. Like it's the mock draft guys too, like the accuracy on there. You can't even be accurate in mock draft land.
Yeah.
Good luck.
What's tougher? I think the mock draft's way tougher because you're predicting.
If you get 10 right, congrats.
You have
team and player.
Yeah, there's no way. If anybody that hits on their entire first round is ridiculous.
I don't know if that has that. I'm sure that we would know if that happened from somebody. If somebody's mock draft actually hit bang on 1 through 32.
I found what we were talking about.
Happened.
There's someone has a 5-year average. So some site I don't think any of us have ever heard of has been the best over the last 5 years of actually predicting the correct bracket. Something called You Go Brackets.
You Go Brackets.
Shout out to them, man.
Okay. Let me find the first name that we know. Oh boy.
Uh-oh. Can you just give me a name? Who's number one?
You go, Brack.
Yeah.
Oh, who's number two?
131 Sports.
Is Field 68 on there at all?
I don't recognize any of these names. T3 Bracketology. I've seen that Twitter account maybe before. I'm trying to I'm still scrolling trying to find.
It's probably a lot harder if you're one person versus, again, a giant supercomputer.
Mike DeCourcy might be the first name I recognize.
Okay.
71st.
Congrats, Mike.
Dang.
That's top 100. Not bad. You know?
I mean, I don't recognize any of these names. I'm trying to find
All right,
Giulianardi, 118th.
All right,
118th most accurate over the last 5 years. There's
In the whole world,
There's
you know?
117 people that do this that are better than him.
So I think
that are more accurate.
I'm going to be honest. I think collectively, you, me, the three of us, or maybe we just do the whole 96.5 cluster. We need to do bracketology every week next year.
Oh gosh.
Next year we'll do it every week.
No,
and
thank you.
And we'll see how accurate
I don't watch
we
enough
are
college
compared
basketball.
to Joe Lenardi.
I would do a horrible job at that.
It's funny though. I mean, some of these guys. We should actually look. What we should do, maybe not today. That Yogo. Let's look at where they're. That's who I'm going to rely on.
Yogo.
Yogo or Yogo. I don't know. It's a bracket. It's a Twitter account actually, basically that does it. Number 1 ranked bracketologist.
I wonder if that's
their
on
latest
the Twitter
one.
account.
February 4 days ago had the last 4 buys: Nebraska, BYU, Ohio State, San Diego State. Last 4 in: Vandy, Wake Forest, Oklahoma, Arkansas. First 4 out: Georgia, SMU, VCU, North Carolina.
We honestly could wait until now and make our own bracketology and make it accurate.
They had KU as a 6 seed, and they had Missouri as a 5 seed. That's what the most accurate one of the last
5
years.
years.
Anyway, all right, up next, let's get back to the Royals. MJ Melendez, I think it is a massive season where his entire career could shift one way or the other based off of this swing change and everything. We'll get into that, plus what Brett Veach had to say about the likelihood of them bringing back 2 of their upcoming free agents. That's next.
This is Cody and Gold on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5, The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
A body in motion stays in motion until you feel that muscle tighten. KRT helps you get back in action with all natural pain relief in just minutes. Learn more at krtrelief.com.
Jefferson's has a brand new happy hour designed to save you money. Enjoy half off appetizers and half off your bar tab. 7 days a week at Jefferson's Lenexa and Jefferson's North Kansas City. Yeah, you heard that right. Half off your bar tab during happy hour at both locations. And it gets even better. Mondays are all day happy hour. Plus, they've got reverse happy hour every night. Whether you're catching the game or just kicking back with family and friends, Jefferson's in Lenexa and North Kansas City is the place to be. Proudly local and always delicious. Jefferson's. Wings, burgers, oysters.
It's February. What is more romantic than a new toilet? 2. This month we are offering buy one, get one half off a toilet replacement. Win those brownie points and call Connolly at 913-768-7676 or visit ConnollyPlumbingSolutions.com.
Hi, it's me, your USPS Ground Advantage shipment. Just left the warehouse and hitting the road.
I know. Just got the notification.
Great. Smooth sailing so far. I'm almost there.
Yes, I know. I get all the updates.
Made it. Safe and sound.
I know.
Well, did you know I was with USPS the whole time?
Oh, yeah. I know.
Keep your business in the know with the USPS Ground Advantage Service. Visit USPS.com/in-the-know.
March is almost here, and college basketball is reaching its most exciting stretch of the season. Right now, new customers on FanDuel can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $150 extra bucks to bet on everything from conference clashes to tournament upsets, and even who's cutting down the nets. If you've been waiting to join FanDuel, there's no better time. The app is easy to use, and when you win, you'll get paid instantly. So visit FanDuel.com/Alex and get in on the college hoops action before March takes over. FanDuel is an official sports betting partner of 96.5 The Fan. 21 and present in Kansas. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
Check engine light on? Take the guesswork out of your check engine light with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
So you want a greener, thicker, healthier lawn? You need the local experts. I'm Noah with Gunner Pest and Lawn. My family's been helping Kansas City homeowners since 1950. You know us for bugs, but have you heard about our 7-step lawn care service? Our customers love having the best lawn on the block. No contracts, expert technicians, and our treatments typically cost less than doing it yourself. Starting as low as $50 per application. Go Gunter, go green.
Visit gunterpest.com.
I'm McCall with Lee Summit Subaru, and it's time to make a big deal out of nothing. Announcing Lee Summit Subaru's 0% event. Zero, like in 0% financing. Zero is back. Up to 0% financing on select 2024 and 2025 Subaru models for 72 months. And we're 2024 Google's highest review rated and only locally owned Subaru retailer in Kansas City. 0% event. The Subaru A Lot to Love event at Lee Summit Subaru.
Google highest review rated Subaru retailer in Kansas City based on Google Analytics.
Want a golf course quality lawn? It's easier and more affordable than you think with True Green. As the official lawn care treatment provider of the PGA Tour, True Green brings pro-level expertise straight to your yard so your lawn can look like a fairway. Right now, you can sign up and get one free application. Plus, with their price match guarantee, you know you're getting the best value. And if you're not satisfied, True Green will come back to make it right. Don't wait. Visit TrueGreen.com today to get a free application and let the pros handle your lawn while you enjoy the results. Offer ends March 10th. Restrictions apply.
After you use Bounce Dryer sheets and realize how fresh, soft, less wrinkled, and less staticky your laundry can be, you'll put a sheet on your every time. Like those socks that smell like they've been through a marathon. Or that blanket that's got wrinkles on its wrinkles. Maybe even your chatty coworker who keeps distracting you. Okay, Bounce Dryer sheets can't do it all. But for fresher, softer, better laundry, put a sheet on it with Bounce.
Getting your guaranteed maximum refund with TaxSlayer feels like saddling up and chasing down.
Look at that sweet moolah!
That big old cash cow.
Look at all that money!
File with TaxSlayer Simply Free and get your guaranteed maximum refund. Simply Free is available to a limited number of taxpayers. See taxslayer.com for eligibility.
All right, when it comes to getting life insurance for your family, a lot of excuses can get in the way. But ask yourself this: if something were to happen to me, who would pay the mortgage, the kids' education, and the other bills? Then forget the excuses and check out Ethos Life, the online, easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Ethos has rates that you can afford, like a $500,000 policy for a 40-year-old male starting at $1 a day or $30 a month, with a few health questions and no medical exam. Get your free quote right now at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Rates do vary.
This is the all-new 96.5 The Fan, your new home for Royals baseball. KFNZ FM and AM, HD1 and HD2 Kansas City, in Odyssey Sports Station.
11 o'clock hour here on Cody and Gold. Alex Gold, Cody Tapp, Drew Nixon with you. You guys can hit us up on the J Southland Tow Service text line, 913-586-7965. We'll get to the updated NFL Players Association poll that is now out. Remember, these players, I think they said 77% of players participated this year in the poll.
Good percentage.
And there was a bump up for a lot of teams. So by that regard, you would say it's working. It's putting pressure maybe on ownership. I still think we put a little too much stock in it. But if you're wondering real quick, the Dolphins had the highest rated grade. They were an A+ along with the Falcons and the Vikings. The worst, the Jets got a flat-out F across the board.
Did they get a D in a single category?
I don't know. This is just flat-out F. Panthers were D-, Cardinals D-. The Chiefs' overall grade was a C-, which still puts them in the bottom half.
Better than they were.
Yes.
Moving on up.
That's right.
Problem solved. That's what we're learning. Pretty much everybody on the text line is like, who says they hire? We're like, no, I don't check
Who says what?
Who says they hire people? Like, no, I don't check college grades.
Yeah, that was always like a bit. You were led to believe that
you got to put your GPA in there or whatever.
Your permanent record, all that. All that stuff as a kid. But the GPA, maybe it matters if you're trying to get a med school or something. Obviously, different story. But our normal job, this is not a normal job. No.
If you're a mass communications,
never once.
I'm gonna have to aspect if you looked at my GPA,
majors care.
Yeah, I'm assuming a more important job, maybe they care, right? When there's life and death on the line, they probably care.
Did you have a good GPA in college, Drew?
It was like a 3.3, solid.
I thought you were going to say, because you've told the story at Butler that you almost got kicked out.
I almost got expelled. It was nothing related to
grades.
It was nothing related to grades or anything like that. I never sent an email though, Cody, saying, "Hey, I'm at an 89.4. Can we just raise it up? Just give me an 89. I don't care."
Yeah, I would have just I think as I got older and older, I didn't get my first B in any level of school till I was a junior in high school.
So
I cared about grades for a long time, and then I didn't.
But
I got good grades in college.
Never in this line of work have I ever, nor will I ever be asked. By the way, we need a copy of your transcript. Never. Not once.
I will say, when I got hired at UMKC to be an instructor, they asked for a copy of my transcript.
You're a professor, though.
And if I'm gonna guess that if I had like a 2.2 or something instead of like the 3.8 or whatever it was.
What's the bare minimum that you would have had to have? I would love to know.
I had
like a 3.0.
I had a 3.8
to teach. Probably a 3.0. I bet.
I'm guessing you probably have to have a 3.0. I don't know.
Yeah, probably. I don't know.
Anyway,
I'm guessing if it was a 2.2, they would have been like,
none of us are using AP chemistry from high school in our line of work.
No, I don't think so. We'll get to what Brett Veach had to say about Nick Bolton. We've talked a lot about Trey Smith, but Nick Bolton might be number 2 on that list of priority for the offseason because we know Trey Smith is number 1. So we'll hear what Brett Veach had to say about that. But let's talk some Royals baseball. Of course, spring training continues. Some more games throughout spring will be on 96.5 The Fan. Otherwise, a lot of them on the Bet 1660. Vern's going to join us at 12:45. I'm sorry, for another visit as he joins us each and every day throughout spring. But I think it's pretty obvious to look at this roster, to look at some of the younger guys that have had chances, some of the guys that are still trying to figure it out. And there's nobody that's, in my opinion, still trying to figure it out based off of the swing change and everything than MJ Melendez. And this is a career-shifting year. Either way, I hope for his sake that he ends up having a great season, and we say, wow, it clicked. It all came together. Because I actually think he's gotten much better as an outfielder. Remember, that was never his original position.
No, he was a catcher.
He's made some great plays in left field. I think his athleticism has shown there. But it's all about consistency at the plate. And if you watched at all the one, I think it was the one spring training game that's been on TV at this point.
And I've seen highlights of
Dodgers. And then the Dodgers had the Royals game on the other day. It hasn't actually been on the FanDuel TV yet for the Royals. But the swing, you can tell it's an adjustment because he doesn't look comfortable. It's a massive switch for him.
I went back through and the Royals are posting some stuff and we, as members of the media, have access to some of the highlight stuff. He's 0 for 5 in spring. I don't think spring training stats tell an entire story. Yeah. But, man, he does not look comfortable at all. And I think that's part of the reason why, when Vernon said yesterday, why are fans so quick to just move off of MJ playing left all the time, is he doesn't look like he wants to swing the bat. Or if he is swinging, he looks uncomfortable. And this goes to the same thing. JJ said it. Q said it. I'm sure MJ would say it if we asked him, which is, it's not about making the swing change. It is about when things are going poor, can you do it? Because right now he looks like a player who is uncomfortable and does not know how to move his body in a way where he has been swinging for so long. And look, it's hard to make a swing change. When you pointed out the stat the other day, he had 40 home runs in the minors in a single year once. He was a prolific minor league power hitter. He seemed like he had things going, and he has revamped a stance, a grip, a swing, all of it, and doesn't look like someone else to do it. But I will say, that's what spring training is for. But if you made me now choose the side of I think it's going to finally click for MJ or it's not, I mean, are there people left on the side of it's going to click? Yeah, this is it.
This year,
this is his last chance to be a regular starter for the Royals. Otherwise, he's a part-time player.
You can't say next offseason if it's another inconsistent year. He's still super young, and we've got a lot. We still believe all that. I think this is it. You can still say that the last couple of years, but this is, and I think he recognizes how big of a year it is. It's why he's willing to make the swing change. He knows what we've been doing before is not going to keep me here full time, and not going to lead to me eventually getting a contract that I want and having a full time role. Why they've given him every opportunity is because you see the athleticism, you see spurts. You mentioned the minor league stuff.
The home runs are still there. He's not a 50,000 home run hitter.
And when he was struggling last year, he came up in clutch situations and had some. Remember, he had some big time hits off the bench, pinch hit rolls.
3 years into the league, he's got 51 home runs. a left-handed power bench bat. There are a lot worse things to possess in your arsenal if you're the Royals in that. He's 25 years old. This is the Moose year. Like, I compare it directly to that because it's the easiest thing. Left-handed power hitters who couldn't get on base, couldn't hit for average, and weren't hitting enough home runs to stay in the everyday lineup. That is MJ Melendez. He has been a wildly consistent player, I would actually argue. Here are his 3-year stats. In 3 years as a starter, he has played 129, 148, 135 games, available the same amount gold. He has hit 18, 16, and 17 home runs. That's the same. He had one bump year in the average up to 235. He had 217 and 206 the other years, and he has a career on-base percentage of 303. His on-bases have been 310, 316, 273 last year. He is, by all accounts, the exact same player to a small variance all 3 years he's been in the league. So if that's the player you want, you've been getting it. That's why you also had to make the change. I think the uncomfortable part, I am willing to accept it, that is exactly what spring training is for. Because if he ever has to just go back to the old ways, okay, he's an 18 home run hitter with a sub 300 on base and a 215 average from the left side. That's a 80 games against right-handed hitting only player. And that's cool. That's fine. I'll live my life that way. That's all right. But it's like, I still think there's some small sliver of hope. Then maybe it's bigger than that. There's some hope that these changes in spring will feel comfortable eventually.
This is just the year it has to happen. Like, right now saying it can't be fixed would be silly. Like you said, unfortunately, if you were to make me guess, like history would usually tell you for a player, like all of a sudden it doesn't always just click out of nowhere. It can. For this team's sake, for this franchise's sake, we all better hope that that's the case. Like you should be listening and rooting for it to work out. Because boy, oh boy, if all of a sudden it did, then we're talking. And that's why right now India is working in left field. Michael Massey's working in left field because they're trying to keep those bats in the lineup as much as possible.
Left-fielded bat, left-handed bat. They can just be like, well, sorry, MJ, we like his splits better.
Yeah, they're trying to get as much pop, of course, in the lineup, and if MJ were to click, well, then it makes life way easier. And one to play every day for the most part, but also just his life would be a lot easier in the way they navigate it and potential future trades and what they can do. It just gives you so much more flexibility versus having to do what they're potentially going to be trying to do during the season, which is a lot of platoon and moving guys around.
It's just like, I'm not saying Michael Massey's numbers. He's been a full-time big leaguer essentially for 2 years, not 3. Massey, and his on-base percentage is a little below 300 or right around 300 last year. Hits for a slightly better average, but doesn't walk. MJ walks a little bit better. Similar number of home runs, similar number of RBIs. Like, there's not like a tangible difference, but like they've given MJ more rope, right? They've given him more of a chance to come around and do it. Look, we've seen in Kansas City players snap out of it. Sometimes it requires the organization or the player finally making the shift. Sometimes it requires leaving this organization and finding a new place in which you're more willing to do it. We got into that with other Royals players who have left, have been successful.
Junis, right? The pitcher.
Yeah, or players.
Junis
and even
recently.
he fell back closer to
he
earth.
had like 3 months where you're like, oh, and then he turned out to be the same pitcher.
Yeah. I mean, he was roughly the same guy. I think he just signed a 1-year deal, honestly.
Still with the Giants, or is it somewhere else? He probably moved around.
No. He just signed with he was with the Brewers at the end of last year, I think.
So he's been with 3 different teams already?
Maybe 4. He's bounced around a little bit now, because I think he got traded mid-season last year too.
Okay.
He was like a mid-season trade guy. I mean, he's better than he was with the Royals, because like now I'm looking at his ERA, but also he was a bullpen guy for some of those teams last year. So like he wasn't starting anymore for those teams last year. For the Giants, he started and posted a 4.42 ERA, which would have been his not even his career best. That would have been his second or third year in Kansas City. And since then, he's been switched to a full-time bullpen guy. And when that switch, now spot starts, his ERA is in the sub-3s because he doesn't have enough stuff. Same problem. He doesn't have a third pitch. He doesn't have a fourth pitch. We see this stuff all the time. For MJ Melendez, it's very simple. Can you strike out way, 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 way less? If you strike out way less, you put the ball in play more, you will be a more valuable player to us. I'm not worried about his play in left field. He is a good enough left fielder to play in left field. I'm not. That part's done. That was my initial concern. That part's done. Now we're just whether or not he can make that adjustment.
Coming up in 6 minutes, we'll get to the trash of the day here on Cody and Gold. But back to Brett Veach. We know he joined us yesterday, and if you missed that interview, it's up on our website and also the Odyssey app. But he was talking to the folks over at CBS Sports about how realistic is it to not only bring back Trey Smith, But to find a way to bring back Nick Bolton on top of that, who's probably number 2 on the free agent list for Kansas City's priorities.
Needless to say, I mean, we're going to have conversations, and I think it will be a priority to get both back. There'll be challenges because of where we are with our roster, and but I do feel like there is a scenario that both guys can be back, and I think it'll be at the top of our list, as you mentioned, Pete. I mean, those are the top guys on offense and defense, and we'll have extensive dialogue, and hopefully we can figure something out.
Is that a realistic scenario? Truth be told.
I think it's in play. I mean, I don't know if anything is. I mean, every time you have an offseason plan, I don't know if anybody's offseason plan is ultimately unless you have one guy that you want. I think everybody has a combination of different things they want to accomplish. So I think you just go in there and it's contingency plan after contingency plan. We're going to go in and hopefully we can figure something out with Trey and with Nick.
I think it's an honest answer. I think it's we would love him back, but there's a lot of other
financial
things
constraints.
There's a lot of other things that can happen. And Nick Bolton tests the free agent market, and somebody's willing to give him a dollar amount that we just don't think fits. Then we're out. Now, if he comes back,
there are a lot of linebackers available in this free agency market. Off-ball linebackers,
like Trey Smith could be signed day one, either with the Chiefs before it opens up, or day one of legal tampering. Nick Bolton, it could be a couple days. Not 2 weeks, but it could be a couple days.
For anybody in the NFL, I don't think he's a day one free agent. I think you're probably like week 1, maybe end of week 1, 2, somewhere in that range for a player like that. I have a really hard time. So I hear Nick Bolton, and he's waffling already, right? He's like, well, yeah, we love Nick. A bit of a challenge. We'll see. We're trying. I'm having such a hard time shaking Nick Bolton's own comments last summer, in which it was like, hey, what do you think about a contract extension with the Chiefs? And he's like, that's dead. And he was calling it dead in June. It wasn't even that late into the year. They hadn't even gotten to training camp and kicked some numbers around. He was pretty much calling it dead from the beginning. The only way I think Nick Bolton comes back is if we get into because I do think that there's a decent amount of linebackers in the draft and a decent amount of them available in the free agency market. It's actually one of the areas in free agency that there is some depth. I don't think there's great depth in the free agent market in general, but there actually is at linebacker, is if he gets out in the open market and his market stinks, Yep. And not just him, just there are too many linebackers making too little money, and we're not going to do this. And if I'm the Chiefs and if I find a Nick Bolton replacement for cheaper than what he's already asking right now, I'll just sign that guy now. I'm not going to wait. Nick Bolton is not the kind of player you're waiting around on to see if his number will come back to where you need it to be. If you got a guy in mind who's already taken the deal that you want, that's why it seems like such a long odds. Feels like it takes the Chiefs not getting a linebacker, it taking a while, his number coming down, and then maybe Bolton would come back.
And how do they feel about the draft, of course? Do they think there's great depth at linebacker? We had the mock draft the other day where they were taking a linebacker out of Oklahoma as well, and Stutzman. So we'll see how it plays out. That one does definitely feel like, hey, if the market comes back to us, then we'll be interested. But clearly Trey Smith is on a different level of priority, I think.
He's one of the top 5 available free agents in the NFL this year. Mm-hmm. That is not what Nick Bolton qualifies as.
Yeah.
If they went ahead and paid both of them, let's say they actually did it.
Mm-hmm.
I think doesn't that put ultimate pressure on this draft? You have to hit.
Yeah, because you can't afford to pay anybody.
You have to hit on the draft class. You have to hit on at least 2 or 3 guys, not just one.
Right.
You have to hit in multiple areas, whether it's offensive line,
no doubt,
running back, whatever the case is, you have to hit in those spots.
I know everybody's not making a ton of money, but I'll be honest, if all of your free agent deals are just guards and linebackers, they paid Drew Tranquill last year as a free agent linebacker. Now you're going to pay Nick Bolton as a free agent linebacker. Now you paid Joe Tooney as a free agent guard a few years back. Now maybe you're going to pay Trey Smith as free agent guard. Would you like to pay a valuable free agent position or no? Just we're just sticking to the guts, right? And I asked that for the same reason. It's if you're going to spend a lot of money, I get it. Because if you're going to pay a valuable free agent wide receiver, you're going to pay $40 million. And those guys aren't on the street right now anyway. But you're going to pay $40 million a year, or anytime a tackle ends up, or a guard. It's sometimes it just seems funny the way they've spent their free agency dollars, because they've tried to draft the big ones because it's cheaper and it makes sense.
Sure.
But it also means it's got a lot of money tied up in less valuable positions.
There's a couple sides that predict Nick Bolton to sign with
Cincinnati?
The Cincinnati Bengals.
Well.
I mean, he fits.
Do you guys need linebacker help?
With the worst defense in football.
Yes, because Jermaine Pratt asked for a trade, which they should trade him anyways. But run game in particular, we know how bad they've been. They were historically bad 2 years ago.
I hope he doesn't end up there.
I don't want to see him in that.
Don't need that. I want him to have a chance to have a chance to compete for a Super Bowl.
Hey, they need anybody they can get that can help that run.
I want Nick
defense,
Bolton to actually get a play in playoff games and stuff. Like, why would he go there?
Because he'll be part of the reason why they're back in the playoffs.
Yeah. Maybe so.
Cincinnati, are they favored to make the playoffs right now? Can you even bet it? Probably can't.
They're just Super Bowl.
Probably can't, but I bet you they're probably favored to make it. Over teams over Denver, probably. Over the Chargers, probably.
Denver made it last year.
Yeah, but it's the Joe Burrow part of it.
They're probably favored.
All right, let's get to the trash.
Trash of the day.
All right, so we bring up dating on the show quite a bit, different stories. Everybody has a way to relate to that. And we were talking about the apps when Mackenzie Nelson was in studio with us last Friday for Fan Club Friday. And we were like, man, it's tough out on the apps. I've got an example for you, boys.
Okay.
Now, this is not my story, thank goodness. This happened in Lee Summit. This wasn't Dusty either.
Oh, wow.
I don't think. Dusty
Are you sure?
Dusty was walking around. This was not. No.
Why don't we check with him?
No. But there was a Lee Summit man that was arrested and charged after he was shot. You're like, why was he arrested and charged? He got shot. Well, here's the story. Back up a little bit.
That'd be wild, getting arrested after. I don't even know the guy.
Four victims reportedly had met a woman on a dating app. I've never heard of this app. It's called Plenty of Fish. That's one that I have not actually perused. All right.
This is when you get down to the
probably
side.
A good reason.
I don't know.
I guess.
Definitely not checking it out now. But anyway, so they had reported they had met a woman on Plenty of Fish, planned to meet up with her. When they did, this gentleman that ended up getting arrested, even though he got shot, allegedly appeared each time with a gun in hand as he robbed these people of their phones, a vehicle, and more. However, during a fifth incident, the victim said he attempted to meet up with this person after they met on Facebook dating. Ultimately, the pair made it inside this guy's victim when the unidentified woman held the victim at gunpoint as he attempted to rob him. So basically, this woman met men on an app, convinced them for whatever reason to meet for the first time at the parking lot of the apartment complex or something. And
already sketchy.
This other guy, her friend allegedly was waiting with a gun to rob them. It's tough out there, man. These dating apps, you never know where you're going to end up.
This is just common sense, though. If you're meeting someone for the first time, you drive separately and meet in a public place.
I've never for a first date.
Do not meet someone. Hi, I'd like to meet you in the abandoned building in the back of this parking lot. Like, no, that doesn't seem like a great place to catch up.
Right.
I think maybe I'll just meet you at the well-lit bar.
I've never for a first date not met at a public restaurant or bar, right? Like for a first date, have never not. And usually because like, also, if you're on the other, you would not feel comfortable to do that, especially if you're a woman usually in this whole thing too, right? Like, but this guy, he was arrested at the time he was released from the hospital on Sunday, February 23rd. He remains behind bars with no bond listed.
Legend over on Twitch says he met his wife on Plenty of Fish.
Oh,
You're giving it too hard of a rap, you know?
Well, I'm definitely not going on it now.
Someone met their wife over there. I did see like this, because like I get it. Like I understand that like dating generally is hard and you don't want to be robbed at gunpoint.
Oh, it's a website. It's not an app.
Would you, like what's the line for you to go on a first date? Let's say 5 years from now you're going on a date.
Okay.
Would you Venmo somebody price for a babysitter to go on a date with them? Let's say they needed a babysitter. It's 5 years from now, you're dating someone with a kid.
Okay.
And they're like, hey, if you want to go out on Friday, I'm going to need a little money for the babysitter.
For a first date?
Would you do it?
No.
For a first date?
No.
How many dates?
I would think I'm getting scared. You're asking me to Venmo you money before we've ever met?
It's like
no.
my couch.
I'm out.
You're out on the babysitter?
I'm not Venmoing.
I'm just asking. I didn't know.
You can't be Venmoing someone before you meet. That's a scam all over. It's like Drew with the couch.
It actually is.
I mean, if you're still going on the date, it's not
But you don't
scam.
know that. They can all of a
true.
sudden they ghost you. No. Someone says I've met several women off of dating sites at their house for the first time.
I'm sorry, that's a bad decision by her and by you.
That's not a date, sir. That's not a date. That is just a hookup. That's not really a date. There's no intention of going on dates.
So
if she's inviting you to her apartment the first time you ever meet, you're either getting robbed or that is weird. Netflix and chill.
50-50 though.
You know, but that's not dating. That's just hooking up.
Yeah.
Okay, so I did FaceTime my wife before I met. So we messaged. I FaceTimed her, so we saw each other. We wasn't like you know.
saw she was a real person.
Correct. I went. She didn't have a car, And I was like, oh, no problem. I'll come and pick you up, and then we'll go out to eat. It's fine.
People are saying there's plenty of Fish app is more hookup related anyway.
So I rolled up to her house, and I picked her up, and then we went. So it was a little bit different than we're meeting there and everything like that. But still, I didn't just go to a place and she drove as well, or she Ubered there, or whatever the case is.
Another person on the text line saying they met their husband on Plenty of Fish.
Wow.
Maybe this is the dating app you've been missing out on after the robbery.
No, this is the day that I'm going to decide to use this app. Somebody got getting set up and getting robbed.
You said it's a website, though, right? It's not even an app.
People said it was way before. It was one of the first dating sites. And here's it. Someone says it's an offshoot of Craigslist. Well, that explains everything.
What? Craigslist created it is what it is?
I bought stuff off Craigslist.
10 years ago, before Facebook Marketplace and all this
stuff
stuff.
off Craigslist
Recently?
last year. It's no worse than Facebook Marketplace. They're both.
What did you buy recently?
I'll tell you right now. It was like in the last year. It was like a piece of furniture.
Feels way more sketch.
No, here's the
you can really see on Facebook.
This is what I like about Craigslist versus Facebook. Everyone on Facebook thinks they're like an antique dealer.
Oh,
no offense, sir. Your IKEA dresser, I'm not giving you. I paid $140 for it originally. I'd like $130. The guy on Craigslist, he'll meet me in the back of the Walmart parking lot and give it to me for $15.
Why the back of the parking lot, Cody?
Yeah, you don't want to like the front.
No, you mean in the front of the parking lot. Why?
Right after we talked about meeting other people at their apartment
parking lots. That's a well-lit. I'm not meeting at 12:30 at night.
Okay.
It's definitely got to be a public place though for the like when I've sold something ever off of Facebook Marketplace. It's at a Target parking lot or whatever, or the one they always say you run to, you just goes meet at like the police department parking lot. You've always heard that, right? Like you meet in the Lenexa or Overland Park police
they tell you
department
to just meet
parking
it
lot. I haven't done that, but I understand the thought process, right?
Do you buy anything like secondhand like that?
It's been a while,
You get looking
man.
on anything for Facebook?
It's been a while since I bought anything off of.
From experience, I'm never using Facebook Marketplace again.
Yeah, Drew got scammed. For those that don't know,
again, I just think Facebook Marketplace, the prices are absurd.
Well, you don't have to buy it. You can just try to negotiate. It's still a bartering thing. You don't have to pay they list it for 100. You don't have to pay 100.
But I'm just saying the start number is already too high. They're not going to take what the thing should be sold for.
If someone lists $100 for, let's say it's a table, right away I'll give you 40 for it and just work from there.
They're not answering if you say 40.
Well, then they're not selling it.
We should try. Problem is I don't need a table right now, but I'm holding out for a new coffee table until my kids
they tell people to meet in the Odyssey Casey parking lot when they do their trip. I wouldn't do that, by the way. I wouldn't recommend the Odyssey parking lot.
It's not well lit.
Better lighting now. Better lighting now.
It's mediocre. Well, you know what? Actually, yeah. It was worse lit a couple of years ago.
Yeah, we've got new lights out there.
But
and
we're right next to Target. Just do it at Target.
True. Yeah, it's way.
Why are you coming deeper?
100%. Yes,
why are you coming deeper into the parking structure in order to exchange goods? It's a dangerous game,
Someone says, I'm 44. I'm pretty tech. I don't know if they meant to say tech savvy. It says tech savvy, like text. But anyway,
okay.
I've never done the online dating thing. It scares the living crap out of me.
Some people are just no. We heard McKinsey Nelson last week say she's just an automatic no.
Someone's like, I hate haggling. Give me your price. I'll let you know if I'll pay for it. I don't mind the haggling thing on, I understand it on the Facebook Marketplace setting. That's just the name of the game. I understand that. I don't like the haggling on tickets or something. On tickets and stuff, the haggling gets annoying. But on an item,
difference.
It's very,
I think everything's open for negotiation if we're on the secondary market.
For sure. I'm just saying, tickets I think are always going to be scams. So I will only buy secondary tickets off of a StubHub,
reputable sites.
One of those sites, tickets for less, whatever. I'm not going to.
Yeah, I get it.
To buy tickets off of individual usually. Anyway, all right. Up next, Chiefs Red Half Hour. We'll talk more about Trey Smith and ultimately what happens if Nate Taylor's reporting comes to be the case, which is 5-year deal. What does that mean for Kingsley, et cetera? We'll do that next.
Cody and Gold, brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com. Follow the station on Instagram for ticket giveaways and behind-the-scenes content from the show at The Fan 965.
All right, guys, let's talk about sex. Now that I got your attention, could you benefit from a little extra in the bedroom? I think we all could. Blue Chew can help. You probably know Blue Chew is an online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, Levitra, Staxin in chewable form at a fraction of the cost. What are you waiting for? You got to try it. Your partner wants you to do whatever it takes to make your sex life better. Blue Chew is your secret weapon for the bedroom or wherever you decide to get it on. Pro athletes train every day to perform better on the field. What if you could improve your performance in the bedroom with no training required? Turn oh no into oh yes with Blue Chew. Getting ready for work, you might have a coffee. If you're having dinners with your in-laws, maybe something a little bit stronger. But when it gets hot and heavy in the bedroom, the only thing that you need is Blue Chew. If you could benefit from extra confidence when it's time to perform, visit BlueChew.com. You want a great offer? How about free? Go to BlueChew.com, consult with a licensed medical provider, and get your first month free. Then you'll be ready to chew it and do it.
Has your home been on the market without success? An expired listing can feel frustrating, but it doesn't have to be the end of your journey. The Sharp Homes team specializes in turning things around. Contact my friend Dawn Sharp if you're looking to buy or sell a home. Dawn and her team are brokered by Epic Realty, and they've sold over 150 homes in the last 12 months alone. Plus, they can give you options. If you want to skip the showings and open houses and go straight to sold, you can do that with their instant offer program. Google them at Sharp Homes Team or visit them at homesforsaleinkc.com. Folks are always asking me about QC Kinetics treatments. They want to know if they should consider it for their joint pain. If you're wondering if you are a good candidate, let's see if you answered a yes to any of these questions. First question, is your quality of life impacted by chronic pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, or other joints? Do you have trouble sleeping, walking, and doing day-to-day movements? Next, do you want to avoid surgery and all of the pain, long recovery, and uncertainty that comes with it? And most importantly, do you miss doing things you love because joint pain is holding you back? Walking, golfing, jogging. If you answered yes to any of those, I bet you'd be a great candidate. So please don't wait. Call QC Kinetics right now and ask for your free consultation. Learn how the latest advances in regenerative medicine can get you lasting pain relief with no drugs, no surgery, and no downtime. Call 816-412-6299. That's 816-412-6299. 816-412-6299. Ready to jet off on your next adventure? Make travel easy with KC's best airport parking. It's Park and Go. All spots are covered, so you're protected from the elements. Plus, their quick, convenient shuttle picks you up right at your car and takes you straight to the terminal. Great service, great price, zero hassle. Open 24/7. Reserve your spot now at bookparkandgo.com. That's bookparkandgo.com. Park and Go, family owned and operated.
Listen, you've been making house payments for years, right? And right now your home's value has never been higher, right? That means you're likely sitting on a small fortune in equity. And good for you. That's cash you could use to help secure your retirement, solve all your financial burdens, enable you to travel everything you want. The catch is, you're not ready to move. No problem. You don't have to with TrueHold. Sell and stay leaseback program. It's a genius financial strategy. You sell your home to TrueHold while its value is high. You bank all the equity in cash now, and you can stay as long as you like with an easy, affordable lease. And TrueHold pays property taxes, insurance, and maintenance. TrueHold unlocks your wealth without uprooting your life. Get a TrueHold offer now while your home's value is sky high. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit TrueHold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out without moving out. TrueHold.com.
Gain Super Flings are here to take your laundry to the next level.
Talking about Gain Super Flings. Super-sized laundry packs. These things are huge. Super fresh, super clean. Gain Super Flings.
Gain Super Flings laundry packs have 4 times the Oxy cleaning power and 3 times the Febreze freshness versus Gain Original Liquid.
Super fresh, super clean. Gain Super Flings.
Gain Super Flings for next level laundry.
If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has plans built just for you. 2 lines of unlimited for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings compared to Verizon and AT&T. But don't just take our word for it.
It's not just the savings that are great with our T-Mobile plan. There's all this value from all these other things that T-Mobile offers.
T-Mobile has been such a savings for us.
We love it.
Switch today and get 2 free 5G phones like the Motorola Edge with Turbo Power charging that gives you power for the day in just 15 minutes. And customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for only $30 a line. Go to T-Mobile.com/choice55 to learn more. With AutoPay plus taxes and fees, plus $5 per line without AutoPay. Debit or bank account required. 45% off 2 lines versus AT&T Starter and Verizon Welcome. Plan benefits vary. Motorola Edge on us with 24 monthly bill credits and new line for well-qualified customers, plus tax and $35 per line connection charge. See details at T-Mobile.com. Motorola Edge requires 68-watt charger. Charger sold separately. Actual performance will vary based on usage and configuration.
Getting your guaranteed maximum refund with TaxSlayer feels like discovering a refund tree has grown in your backyard.
I'm the refund tree.
Sawing off its branches.
Hey.
Feeding them through a wood chipper.
My branches! My beautiful branches!
And dancing in its refund rain. Start for free and get your guaranteed maximum refund. TaxSlayer. File fearlessly.
Empower. Nick bought a new guitar, a 62 American Classic Electric. Does he know how to play? No. But Nick's Empower investment account has performed well. He got good at money, so he can be a little bad. Empower. Invest well, live a little. Start today at empower.com.
Past performance is not indicative of future returns. Investing involves risks. You may lose money. Advisory services are provided for a fee by Empower Advisory Group, LLC, EAG, a registered investment advisor with the Securities and Exchange Commission. This is a really good guitar solo.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios. Welcome in to the Chiefs Red Half Hour. Every day at 11:30 with Cody and Gold on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan.
It is the Chiefs Red Half Hour here on a Wednesday. We'll get to what Andy Reid had to say about the push, maybe to get rid of the Tush push, the push for the Tush push to go away. Andy had some comments on that. A lot of coaches did, including one coach that uses it as well, more than basically the second most in the league, and he's even against it. We'll explain that.
That is interesting.
Yeah, we'll explain that in just a little bit. But Nate Taylor was reporting yesterday that there's growing optimism that the Chiefs are going to get a 5-year deal done with Trey Smith. We had Brett Veach on yesterday. He was also optimistic in terms of what they could do, also acknowledge it's their top priority. I think we all recognize that. 5-year deal, speculation that's out there, spot track projections, 5 for 105-ish is kind of what you're looking at financially. I think we both acknowledged how good of a football player Trey Smith is. We both acknowledge that one way or the other, he's getting top of market money, whether it's from Kansas City or somewhere else. Yeah. I think it's more interesting of like, what does that say about the rest of the offseason? Because I get it. You want to build a very strong interior offensive line. Are they better with Trey Smith on it? Of course they are. But I don't think you can give the deal to Trey Smith and then also get a new deal for Joe Thuney and still be able to, keep a Nick Bolton or find that future left tackle. To me, signing Trey Smith tells me that they don't believe personally that in free agency they're going to go be able to find their left tackle replacement. That it's either the draft or it's going to be the stopgap thing that fans are going to be nervous about.
Rightfully
DJ Humphries or whatever. Oh, absolutely.
DJ Humphries, what's funny about him is like, now that he'll be fully healthy, because he should be fully healthy, right, coming off of the surgery versus when they got him before, he was a Pro Bowl caliber left tackle at one point at least, right? Like, that's not like in the way distant future. He suffered an injury. He was then off his team. He was available as a result of that. They took a shot of him coming immediately off the injury because they were desperate. I actually hate that plan less than some of the other ones of like stopgap left tackles that include like Wanye for a year or switching Jawan Taylor and putting Wanye right, or any of the other ones that may exist out in the free agency market. I think if you bring back Trey, we have to all be okay, and I think the Chiefs have to be okay with letting Thuney walk after a year. They just told us yesterday that they're okay to eat the money on a full Travis Kelce contract. Well, then Thuney applies in the same boat, in my opinion, and you spend another year changing all of the money you owe Patrick Mahomes into a different year to have that problem come up down the road, and that's what you do. But you have to be willing to move on from someone on the offensive line. You were unwilling to move on from Creed. He's young. You're unwilling to move on from Trey in this hypothetical, right? Fine. You got to move on from Thuney. We all know they're going to be willing to move on from Jawan Taylor at some point. That will come as the contract also expires, so give it time.
Yeah, $27 million this year. They're just stuck.
Yeah, no, and they moved the money last year. They knew, last March, they made their decision on Jawan Taylor. Like, not even kidding. They had to make that decision a long time ago.
I don't know the right terminology, but basically it became guaranteed. There's some other rule or word to use for that, but it locked itself in. Whereas Joe Thuney, he'll be 33 in the middle of the season. He's 32 right now. He'll turn 33 in November. So in the middle of the year, it's a $26.9 million cap hit. And so at one point the thought was, they'll just redo that to
give him a couple of
alleviate it.
years.
But he's going to be 33. I mean, a couple of years. I mean, you're going to have it under contract at 35 years old.
At guard.
But while also paying Trey Smith.
That's where the no is.
That's where I think it's telling. If they take care of Trey Smith, then I think they might play this thing out with Joe Thuney. Because otherwise, if they pay Joe Thuney and they give Trey Smith a 5-year, let's call it $105 million deal, you're going to have a combination, not one, but a combination of, I bet you, the highest paid guards in football. I know Joe Thuney is further down now, but the combination of highest paid right guard and then middle of the road, let's call it left guard on a new deal, maybe it's top 10 again, that makes you're investing a ton of money in the guards on your team.
Is there any world, and I don't think that this would happen, I'm just asking because like next year, Jawan Taylor is an easy cut candidate. He'll be a $7 million dead cap hit, a $27 million cap hit to keep. Right, okay, so you want to walk on Jawan Taylor, $7 million dead cap hit, team take those all the time for $20 million in savings. Joe Thuney is the identical situation essentially this year. He is a $11 million dead cap hit and $27 million to keep flat against the cap. Like, you actually can save a tremendous amount of money by moving on from Joe Thuney now and just saying, well, we know we have to fix the line, but we're going to start with 2 very young, under contract, interior offensive linemen. I don't think they'd cut Joe Thuney this year. It doesn't really make sense to me, based for the same reasons I mentioned with Trey Smith. I'm just telling you the money makes sense.
Right.
If you're just looking at it from a pure financial perspective, there is some like logic to it.
Well,
especially if you're going to start Kingsley.
Well, that's the thing. If you're going to have Trey still on the team at right guard, and let's say you just play out the Joe Thuney deal, okay, well, we know those are your left and right guard. So that means Kingsley, another year of barely playing, developing behind the scenes, developing. But
Sky Moore, McCole,
he may not
signed wide receivers to be on top of those guys.
He may not be good, but if there's plenty of guys that were failed tackles that become guards, and it looks like that's the path for Kingsley here. He's only played in 2 football games. I'm not telling you I think he's going to ever be a left tackle. But I think he can be a guard, and he's going to wait. It's be year 3 before he ever gets his 3rd game as a starter in the league. That's just I won't feel great about that going into year 3 if that's the case. So I think the Trey Smith deal, of course, has a major trickle-down effect is what we're getting at if it happens. And right now, there's growing optimism. I think there still is a chance that in a couple weeks, it would not stun me if we find out that, hey, we were optimistic, we did everything possible, and then he still went because the money was that much different. We know he wants to stay here, but there's only so much of negotiating you can do. How close are the Chiefs to what he thinks he can get on the open market? Is it worth him maybe getting a tad bit less? We're not talking about, he's not going to agree to $7 million less a year. But overall, can it be a $5 million difference? I don't know. The issue is he's also never made big money in the NFL.
Yeah,
he was a 6th-round pick.
But he's got to make big money kind of no matter
Time to go get yours now.
But to the point of Joe Thuney, I'm not suggesting they cut him. He's obviously a great player. But if you're saying, hey, I need stability at guard, I'm not here to argue that Joe Thuney is not better than Trey Smith. But Trey Smith is 5-6 years younger. Yeah. If you're going to spend long-term money on a guard, it makes sense to do it with Trey. What if you started Kingsley next year? What if Kingsley was just your left guard? Trey Smith's number is $5 million. Thuney goes bye-bye. Kingsley gets the left guard spot. And then what you're looking at is $10 additional million to approve your team somewhere, whether that be at left tackle or that be at not right tackle this year, whether it be at left tackle or free agent wide receiver or, whatever compensation you're planning on filling the goal so you can use more of those picks to move up in the draft. I don't know that it's the plan I would do, but the more I think they're signing Trey Smith, the more I'm like, they got something going here that I'm not seeing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I just kind of feel like there's got to be some ball in the air that I'm not factoring in. And that would be the one that would surprise me, but also if you start looking at the numbers and he's in the final year of his deal and every other possibility, you're like, I don't know, maybe there is something to that.
Right. What does Brett Veach have up his sleeve? And this also will be telling how they feel about the draft. Yesterday he told us the offensive line is weaker in the draft than they would like it to be, and it has been in some other years. And thinking of that, I guess here we go.
Boy.
That sound means
3 days in a row, boys.
Drew has found another mock draft. We have not seen this Who's this from?
I don't have any idea.
Who is this one from?
This is from Casey Kingdom on Fansided, obviously a Chiefs-only site. It is a Chiefs-only mock draft.
All right.
I'm going to give you all...
They didn't pay attention to anybody else, huh?
I'm going to give you all 7 rounds because...
7 rounds? I'm not going to know who these people are.
All right.
Gold might know the round 7 pick.
Okay.
Teaser there.
Is it Devin Neal?
Also,
That's a fair guess.
Also, there is a trade.
He won't make it to the second.
There is a trade in this mock draft as well that the Chiefs make.
I feel like those are. I feel like
Gold
for
is
the
generally
record,
anti-trade in mocks.
In mocks, I think it's cheating. Like I can make a
people
trade.
do trade.
They do, but I think trading in a mock draft is like who's saying no to you though. Like who's preventing you from
I
making
think if you do it fairly, it's fine.
So
I want them trading up to 10th overall now.
I said do it fairly. You can't take the Chiefs to 1 and say they're getting Abdul Carter. You got, like within reason.
So in this trade, very, very interesting. So they still have 2 third-round picks, but they trade back in the 3rd round. In this trade scenario, the Chiefs trade 66 and 232, which is round 7, to the Jaguars. They get pick 88 in the 3rd round, a 4th-round pick, and the 7th round pick from the Jaguars. So the Chiefs end up getting
they're not
an extra pick in this
round
one.
trades. They're out here like wheeling and dealing in the 3rd round. Okay.
So in the 1st round, not an offensive lineman for the first time in the ones that we've looked at regarding mock draft, other than Binks, of course. Tyleik Williams, defensive tackle out of Ohio State. They have him taking in the 1st round. Again, a really good defensive line class, as you heard Brett Veach say yesterday. Round 2, they've got Darian Porter, cornerback from Iowa State. So continuing the pipeline of good corners.
So this one's the opposite of yesterday. It's all defense so far.
Offensive line is getting selected in with that 88th pick in the 3rd round.
I'm so sick of taking tackles.
Offensive tackle Ozzie Trapillo from Boston College. This is an interesting one. Ty Felton, wide receiver from Maryland, had a really good year last year. First time he ever got over 1,000 yards in college. Maybe a project, maybe not a project. A guy that can plug and play potentially. He's never going to be your best wide receiver in all likelihood.
Fine, he doesn't need to be.
Round 4, your linebacker spot, Gold, the one that we've seen consistently. Not Danny Stutzman, though. It is Cody Simon, linebacker from Ohio State.
Pro Cody's. Big Pro Cody guy.
I think we'd have to get him on the show.
Guy sounds like a star, honestly.
This is where it gets interesting. Round 5. KU fans will be happy. Devin Neal.
So Devin Neal wasn't the mix.
It's not the one, though, that I think Gold would know.
If he makes it into the 5th round, then I don't know how anybody could be upset about that pick.
That would be maybe a steal in that position.
Because some people think he could go in the 4th. Right, Devin Neal.
Yeah, in terms of like where he might even be in the 3rd round. I think in some mocks as well. It depends on what he does, I guess, at the combine. I think he's at the combine as well, and he's working out.
Okay.
Round 7, Ahmed Hassain from Boise State, edge rusher from Egypt. He was really, really, really good last year for them.
So why is he going in the 7th round?
I think it's just because of.
Did he just start
playing
football?
Played a ton of football,
I was going to say I think it's his lack of experience playing football, but he was really good in some big time moments for them last year. Of course, you're also playing at a smaller school, so that doesn't help your draft stock in a way unless you're Ashton Genty, for example. But
not that small of school. He's not playing at like.
True.
I mean, Boise State's like.
He's not playing at Utah State.
They were like in the college football playoff conversation last year.
Yeah, he's somebody that. No, look, it's a 7th round pick, so you're taking a flyer anyway. But yeah, he would be somebody that you really would probably have to like coach up, and it's a project, and getting the technique and learning how to do that kind of thing.
Defensive ends like
that
Chuck Warden and Dana and some of the guys they've taken in the 3rd or later rounds, they've actually done okay there.
Here we go. Here's what Lance Erline says about. I don't want to spend too much time on a 7th rounder guy that's going to be, but it says. Good knockback pop, Cody, when exploding hands into the frame. Has feel for quick hand transitions at the junction point as a rusher. Gotta like that, you know?
How do you guys feel about this one overall, though? If they went D tackle corner first 2 rounds,
D-tackle, I'm fine. I'm fine. I think at this point we've established that
tackle in the
offensive tackle at 31 doesn't make sense. But
it's fine in the 3rd.
You said that the trade there is what allows them. So they keep their 2 third-round picks, but the Jags get pick 66 in this hypothetical.
Correct. And they move back to 88. The Chiefs would have 88 and 95.
I got to say, you got to love mock drafts if you are out here making hypothetical draft trade charts. Third round
ones,
trades?
not even 1st round.
Yeah. Look, fine. If you and I are predicting who the Chiefs might take, we might be like, I think they're going up to take their offensive tackle at 19. 3rd round trades?
Mm-hmm.
Hey.
I mean, how did you know that Ozzie Trapillo was going to be available? You know, like, why do you just take him at 66? I guess I don't know. They really wanted to take this kid from Cairo in the 7th, so they needed to the pick to make sure that their guy was on the list. I don't have a draft crush yet.
No, the combine hasn't happened.
But that will occur. You and I every year find 2 or 3 guys that we'd really like them to take.
Yep.
I'll start sussing out my list here soon.
I whiffed last year on one of them for sure. Like I think we all acknowledge Worthy, but the one I whiffed on, I wanted him to take Kingsley. I had him going 32 to the Chiefs. So whoopsies.
Hey, you know what? Good news. They did not whiff as bad as you.
They did not.
Because they did not take him at 32.
Yeah, I wanted them to draft him. I thought he was going to be an answer at tackle. He's obviously not. Hope is now that he's a guard for you in the future.
Yeah, I think tackle's already dead. I saw people saying they moved on. How do you know they're not moved on? I'm like, dude, the GM
tackle they have. I don't think they've moved on for him to play guard. Clearly, with the comments from Brett Veach yesterday.
You know me. I wanted them to move up in the draft and just take some star wide receiver like
every year, Cody.
I don't think it's going to be this year. Actually, I'm really happy with their current wide receiver unit.
Okay.
Oh, just wait until Luther Burden's available at 25 and they don't trade up. And you're like, what is this?
Well, the wide receiver I wanted last year at the pick they were taking was Leggett. I wanted to.
Yeah.
He was okay.
He's fun. That's about it. You enjoy the interviews. Other than that,
we don't know. He was like mediocre for a really bad offense.
He dropped some big passes.
As you also remember, I was big on
touchdowns.
Ladd. I liked Ladd McConkey a decent amount last year too. I'm disappointed they didn't.
I think
take
he
him.
would have been good. I mean, I think he's a guy that would have been good wherever he went. Just a solid, good wide receiver.
I don't think
reliable.
I don't think you have 1,200 yards and like 7 or 8 touchdowns your rookie year, and you would have just been like bad anywhere.
So we know the NFL Competition Committee is meeting over the next couple weeks, and one of the rule changes being discussed is the Tush push. Been controversial for a couple of years. I want to point out this was once banned already, so this is not a new concept to ban it. They didn't allow you to push the ball carrier, right? And Sean McDermott yesterday even admitted that he would basically vote no. He's on the competition committee. That's why it's interesting that he was asked about it. And this is a Bills team that does a variation of the tush push quite a bit, as much as anybody, maybe second to the Eagles only. And he was basically alluding to the fact that he would vote no. Like he doesn't think it should be a play that's allowed.
And yet they do but they don't do quite the tush push, which means they might think there's an advantage in them not doing it.
Andy Reid was asked about it. He said, quote, "They do it better, the Eagles. They do it better than anybody, so they're going to get criticized. Heck, if we could do it as effectively, I would probably do it too." He went on to talk about the injury concern. He said, when Jason Kelce is saying it destroyed him, that itself is alarm. And that might be the reasoning that teams use. Yes, there's this idea that the Eagles are successful at it, and teams may not like that, unfortunately. But also, if it is a safety issue and health issue for centers, that's the way the NFL is like, oh, well, there we go. Gone.
They're getting hurt.
Gone.
Jason Kelce said he was dying down there.
I just don't think it's a fun play to watch. And if it turns out it actually is going to lead to injuries, then that's another reason why teams might want to get rid of it.
I guess
there may be more momentum than we thought to move on from it.
I guess the only argument that I think actually makes sense in banning it, other than I just don't like the way it looked, right? Like, I get it. Like, I understand why you don't want to watch it.
Play, yeah.
But, like, I think there's a lot of boring plays in sports, and we don't get rid of plays typically for the boring. The argument I would make, even more than the safety part, because I think it's like it's no less or more safe, in my opinion, than any other play, is that at no other point on the football field am I allowed to use another player as, like, a propellant for my play. I'm not allowed to jump off the defensive lineman's back in order to swat the ball down. Why do they get to push me? Every other place on the football field, I have to do my job. I'm no longer allowed to, like, take people's legs out when they're engaged because I'm supposed to block that person. I feel like it's cheating in a way because you're not using your own body in order to accomplish something. And at no other place in the football field am I allowed to do that. Like, I'm not allowed to slingshot you across, right? Like, it's just not how the league works. And I would hear an argument for that. But if McDermott's saying get rid of it,
I think there's more momentum than we think.
I'm starting to think if Andy says, well, if Andy's even mentioning health and McDermott's on the committee and saying he'd get rid of it and he could take significant advantage of it.
Look, if you're in
Philly,
Philly,
like it's going away.
If you're in Philly, you'll be upset as you should.
Yeah.
And they'll it'll be the same thing. I would argue though, when you win, people make changes, right? Not directly involving a play like this, but we all know the overtime rule was implemented after what happened. Josh Allen didn't get a chance in overtime. It takes success and winning and things like that and big moments for it to become.
The Tuck rule changed after Brady.
Yeah, exactly. Or it was created or whatever. Yeah. I mean, that's exactly, Cody. That's how this plays out in sports. It takes somebody taking advantage or magnifying an issue and We'll see. If it does get banned, I'll be curious to see. Everybody will be waiting. Like, are the Eagles as good? What happened? What's their fourth down percentage? What's their third down percentage without that play?
Are they going to go for it as much?
Saquon, look, you have Saquon Barkley. I would think you should still be pretty darn good at 4th and 1.
One of the best offensive lines in the league in Saquon. You should probably be able to get a yard.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. Maybe he just maybe McDermott's fine to get rid of it because the sneak worked so poorly against the Chiefs. It's like, screw this play. I hate it.
But again, that
Would you
wasn't
get rid
the
of
tush
QB
push.
sneaks altogether? No.
Andy already has, so.
Honestly,
that's what was funny with the quote. What was the beginning of the quote? Andy, they do it better than anybody else, so they're going to get criticized. Heck, if we could do it as effectively, I would probably do it too. No, you wouldn't. You won't even do a QB sneak.
Like Andy, you're probably not listening. You're in Indy. I'm sure it's St. Elmo's or whatever. Why are you lying? Why are you lying to us? What? Come on. We all know you would not do it that much if you thought the tush push would work. You won't even, you won't do anything with your quarterback.
There's definitely no way they're doing the tush push.
No. God, no. They're not going to have their guy laying at the bottom of a pile. Again, I think a huge reason why it works for the Eagles is because Jalen Hurts is just
it's the strongest quarterback in the league. The lower body strength is ridiculous. No, that's why he's able to do it over everybody else. He's just, you think about the strength, Barkley and Jalen Hurts might be two of the strongest players in the entire league.
Yeah, a little.
Oh, yeah. I mean, just the lower body strength of Barkley. People have done stories about that, like some of his workouts, and then Jalen Hurts. Like, we're talking about tree trunks for lower body, for legs and lower body strength. So I think it is a pretty unique thing that they're able to do that everybody else can't.
Again, it was gone for a while, right after, you remember the USC controversy and
when did they allow? When did it become allowed again? Do we know?
I don't know. I don't remember.
I mean, I don't think was it ever not allowed in the NFL?
It wasn't allowed in college.
Oh, yeah, in college. I still don't think you can. I still don't know if you can do that in college.
I mean, the one that looks similar, but it's not. We all know you're not allowed to drag somebody forward, right?
But that's what I'm saying. It's the same difference.
Yes. But they banned that already.
I'm doing the momentum for them. What's the difference whether it's I'm standing behind them or I'm standing in front of them? It doesn't. I guess I just don't. It doesn't make sense to me that I'm allowed to use my momentum to change theirs, I guess, in a lot of ways.
All right, up next, we'll get to what's trending. We'll talk a little bit about the new NFLPA grades are out today. The Chiefs were up a few spots in this year's version. How much does it matter? What does it tell us about the future? And we'll also talk a little bit more about Trey Smith and where things are standing there next.
This is Cody and Gold on your new home for Royals baseball. 96.5, The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
Hey, Missouri sports fans, I've got good news. Underdog is available to play right here in your state. This basketball season, your favorite star scorer, last night, paying attention to Luka, wanted to see the return. Maybe you thought he was going to go higher or lower than his assist total. One of those was sick last night. Or his point total. You can do those things over at Underdog. Just choose higher or lower than those players' stats and figure out what you like. Create it from your favorite leagues, teams, and stars to choose from. And with as little as $1, you get everything right. You can win up to 1,000 times your money, which means, you really can turn $1 into $1,000 with your hoops knowledge. Millions of fans have already won billions of dollars playing over at Underdog. Download the Underdog app today. Sign up using that promo code TAPP, TAPP, to unlock that special offer for up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. Join in on the fun when you sign up with that promo code TAPP. Claim your special offer today and get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly with your first deposit. Must be 18 plus and present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operate. Terms apply. Concern with your play. Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org.
A body in motion stays in motion until you feel that muscle tighten. KRT helps you get back in action with all natural pain relief in just minutes. Learn more at krtrelief.com.
Folks, it's time to rev up your engines and get ready for a wild ride for Ford Truck Month. And who better to bring you all the excitement than my favorite Ford dealer in Kansas City, Rob Seid of Rob Seid Ford in South Kansas City. Hey, Rob, what's going on?
Hey, Kevin, there are a lot of F-150s out there, but you're not going to find a better deal than Rob Seid Ford's $15,500 off brand new F-150s. That's right, $15,500 off. These savings only happen during Truck Month at Rob Seid Ford, so now is not the time to wait.
Rob Site Ford is on fire.
Best price and best inventory at Rob Site Ford. So many F-150s in stock. Don't wait because they won't last long. Biggest savings, best trade-in offers, all part of the Kevin Harlan VIP experience at Rob Site Ford.
And I appreciate that. Like I've said before, Bobby, nothing compares to the quality and the professionalism at Rob Site Ford.
Rob Site Ford, 135th and State Line, ROBSIGHT.com.
Hello, I am fabulous.
Oh, you mean like Kansas Lottery's Fabulous Fortune Instant Ticket Fabulous?
I mean, like I speak 5 languages and come from old money fabulous.
Oh, well, Fabulous Fortune can lay some new money on you. 4 chances at $500,000 to be exact.
Talk more.
Fabulous Fortune also gives you a second chance at $500,000 with the Play On app.
I think I've been out fabulous.
Really?
No.
Okay, play Fabulous Fortune. CKSLottery.com for details.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-518-3899. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-518-3899. That's 800-518-3899. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Basketball fans, don't miss the MIAA Basketball Championships March 5th through 9th at Municipal Auditorium. 18 games over 5 days, the nation's best small college basketball tournament will feature some of the nation's best Division II teams. Get your tickets now through Ticketmaster and visit odyssey.com/965thefan/events February 20th through 24th to register to win free tickets. MIAA Madness, March 5th through 9th. Bring your A game.
I'm Brian Tedesco, CEO of Blaupunk Americas, the pioneers of the car stereo. Today, we're not just about sound systems. We are revolutionizing the e-bike scene with Blue Dot Bike. Thanks to AmericanEagle.com, our online presence now features a dynamic e-commerce website that showcases the quality and affordability of our foldable e-bikes. And our collegiate e-bikes, just perfect for the college fanatic. These e-bikes offer a new way to experience freedom on 2 wheels, no matter your age. When we needed a top-notch website to match our cutting-edge e-bikes, we turned to AmericanEagle.com. They made the impossible seem easy, tackling digital challenges like pros. Check out the Blue Dot Bike website to see AmericanEagle.com's amazing work in action. Need the best in website and digital marketing solutions? AmericanEagle.com is your go-to. They've been a game changer for us, and they can be for you too. Visit AmericanEagle.com or call 877-WEB-NOW-1. That's 877-WEB-NOW-1.
Getting your guaranteed maximum refund with TaxSlayer feels like discovering a refund tree has grown in your backyard.
I'm the refund tree.
Sawing off its branches.
Hey.
Feeding them through a wood chipper.
My branches! My beautiful branches!
And dancing in its refund rain. Start for free and get your guaranteed maximum refund. TaxSlayer. File fearlessly.
Empower. Nick bought a new guitar, a 62 American Classic Electric. Does he know how to play? No. But Nick's Empower investment account has performed well. He got good at money, so he can be a little bad. Empower. Invest well, live a little. Start today at empower.com.
Past performance is not indicative of future returns. Investing involves risks. You may lose money. Advisory services are provided for a fee by Empower Advisory Group, LLC, EAG, a registered investment advisor with the Securities and Exchange Commission. This is a really good guitar solo.
You're listening to the all-new 96.5 The Fan, your home for Kansas City sports. KFNZ FM and AM, HD1 and HD2 Kansas City, an Odyssey sports station. What's trending?
What's Trending is presented by Baker University, where graduates earn higher salaries and land jobs faster than any other university in Kansas. Apply today at bakeru.edu. Number one on What's Trending. We're going to get into this more after this, but the NFLPA grades were released, right? These are voted on anonymously by players. and the Chiefs have graded really poorly in this since it was implemented. 77% of players, it looks like, voted on this. The Chiefs moved up 5 spots. They're still 26, but they moved up 5 spots in the annual NFLPA survey. The best category for them, A+ head coach, which is probably not surprising there. Nutrition and dietitian, A-, that's up to 5th. That was a poorly graded one. Owner, C-. He was an F- a year ago. We'll talk more about this, but they did move up and improve in multiple areas.
Next up on What's Trending, MU got a big win last night. It's a big team, but getting back on the right way over South Carolina, the biggest SEC win in the college basketball season, winning by almost 30. Easy for the Tigers, who will continue their way to the SEC tournament, currently projected to be a 5 seed in the NCAA tournament. Kansas State versus UCF tonight, 5 o'clock pregame right here on 96.5 The Fan.
Next on What's Trending, Sporting Kansas City unfortunately eliminated from the CONCACAF Champions Cup with a 3-1 loss last night to Inter Miami. It's now 4-1 aggregate, so that tournament run was short-lived for Sporting. They'll pick up MLS play Saturday at home, Children's Mercy Park, against San Jose.
Are they going to be really bad again?
Hopefully not, but it's not a great start. I mean, Inter Miami is very good, but they lost last Saturday to Austin in the first MLS game. This will be the second MLS game on Saturday. So
I will say
it's early.
Soccer related, I did see, I guess getting in the anthem games working for them. Do you see that each city will have their own host city song? Tech 9 is involved in the World Cup host city song.
Oh, they
released a teaser that's 30 seconds long.
Okay.
And I guess the full thing will be released here soon.
I mean, it makes sense that he would be involved in that if we're going to have to.
He's getting in the anthem game.
Are you mad that you weren't consulted? Is that what this is? And
were
you expecting a World Cup song?
I can't produce music. I don't know how to do that.
What would your song be? What do you think you would start with if you're doing a song about soccer?
Man,
Kansas City.
I mean, you got to call it football if you're doing a World Cup song. I'm just sorry.
Okay.
You got to go by the proper term. For that, for the World Cup. Man, I have to think about it. Maybe I'll actually try to release an opposing one to Tech 9s and let the people decide which one's actually the better thing. Next up on What's Trending, Titans say they will let veteran linebacker Harold Landry seek a trade this offseason. This makes 3 or 4 veterans. We know Cooper Kupp and some others who have been told by their teams they can go seek a trade. He had 10.5 sacks last year. He's had double-digit sacks on average each of the last 3 seasons. I imagine he'll have some takers out there. He's still got 2 years left on his deal, owed in the 20s for each of the next 2 years, $24 million each of the next 2 years. They say they'll let him go seek a trade. Going to clean a little more house. Get the picks back. You're smart. Trade Landry. Start fresh. You're way behind the 8 ball if you're Borgonzi. You got a few years left before regular competition.
Lastly, on What's Trending, don't forget next Friday, a week from this Friday, we've got our fun Cody and Gold bar tab hangout at Kelly's in Westport. We mentioned, hey, we appreciate you guys listening to the show. We found out we're number 1 in our time slot and our demographic for the last couple of months, and so we wanted to give back to you guys a little bit. So we will have a bar tab opened up next Friday night at Kelly's beginning at 6:30. We'll continue to give you more details and a heads up on that. But if you're looking for something to do next Friday, you're getting off of work, you want to come by, have some free drinks until the bar tab is exhausted. It's not a small tab either. It's not like we're not saying, $200 tab. No, $1,000 tab.
$250 of that is Fireball related, so prepare accordingly. I have decided that, we can't be doing shots for the whole thing. Regular drinks for the other $750, right? We can't just be doing,
Depends how many people show up, I guess.
Yeah, you know what? That's a great point. If there's a bunch of you, maybe it's a little bit different. I don't know how many of you are going to show up. If you're planning on coming, let us know. 913-586-7965 or hit us up on social media.
There you go. That's What's Trending. Someone wanted us to include one more thing in What's Trending. We try not to be, sad and depressing in What's Trending. Someone said, R.I.P. Harriet the Spy. I was like, what? So Harriet the Spy, for those who don't know, was a popular movie in the 90s. Nickelodeon.
There's a reboot. There's an Apple TV series.
Oh, I haven't
cartoon
seen that
currently.
one. I've only seen the one on Nickelodeon back in the day.
With Michelle Trachtenberg?
Unfortunately, I guess she passed away. That's why someone said that.
She's only 39 years old. She apparently
really
recently
sad.
had a liver transplant. So maybe they're not investigating it as suspicious, but man, that's
39 years old.
My wife loved that movie when she was a kid. I think it appeals to all the nerdy kids in the world where you're she keeps little notes and tabs on the neighborhood. It was a huge hit for Nickelodeon at the time.
I remember the movie.
I saw it.
Came in the orange Nickelodeon VHS. Remember back when Nickelodeon was doing the orange VHS tapes? That was one. That and Good Burger, I think, were the ones they put in the orange VHS.
I saw that in theaters too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I saw that one in the theater that doesn't even exist anymore. The old Seville Theater, Seville Square down at the Plaza. There used to be like a 3-screen or 4-screen theater down there by Mr. Bulky's on the low level.
Man, Mr. Bulky's, another throwback.
You
Man.
can still get bulk candy, but it doesn't feel the same.
No,
you know?
that's where I fell in love with the twin, the gummy twin cherry candy. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That's the first place I ever had them, Mr. Bulky's. Now you can just go on Amazon and I can get them shipped or whatever if I'm really craving that. Don't forget it's the lunch hour, of course, here on Cody and Gold. And Jefferson's has a brand new happy hour that's here to save you some money. 7 days a week, you can enjoy half off appetizers and half off your bar tab at Jefferson's Lenexa and Jefferson's North Kansas City. Half off your bar tab at both locations during happy hour. Their official lunch partner here on Wednesdays on Cody and Gold. Jefferson's wings, burgers, oysters. So I mentioned the NFLPA grades. A couple years they've been doing this. I think to say, are they working? Yeah, I think you would have to say yes, because some of the teams' grades have improved because of improvements in the facility. If that was the ultimate goal, then yeah, I think it's working. Am I still skeptical on like how they're grading out the head coach and the owner? Yes, I still am like, the ones that matter are the training staff and how do they feel their families are being treated and things like that. First year it came out when the locker rooms were graded poorly. And remember, we're talking about the locker room at the practice facility, not the Arrowhead, which one has been renovated. When it was like they thought the seat was like not soft enough or big enough, like that kind of stuff. I think a lot of people, the average person, will roll their eyes at that, right? They're saying, okay, give me a break. But they're also looking at their peers and how their peers are treated. So this year, the Chiefs moved up 5 spots to number 26 in this annual survey. Here were the categories. Treatment of families was a B-. They're 15th. And you might think that that's not good. That's actually improvement. That's actually improvement from where it was. So we're talking about they added full-time daycare on game day, basically. So a year ago, it was D+, treatment of families. A year ago, nutritionist and dietitian was an F, Cody. It's A-. Training staff was an F. It's now a C. Excuse me. And team travel was a D. It's now a B. Ownership was an F.
Travel got better.
Ownership was an F-. It's now a C-.
Okay, so obviously the initial thoughts are you improved in some areas. They didn't like your diet plan. You hired a full-time dietitian. Now people think you've got good diet work. Makes sense. Honestly, stunned. Borderline stunned to find out that a professional NFL team worth billions of dollars, whose job is to make sure that people are in peak physical condition to perform an athletic task. You're here to tell me they didn't have a full-time dietitian? What?
I just assumed every team had that.
What? Like, I can't even believe that wasn't the case. So, yeah, you know what? Honestly, we might joke about these things as being like completely nonsense in some areas. Wasn't there. Exposed the fact that they didn't have a full-time dietitian, and now they do. The ownership one is the funniest one to me. Clark had an F- last year after they won a Super Bowl. They had won a Super Bowl, and he got an F-. And this time, he got a C.
I hope you guys are happy. You know what?
Honestly, they might have really cared about those stools or chairs.
I hope you guys are happy. I hope that's the case. I hope fans are happy. I'm sure they're thrilled in New York that maybe in a certain market that their team has better locker rooms, but they had nothing to show for it, all right? Nothing to show for it. I don't know about you. The year they were winning Super Bowls, Cody, they got worse grades. They win a Super Bowl, they move up 5 spots.
So you think the fact that they made it too comfortable?
That's right.
Now that they got daycare and dietitians, they're not as hungry?
That's what it is,
not
man.
As desperate?
That's clearly what it was, why they came up short in the Super Bowl. It's all that. I'd rather my owner get an F- grade and win Super Bowls than bump it up to a C and lose in Super Bowls. That's how I'm approaching this. The top team was the Miami Dolphins at A+. I'm sure their fans are thrilled with what they're getting out of that A+ rating. I'm sure they're incredibly thrilled. The Jets were at F, which is fitting all the way around. But I'm sure some of those other teams at the top are so happy they got A+ for their owners when their team isn't making the playoffs.
Serious question. Do you think Clark Hunt cares what his ranking is? Like what grade he gets? I think
people do care about how they're perceived.
And you're like, damn.
I think people
player-based?
The hell? Yeah.
This is all player-based.
And like 75% of players. Yeah, I think so too.
I think anybody, but especially in someone in a position like that, I think you absolutely care what the perception is.
I guess what's funny about it is, obviously, other than the Chiefs, all the teams ranking in the bottom are bad teams. Makes sense, right? I mean, it's like Panthers, not the Bucs or the Steelers, so that was the case. Jets, Browns, Patriots, and Cardinals. The one thing that comes up here that came up the last time is you are statistically far more likely to be at the bottom of this list if you are an inherited owner of an NFL team versus one who bought it. And I probably assume that there's some part to like Tepper doesn't, and he's at the bottom of this list, but like most of the guys don't care about the money, and they'll just like buy you whatever you want, right? Like, yeah, shiny, flashy things.
Because temper is not inherited.
But the other part, well, yeah, I'm just saying, like, most cases, I would say. I just said statistically. There's obviously anomalies on both sides. Because the Packers are just owned by the people, right? And they're 7th on the list. I imagine if they just built a new stadium, like, that would solve.
Well, a lot of the categories.
80% of the categories in which they come up short. Travel's fine. Daycare's now fine. Diet's fine. What are the problems? I don't have stools versus chairs.
A lot of the categories are related to facilities. It's food, dining area, locker room, training room, weight room.
Can't create more space.
Those are a lot of areas. And yeah, if the Chiefs had look at the Raiders got an A+ rating or A- rating on this thing. Well, they have a brand new stadium and a brand new practice facility. So yes, if the Chiefs had a new stadium and practice facility, that would solve a couple of these ratings in a heartbeat.
Clark would probably go up higher.
And I still think when it comes to the Chiefs practice facility, from a business sense, it makes sense. Would you want to put in $80 million for a renovation on a practice facility if you think there's a chance that if your stadium's going to be moved across the state line, potentially?
I'm not putting a new engine in my car if I'm not planning on keeping it. It just, and I know that's maybe water pump.
No, but I
Whatever
understand.
the problem is, you just go get a new car instead if you're planning on getting a new one anyway.
But that's my point. So, like, the practice facility thing, it is what it is until they find out what their future is, either at the Truman Sports Complex or if it is, in fact, going to be Kansas.
I'm worried about you. Are you okay?
I ate some chips during the break.
Dude, you sound like you're dying. What were the chips made of? The saltiest substance on the planet?
So it's the end of the month, and our office does like a birthday lunch for people's birthdays or February, which is none of us on the show, but they put out food and everything. And one of the sides was chips. So I grabbed a couple handfuls of chips. Right? Why not?
You're a big chip guy, sure.
Yeah, and they were like corn chips, like tortilla corn chips or whatever. Clearly, it's been a problem for me during the break there. So I'm drinking out of this Jefferson's cup as much water as possible. And
it is the lunch hour.
I feel better. I feel better right this second.
Yeah, but I'm worried if you try to we should try to avoid.
Well, I'm done eating.
No, but I was saying we should try to avoid any argument in which you might have to get amped up a little bit. I'm worried you'll lose your voice again if you get a little too excited.
I don't know, man.
Might lose it a little bit.
I feel like the coughing is done. Whatever was stuck there, a little piece of chip, we're good.
Loosened it up?
Yeah,
You feel
I think
a
we're
little better?
good. Yeah, I appreciate the concern. We're fine.
I can't have you dying in the middle of the show.
That'd be awkward for you.
I wouldn't continue to do the show. We'd just be like,
the show must go on.
We're going to Fox Sports.
Thinking of that, did you guys thinking of someone? Did you see the story? And there's been a lot of airline news recently, unfortunately, with FAA mess. And there was another close call today, I guess, on an American Airlines flight at Reagan. Scary stuff. Anyway, somebody didn't. They were sitting in a plane next to a dead person for 4 hours. Did you see this?
4 hours.
No, this was not an American Airlines or American airline. Period. Yeah.
Did they know they were dead?
Let me get the details again, but it reminded me when you brought up that.
Did they know they were dead? Because if not, then let me off.
Here we go. A woman died mid-flight. They had to sit next to her body until the flight. What are you going to do?
Is there
4
not
hours?
Another seat available?
Here we go. So this
Can I
was
sit in the
Australia.
cockpit? Put me anywhere.
So a passenger unfortunately collapsed. Oh my goodness! I got to make an account to read this freaking article. Hold on. I'm trying to read an article. A couple says they were forced to sit next to a dead body for hours. A passenger unexpectedly died on a flight from Australia. Their body remained seated next to a couple for hours. The incident occurred during a 15-hour flight from Melbourne to Doha. Qatar Airlines extended condolences to the passenger's family and apologized for any distress caused. Maybe there wasn't an open seat, Cody. What are they going to do? Stuff the corpse in the bathroom?
I actually think that they should get moved to one of the emergency rows. You have agreed to help in an emergency. This is on you now. If I'm a person who sat in a regular seat,
seats are full,
taking no responsibility, switch. The dead body goes to the emergency row, and somebody who agreed to help in case of emergency,
I think
got to deal with the dead body. You know what? I think that's a fair way to do it. I did not agree to help in emergency. I'm just sitting row C.
This woman, though, they don't want to move the body that much. She collapsed. Unfortunately, she dies. They put her up in the seat. They cover her.
Could you just put her in the bathroom?
Like I said, they can't throw her in the bathroom.
Just close it?
No, they covered her with a blanket for the rest of the. It's a 15-hour flight. What they do? They can't just turn her around in the middle of the ocean. They were closer to going to the destination. Probably they were 4 hours away.
I think to Cody's point,
put it in the bathroom. Put it in the emergency row.
I don't
you
know.
Can't just let me sit next to a dead body with a blanket over its head.
Don't put her in the Don't put them in the bathroom.
Where do you guys want them to put the body? The seats are full.
I think Cody is right. Where the emergency row be like, hey, we have an extreme emergency situation. it was fully full. Like it was packed.
15-hour flight. Usually these are full planes. Yeah.
I think we need more investigation, because if there was any open seat, you could finagle the seats enough to where they're in the row by themselves.
Like, I think that they should make a one-time FAA rule that at least I can like sit in like the jump seat in the cockpit. Like, you can't make me sit directly next to a dead body.
Here's the detail. I mean, this is terrible, obviously. 10 hours into the flight, a woman exited the restroom, collapsed just right there after going to the bathroom, and died in front of them. They did everything they could, but unfortunately the lady couldn't be saved, which was pretty heartbreaking to watch. The flight crew then put the woman's body in an empty seat next to a couple for the remaining 4 hours of the flight. They looked a bit frustrated. Then they just looked at me and saw seats were available beside me. My wife was on the other side. We were in a row of 4. They said, "Can you move over, please?" Yeah, no problem. Then they didn't know they were about to place the body next to them. And
oh no,
that's way worse.
It wasn't even put her in her. Okay, first off, just put her. I think that you agree to an emergency. I stand by this. You handle every emergency. I don't care what it is. You sit in those seats. You've made your peace. And I sit in those seats sometimes. You've made your decision. But like, can they not?
So you want
there's
any
jump
emergency?
seats for like. There's seats for like the
flight attendants.
The flight attendants. Can't they just go in one of those? I think we got to move this body away from regular people, dude.
So put the body in the front of the plane.
Yes.
Any way that you can.
Well, you're gonna get it off first, aren't you?
Too close to first class, probably. They probably didn't want to, mess up their vibes up there.
Dude, you better be offering me tickets for life. Like, I better be. The lawsuit I would rain down upon you.
For what, emotional
distress? If you made me sit next to a dead body with a blanket over it for 4 hours.
It's not like they. The fact is that, according to what you said, they asked them to move over and then put them in the seat next.
Yeah, they said
that is a lawsuit.
There was an empty
100%.
seat, one empty seat next to this couple. The flight attendants came by and said, "Do you mind scooting over? We need this seat." They said, "Sure, no problem." Then the dead body comes and is sitting next to them.
See,
was that the original seat for the lady?
I do not know.
Because that would be a follow.
I do not know.
If
Yeah,
you're
put it
putting
back
her
in the original.
screw that, dude. Bad luck. You can't be putting her in my row if she wasn't sitting next to me originally.
I think I would have.
That's why.
I think I would have the couple sound like they were pretty calm about it. I think I would have flipped out. I'd be like, "There's no way you're sitting me next to this dead person for the next 4 hours of the flight."
At the very least, you'd be like, lady, right now, I don't know how many airplane bottles of Jack you got back there, but you better start giving them to me now for the rest of this flight. I'm
not paying for anything.
Grab a fistful, and then when you come back here in a few seconds, throw a few more fistful at me, because I'm not doing this. I think I'd be like you. I would be losing it if they were just like, "Here's this. I'm sorry,
this person have a heart attack." Like they said, she left the restroom and then she just collapsed and just died in front of them.
Things happen, especially like altitude. Like different stuff can happen with your body too. Who knows?
Yeah.
10 hours into the flight.
I do wonder though, did the flight attendants get together and at least talk through the options, or was that option number one where, hey, can
they
you please
probably
move
didn't want
over?
the body next to them?
The safety and the comfort of our passengers is of paramount importance to us. Is what it says.
As a result, you're not doing what they did.
I don't know.
Someone says a toilet area or gallery area could be blocked off, but said the crew are required to keep a certain number of toilets available. Okay, so we break the one FAA rule this time. Dead body. Are there not contingencies? There are no, like, we can't alter one small thing? Like, because, I don't know, man. I don't know. Someone said the person they interviewed for this, who's like an experienced flight attendant, said in their experience, a crew would normally try to isolate the body.
Oh, I thought you were about to say ice the body. I thought you were about to say, okay, go ahead.
For the respect and the privacy and for medical reasons.
Yeah.
Also, isn't there like a health violation? Like, I'm assuming it can't be good for me health-wise.
It's only 4 hours. What do you think's going to happen to you?
No, man.
That's 4 hours. Health-wise, you can sue for emotional distress. What health emergency were you having sitting next to a dead body? You would
I'm having a panic attack. That's for sure.
Emotional distress.
Yeah,
you're not going to catch a disease because you're sitting next to a dead person for 4 hours. At that point, is the smell hitting you yet?
I think so.
That's what I'm wondering. That's what I'm wondering.
Like, because they say you.
Not always, but you can evacuate your bowels.
That's right.
Is that the way you're trying
I was going to say crap yourself, but yeah.
Yeah, whatever it takes.
Mm-hmm. Someone said, "Oh, geez, the text line's got some fun puns now." You see the top text? No, it was not a trip there. Someone says, "Was it a trip to Corpus Christi?" No, it was not. It was a trip to Doha from Melbourne, Australia.
I do think, Gold, there'd be a point like of
someone said just throw them in the cargo hold. They can't they can't treat the body like trash.
Also, like, real quick question. People always say, like, chivalry's dead. Is an ultimate act of chivalry, let's just say they ask you to scoot over, your wife's in the middle seat now, you're in the
I think you have to.
No.
Your wife, you have
No
to
way.
take.
Yes.
Follow-up question. Do you have to switch seats with your wife to sit next to the dead body so they don't have to?
Yes.
I think
That's not even a question.
I actually think it's just dependent on which person is freaking out more. I do not think that this is a gendered chivalry thing, and this is just a who can handle it better.
Now, they were 10 hours
situation.
in the flight. Like, I'm just like, this flight, they already had their meal probably, but otherwise, like, were they going to come by? Like, would you like some more peanuts? And you're just like, oh, sure, let me reach over the dead person and grab the peanuts on this flight or whatever.
could you fundamentally focus on it? Like,
No.
I would try to put like a movie on or something, but that's not going to work.
No, it would be the most miserable 4 hours of your life, I think, on
You'd
a
be
flight.
counting. You'd be looking at your watch constantly.
You're not going to put on a movie. Let me put on a comedy. Let me go put on a comedy and watch that while there's a dead person
I'm not
next
a
to me.
movie person
Now,
anyway,
it's a hell of
so
a
I
story
wouldn't.
the rest of your life. The rest of your life, it's unbelievable.
I don't even know if you'd be able to, like, because normally for me, I know everybody's a little bit different. I don't know what you guys do on a flight. If you are always movies, if you're music only. I'm music only. I don't know if I'd
On
be
flights?
able to.
Oh, I watch movies and stuff.
I don't know if I'd be able to I don't know if I'd be able to.
Someone said, moral of the story, yeah, neither of you could be
To
nurses.
pay attention.
Nurses or work in ER based on how you guys are talking. Look, here's the thing, and props to those of you that do, but you kind of expect that. There's a chance that could happen in your job. I'm just a random dude on the flight. I don't expect a dead person right there next to me.
I'm not freaked out by a dead person when I'm at a funeral. I anticipated the dead body being there.
Okay.
Like, I'm flying
Someone says,
on an
watch
airline.
Weekend at Bernie's. No, I hear you.
That'd be like at a funeral, they asked me for 4 hours to lay next to it in the casket. Like, there's a difference.
How would you feel if they were still like on the plane? Like if you knew they were on the plane, obviously
that'd be weird,
awkward.
but at least you don't let me see
next
it.
to me.
Yeah. Now this was on again an overseas flight. If this was like Spirit Airlines, they might have just opened the door and tossed the body out. They might have. I'm not sure. They might have just done that on Spirit.
Jeez.
They might have.
Just toss it. Crank the window down. I like it. Not even like realistic ways planes work. Ugh. That's a nightmare. That sounds horrible. Not what we were planning on talking about. We're going to talk about the Royals' playoff chances, but we can do that with her.
We got a little sidetracked, but you brought up, am I going to be all right from choking on a chip? And it reminded me of the person that died on a flight that I saw yesterday.
You die
That was
now,
a
and then I
rabbit
got to do
hole.
the next 90 minutes while Gold's body is dead there. Like, well, we'll get it eventually. Coming up next, we'll talk to Josh Vernier.
So you're saying similar in this situation, you would almost have to be. You would almost be. You'd be held hostage in the studio. No, you're finishing these. You're finishing the show. It's an hour and a half. You're finishing the rest of it.
Sometimes the hand of the corpse, like all of a sudden it just slowly like leans. There's a little turbulence. The body shifts a little. It's on you.
Ugh. I mean, I would hope they'd like strap it down or something.
What, you think they put the seatbelt on the corpse? No way.
You have to, dude.
What, you think they buckled
Have to.
You think they buckled in the corpse?
Yes, I think they might like ratchet strap it.
Oh my!
You got to make sure it's
gosh.
not flying around. It's like a loose piece of luggage. They make you put your thing in the overhead bin.
Okay, maybe.
Man.
Yeah.
I feel like we need to move on from this conversation.
Well, it's time to go to a break anyway.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Up next, we'll talk about the track record of getting back to a postseason for the Royals. Plus, we'll talk to Josh Vernier out in Arizona next.
This is Cody and Gold on your new home for K-State Athletics. 96.5, The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
Jefferson's Wings, Burgers, Oysters, located in Lenexa and North Kansas City, proud lunch partner of Cody and Gold.
Gain Super Flings are here to take your laundry to the next level.
Talking about Gain Super Flings. Super size laundry packs. These things are huge. Super fresh, super clean. Gain Super Flings.
Gain Super Flings laundry packs have 4 times the Oxy cleaning power and 3 times the Febreze freshness versus Gain Original Liquid.
Super fresh, super clean. Gain Super Flings.
Gain Super Flings for next level laundry.
Pheasants Forever's National Pheasant Fest and Quail Classic is coming to the Kansas City Convention Center this March 7th through the 9th. Join us for puppy and dog training seminars, a youth village for kids, pollinator and wildlife habitat hunting gear in the 20th anniversary of Quail Forever. It's National Pheasant Fest and Quail Classic the weekend of March 7th. Presented by Pheasants Forever, Quail Forever, and Federal Ammunition. For more information, log on to pheasantfest.org.
Hey, KC, when I discovered my new passion, I dove into social media, got on some shows, and soon almost Andy Reid was born. But this winter, there's something new you might discover that's not as great. Issues with your garage door. Don't get stuck in the cold. Get your annual maintenance check for just $100 or a free replacement quote from my friends at Renner Garage Door. They carry top brands like Delden, Amar, and LiftMaster, trusted locally since 1956.
RENNER, RENNER.
Listen, you've been making house payments for years, right? And right now your home's value has never been higher, right? That means you're likely sitting on a small fortune in equity. And good for you. That's cash you could use to help secure your retirement, solve all your financial burdens, enable you to travel everything you want. The catch is, you're not ready to move. No problem. You don't have to with TrueHold. Sell and stay leaseback program. It's a genius financial strategy. You sell your home to TrueHold while its value is high. You bank all the equity in cash now, and you can stay as long as you like with an easy, affordable lease. And TrueHold pays property taxes, insurance, and maintenance. TrueHold unlocks your wealth without uprooting your life. Get a TrueHold offer now while your home's value is sky high. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit TrueHold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out without moving out. TrueHold.com.
New treatments for joint pain are here. By now you've heard about regenerative medicine. If you're wondering if you're a good candidate, answer these questions. First, does chronic pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, or other joints keep you from doing the things you enjoy? Golfing, jogging, time with the family. Does it hurt doing the things you need to do, like getting out of bed, sleeping, working, and walking? And finally, do you want to avoid surgery and all of the pain, long recovery, and uncertainty that comes with it? If you answered yes to any of those, you need to call QC Kinetics now. Learn about exciting advancements in regenerative treatments that can give you long-lasting pain relief with no drugs, no surgery, and no downtime. Get your free consultation today. Call QC Kinetics. That's QC Kinetics. Here's the phone number.
Call now, 816-412-6299. That's 816-412-6299. QC Kinetics, 816-412-6299.
I'm at a smoothie bar, asking people if they'd switch smoothies with me for $574.
Oh, I'll switch.
So what about $574 if you switch your home insurance to Allstate?
That's a headache.
Nope, it's painless.
Oh, so it's easy money.
Yep, check Allstate first and you could save hundreds on quality home insurance today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Not available in every state. Based on the national average annual savings for new home insurance customers surveyed in 2023 who switched to Allstate and reported savings. Savings vary.
Spring forward with real unlimited data from Straight Talk this tax season and get a free Samsung Galaxy A16 5G or Moto G Power 5G 2024 with select plans. So you can stream games during Mad March hours, check the weather for April showers, and watch gardening videos about May flowers. Straight Talk, real unlimited data. Available at Walmart and straighttalk.com. Offer valid through 4/15/25. Taxes and fees apply. Requires purchase of single line Gold Unlimited plan or higher. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com.
Saving for retirement was tough enough for us.
Yes, and navigating markets can be challenging at times.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we take a disciplined approach with your investments.
Tell us more about that.
We take an active approach to money management, positioning your portfolio for opportunities we see ahead.
So all your clients get the same portfolio?
No, we tailor your portfolio to your individual goals and needs.
What about communication? We don't like being left in the dark.
We check in regularly to keep you informed on the markets and your portfolio.
Which means you'll help us stay on track.
Yes, our goal is your comfortable retirement. And as a fiduciary, we always put your interests first, because we do better when you do better. At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Huge news. Right now at Wendy's, you can get a Son of Baconator for just $3.
I don't think you understand this situation. The Son of Baconator is only $3 for a limited time. You know, smoked bacon, rich melted cheese. That Son of Baconator is only $3. Thank you to whoever wished upon that star. For bacon that just won't quit, gotta be Wendy's.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii, not valid in a combo or in third-party delivery platforms.
After you use Bounce Dryer sheets and realize how fresh, soft, less wrinkled, and less staticky your laundry can be, you'll put a sheet on your every time. Like those socks that smell like they've been through a marathon. Put a sheet on it. Or that blanket that's got wrinkles on its wrinkles. Put a sheet on it. Maybe even your chatty coworker who keeps distracting you. Okay, Bounce Dryer sheets can't do it all. But for fresher, softer, better laundry, put a sheet on it with Bounce.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios.
We're going to head out to Arizona here in about 10 minutes or so. Josh Vernier, our Royals insider, he's got his Hot Stove Show coming your way tomorrow at 6 o'clock.
I'm going to ask him what he thinks about dead bodies on a plane,
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, it's one of the all-time stories. One of the all-time stories. My guess is our buddy Troy will say he was on that flight and had to deal with that.
He actually died and had to come back to life.
Well, yeah,
and then
no,
sit next to a different dead body.
he was part of the couple that had to sit next to him, actually. Jeez.
Have we seen any more about him? Has he made up any more lies? Have you been following it?
I think he moved on.
Did he block
as if he
you?
didn't fake being on a plane crash.
I'm going to have to friend him just so I can.
No, he didn't unfriend me. He didn't block me.
Okay.
Nope. He is moving on with his life as if he didn't make up. He was in a plane crash. Nope, no big deal.
Just not acknowledging that.
Nope, just moving on with life till the next lie.
Is he at the combine?
No.
Did they ask him to work out to be the Jets quarterback or
Nope, haven't seen anything like that, man. No.
The Jets actually wanted him to replace anybody who they're losing on the defensive line because if we remember
The
right, he's
gear.
the defensive end.
No, the gear is.
They wanted him to come out of retirement.
He probably can't keep track of all the lies, though. That's the point.
Yeah, no, the gear is currently parked. And if you don't know the story, last week on the show, you can check out a podcast from last Friday. We talked about with Mackenzie Nelson as well. Just a wild media story is all that is. All right, let's talk about the Royals before Vern joins us as well, because you were looking back a little bit at some trends, how teams that make the postseason fare the following year. We know the Royals had their first postseason appearance since 2015.
And it's not good. I wanted to come on here and be like, you know what? When you start making the playoffs in Major League Baseball, oh boy, do you start ripping them off. No, it's 50% from last year. It's around that number over the last 5 years in all of baseball. But I think the biggest and scariest part about it for me is that that's including teams that go every year and have the financial ability to do so. For instance, the Dodgers are juicing these stats because the Dodgers go to the playoffs every year, Gold. They're not part of the 50%. They're immediately discounted. For the most part, I would say the Yankees are not a part of the 50%. They have a $300 million payroll. They're not worried about whether or not they're going to make the postseason or not. So really, in true odds perspective, over the last 5 years, the Royals' chances historically to go back to the postseason are like 35% or 40%. It is a much tougher hill to climb. And we'll ask Vern this in a second. Other than injury, which is, I just say, anybody's case any year, what's the pitfall? What is the reason why that these teams are missing? And a lot of times I think it's because it is hard to be consistent for 162 games 2 times in a row. It is easy to blow 7 or 8 more games and 162 chances, Gold, miss the playoffs by 4 games. It's not like it's a small statistical variance that can cause you to miss the postseason.
Yeah, it doesn't take much.
Sometimes.
It's going to be a close race again. I mean, we've seen the projections that are out there for this division that had 3 playoff teams. There's a lot of people that believe it's going to be 3-4 teams within 5 games of each other again in a really tight race. So that leaves little margin for error. I think most Royals fans, though, if you would say the percentage of making it back, they'll say, well, yeah, I mean, depending on how old you are, if you're my age, I've seen the Royals in the playoffs 3 times. That's it. In 34 years.
Yeah,
so
the big market teams, the Astros, don't have a hard time going back consistently.
But we always point out what happened in 2002 has 0 bearing on the 2025 team, or what didn't happen in 2017 has no bearing on this team now.
But I'm just saying, the last 5 years, you're not likely to get back to the postseason if you're a playoff team.
I hear you. Now, I still think if you're a fan, I don't know how your expectation is not playoffs and or winning the division. I told you my expectation is for them to win the division. It'll be a disappointment if they do not make the postseason. This is a team that comes into the year with a very similar roster, but they added a leadoff hitter. Their bullpen looks like it's going to be way better. The question will be, without Brady Singer, what's the rotation look like? Does Lugo regress? Does Walker regress? And yeah, as you said, the health. The rest of the division, if the Tigers would have gone out and got Alex Bregman, I would say, oh boy, they're the favorites. They're the favorites to go out and win this division. But they didn't. They're going to be competitive. They got some really young, talented players still that are like eligible for Rookie of the Year even, that got some playing time last year there in Detroit. They just didn't play enough games, I think, to be eligible. So they're still eligible this year. And we all know that Minnesota, when they're healthy, for them, their middle of the order is about as good as anybody in the division. So it's gonna be very, very close. I don't think you should let your past Royals fandom make you think that this team is not capable of going back-to-back. Because if you're just saying, oh, that's crazy, they never go back-to-back other than 14 and 15. I understand that, but I think this year's team is better positioned to do that than even maybe even next year's team, depending on how we see Lugo and these guys pitch. Like this, to me, that could still be their best shot at a postseason again for a year or two. I understand you're excited about Jack Caglione and everything, but there's a chance that the starting pitching is not as good in a year from now. And the Salvy's a year older. I know that for a fact he'll be a year older. So, that would be my concern. I think this is a year for them to really make some hay.
That is how age works. I do think that, I think because they have a qualified major league lineup that could return for all of next year, and the entire rotation can pretty much return under contract if they want to next year, that another year of developing your system, I likely think that they are in a better spot this year. The other part about this is the Central, as you mentioned. Last year, the Cleveland Guardians, Royals, and they had three, right? And the Tigers all made the postseason.
Because the Twins fell off a cliff.
None of those teams made the postseason the year before. So that's three brand new teams.
The division as a whole was a shock, right?
Yeah. And then the year before that, Minnesota, as we had mentioned, made it. The year before that, it wasn't Minnesota. It was Cleveland. And then you're like, okay, well, then what happened? So Cleveland made it in 2022. Who was the AL Central's representative in 2021? Was it the Guardians again? No. They, in particular, and this is another interesting thing about this, is that the AL Central is essentially they're a huge part of this problem, Gold. They, as a division, do not return teams to the postseason. You make it your year, you fall back to 81 wins, then you get back to the postseason maybe 3 years later and it's mostly just been the Twins and the Guardians trading places back and forth with the Royals and Tigers not even factoring into this decision for a number of years or playing a part in this decision for a number of years. So I get that that's part of it, and maybe the fact that those teams had been so bad for so long, including Kansas City for nearly a decade, that maybe that's a part of it. I just the more I think about it, I feel like getting the postseason be a real accomplishment.
Well, sure. I mean,
rather than talking about it from the disappointment end, I'm going to be really impressed with this team's ability to get back to the postseason, considering everything I know they're working against historically, which is you are almost twice as likely to miss the playoffs historically than you are to make it.
Right, but your expectation is still for them to do that or win the division, right? Okay, yeah. I mean,
I not win the division. I don't know if I'm there. I think they can win the division. I'd like them to compete for the division, but just be in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be thrilled if they're back in the postseason, but I think the bar has been raised, and maybe you think the bar is raised just by saying you expect them to be in the postseason. That's fair. I think the bar is raised for me that they should be truly competing for a division title and be right there. And they were pretty darn close last year. If Vinny doesn't get hurt, it's still a big what if. I don't know. If he doesn't get hurt,
they got so much worse offensively when he got hurt.
And freak injury for a week too. The whole team I feel like was just a mess.
Was it the Urseg play?
That's what got him hurt? Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah. And Urseg felt terrible about it. Remember at the time?
Yeah, it's a freak injury.
It's a fluky play. Yeah, it was a fluky play.
He still got the piece of metal from the surgery. Honestly, it's pretty impressive. He got back on the field.
Yes. Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
I can't believe he came back.
That was a big deal at the time. Now, I know in the postseason, he would tell you, he didn't perform the way he was hoping to perform. He clearly was still hurt. He still had metal in his finger. But
that's the funny thing. People are never going to use excuses because, we heard Brett Veach talk about Travis Kelce and said he was really sick. He was battling a severe illness, I think is the way Brett Veach put it in the Super Bowl. Not heard that from Travis Kelce. He's not here to make excuses. Vinny would never be like, my thumb stopped me from playing good baseball in the postseason. You just be like, I didn't perform well enough. I still should have hit. I was good enough to be on the field, and I'm good enough to hit, which is generally, I feel like, athletes' perspective on it, which is a good one. That's the way I think high-level competitors treat it.
Let's talk more about this conversation as our Royals insider Josh Vernier is going to join us from Arizona. His Hot Stove Show comes your way tomorrow night at 6 o'clock here on 96.5 The Fan. Vern, we were just talking about the history of, even with the expanded postseason, 50% of the teams that made the playoffs in 2023 missed the following year, just how difficult it is to get back there. But I said to Cody, my expectation is still playoffs, and honestly, my expectation is for them to have a real chance to compete for a division title this year. Where are you at, knowing that history would tell you most teams don't go to the postseason in back-to-back years unless you're, the Dodgers or the Yankees and some of these larger payrolls?
Well, I think you look around the division, and with 3 of the 5 teams making it to October a season ago, we know one of them is likely to return coming up in 2025. No, I think that should be the expectation. That's certainly the expectation that the organization put forth throughout the offseason. And, juxtaposed to the rest of the teams in the American League Central, I don't believe there was a squad as aggressive as Kansas City. Detroit made an offer at Alex Bregman. They bring in a Jack Flaherty and a Gleyber Torres, but them falling short of a Bregman, to me, gives the crown of the offseason champions in the division to the Kansas City Royals. Listen, it's tough to do it again, but when I look at Cleveland, I think this is a conversation they should be having. Sure, they still have a terrific bullpen, but without Shane Bieber for most of the season, losing their protection for Jose Ramirez. Honestly, I don't know why anyone would pitch to Jose Ramirez this season with Carlos Santana hitting behind him instead of a guy in Josh Naylor. Minnesota could be that team that knocks out a Cleveland, that knocks Detroit out, but the difficulty of going to the postseason back-to-back years in no way has me trepidatious about my expectations for this team. Now, are there concerns? Is this going to be a battle of attrition? It normally is over the course of 162, especially when you're in the division where, again, 4 teams, 4 cities, I would have to believe, all think that they're going to, taste that sweet nectar of October baseball. Twins, Guardians, Royals, Tigers. That's the expectation in all 4 camps.
Too early to probably know yet for sure, Vern, but I'm guessing the biggest pitfall concern is, other than injury, which is the obvious thing, is maybe the lineup 5 through 9? Is that the weakest part of the team right now?
Yeah. Honestly, I don't think there's much debate about that. And that's why we're seeing Michael Massey and Jonathan India get this opportunity in left field. Now, do I really believe that the organization wants to throw a second baseman in left field, whether it's the maybe less athletic Jonathan India or the lesser of the 2 arms in Michael Massey? No, I don't think they want to do that, but they acknowledge what you just mentioned. The weak link of this team is the offense. The thing that's dragged this team down quite often last season was every hitter not named Bobby, Vinny, or Salvy. But listen, if MJ gets off to another slow start, that opens the door for Michael Massey in left field. If Hunter Renfroe struggles in right, okay, you move MJ over to right, and then, whichever second baseman isn't at second, that's the guy that we see in left field. So I feel like they have more protection in case Michael Garcia, MJ Melendez, or Hunter Renfroe have their inconsistent April, May, June starts to the season. I feel like they're better protected for disappointment than they have been in the previous few seasons, right? We're not evaluating like we were in 2023. It's not MJ's job the way that it was in 2024. Only thing that we know, Jonathan India's in the lineup every single day and hitting at the top. Now, is he at second? Is he at third? Is he in left? The question will ultimately come down to who else is hitting. Massey, MJ, Hunter Renfroe, Michael Garcia. You're going to see, I would have to believe, a better offense this season. But the question is, let's say that India and Massey get off to a nice start. Are they building this team from where they were last season, or are they offsetting the understandable regression from a 34, 35-year-old Salvador Perez, from a Vinny Pasquantino, can he put up the kind of numbers that he did last season? To answer your question, yes, that is the weak link of this team, but I obviously believe they have far more depth this season than they did over the past two campaigns.
I was going to ask you about Salvy. You referenced him just there in passing. He's going to be 35 in early May. Last year, I don't want to say a resurgence, but he certainly put together a great year and had some of his best numbers in a couple of years. Silver Slugger Award winner as well. How has he looked, and is there any reason to be concerned that, hey, Father Time, this is the year?
No, I have no concern other than history, right?
Gotcha.
No concern other than exactly what you're talking about, Father Time being undefeated. No, it's wild, actually, watching Salvy inside the clubhouse as, the veteran that Edinson Volquez is hanging out with. There are some other former Royals greats in the building. James Shields is back. Your boy Joakim Soria is back, and they all kind of find themselves to Salvy's locker and talk about the old days. But I'll tell you what, man, it's wild watching Salvy on these backfields for a guy that, yes, I understand, he's the captain, he's the future Hall of Famer, he's probably the second greatest Royal career that we've ever seen thus far. But his relentless encouragement of his teammates, his constant prodding to take that rep better, go harder on the base pass. It doesn't matter what day you show up out here in Arizona. If you're on the backfields, I promise you'll hear the 34-year-old voice of Salvador Perez still as loud as the guy that I started covering, 13 years ago, the guy that was just bringing a different type of energy. Now that energy and that voice carries so much more weight, and the way that he uses it is endlessly impressive.
You went back and you had mentioned Michael Massey out there in left field. How did you think the debut out there went?
I thought he looked terrific. Now, he had, 3 opportunities, 3 fly balls. The first 2 ended up in the mitts. The second ended up banging off the wall as he took a questionable route on, a fly ball that was, as they tend to, bend towards the foul line out there in left. And look, he just needs reps. But to me, he is a slightly better athlete, slightly looser hips than Jonathan India. I thought he looked adequate out there. But again, like I said yesterday, MJ Melendez is still the better athlete of the 3. I think is still the better left fielder of the 3. And again, Michael Massey getting those opportunities yesterday out here in a spring training game, his first real competition in the outfield since he was a little kid. So I am going to obviously grade them on a curve, but I thought Massey looked comfortable and certainly looked well prepared. You guys have talked to him enough. He is he's a dirtbag in the best possible way. He eats, breathes, and sleeps and thinks baseball 24/7. You're not going to catch him flat-footed, and you're certainly not going to catch him make the same mistake twice. So the questionable route, the banana route that he took to the ball yesterday, although understandable for your first time out, I don't think we'll see that again. I was encouraged with what I saw from Michael.
I always view it as like, for a guy who approached the team first about left field, there's no way he's not going to bust his ass to do it, They didn't even ask him yet. He's like, hey, I'll play left. And you're like, whoa, we weren't even asking you to. Like, I'll go to the outfield, whatever you need. That, to me, is usually a pretty good indicator of a guy who's going to, get way better as the season goes.
Yeah, and a guy that understands, as we've, has become kind of a theme of this camp, whatever it takes to get my name in the lineup, get my name in that 26-man roster, and help this team get back to the postseason. I was listening to a very colorful James Shields give a little pep talk to the clubhouse earlier today, and man, the focus was on the postseason, being the best teammate that you can possibly be, and truly giving a blank about the guy next to you in the dugout, in the locker room, truly investing in the team, in your teammates, in the organization. Again, man, I'm not going to say it's 2015. It's, those guys were out to kill people. Mm-hmm. They wanted blood in 2015, but it's not far from that. I would say the only difference is they're just a lot younger. Bobby's too sweet to want blood. But when Hosmer and Moose and Gordo showed up, man, those guys were killers. There's a killer inside of Bob. He just doesn't let you see it all that often.
Before we let you go, just a random question, no reason at all. Have you ever sat on a plane next to a dead person while you were flying?
I don't think so, but going into the 2015 ALDS in Houston, flying down there on my birthday, the day before my birthday is my wife's birthday, we went out and got trashed. And I'm sitting there between two elderly people, and the starburst shots that we were taking the night before all of a sudden started to make an appearance. I could not get up, so I let it go into my little soda cup and then just sat there for the with a cup of throw up next to these two elderly folks.
God, they must have hated you.
Oh, that's awful. No, we were saying there was a story, an actual flight, 15-hour flight from Australia to Doha, and unfortunately, 10 hours into the flight, a woman collapsed and died. But they put the corpse.
Oh my gosh!
It's awful.
They covered her with a blanket.
They covered her with a blanket, and they put her in an open seat next to a couple that had to sit next to this corpse for 4 hours. So
my stance for Vern,
exactly.
is that they should move the body to the emergency exit row. You signed up for this speech and to help in an emergency. Get your ass next to the dead body.
And have but they have to confirm, like the dead person would have to say, yes, I can open this door if needed.
Verbal confirmation. Yeah, you need verbal confirmation. That's true. We were just going through all the scenarios. Do you think they strap in the body? Like, is that thing buckled up?
Oh, yeah. You got to probably strap in the head, too, right? Or else that'll just be bobbing around like an infant.
That's no good, man.
All
just
right.
a worst-case scenario.
Thanks, Vern.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There you go. Tomorrow night, he's got his hot stove show, 6 o'clock here on 96.5 The Fan. That Vern just throwing up in a cup and you got to get up and go to the bathroom, Vern, and dump the cup out. Get rid of the cup. You can't just have the throw-up cup sitting in front of you.
How close was it? How close to the end of the flight?
Yeah, now look, if they're like, hey, you got to remain seated, we're landing in 20 minutes, then I get it. You probably just have to soak it up. But if it's, if you got an hour still in the flight, you got to hit the call button if you have to, like, explain, hey, I just threw up in this cup. Can I please go remove this cup? These poor people are sitting next to my throw up.
He said as an elderly couple, too, so they're probably like, oh, dearie. By the way, if that's the case, you just got to pretend like just whatever bug got you. You can't be like, I got you drunk last night.
But you just think of stomach bug.
Lie. You got to lie like, oh, bug got me. I don't know.
Bad food last night, this morning. Bad lunch at the airport.
Yeah. Shouldn't have eaten that sandwich, I guess.
So Vern brings this up. I dry heaved on an airplane once in the airplane bathroom.
Drinking too much?
I didn't feel like I did. I think, like you mentioned earlier, altitude can change you. So I didn't feel like I had. It was flying back from Vegas, but I really didn't feel like I had much to drink. And all of a sudden, I'm sitting in the plane. I'm like, I feel like I need to throw up. So I go in the bathroom. I dry heaved, and then I was good to go.
Just dry heaved, huh?
Yeah,
that's a good one.
This was probably like 6 years ago.
Still, that's the worst feeling. Oh, I'm gonna puke in a bathroom.
Well, on the plane, you're just like, I gotta get up. I gotta get out of the seat, and then you gotta, and then the bathroom's tiny, and then also like throwing up, like it's bad enough, but like in a, the thing's dirt,
Yeah,
it's not like you're when you puke. Usually, you're not standing up, so you kind of lean
over. Or it's
over.
your own toilet, at least. It's not like 10 stranger asses has been on it since the last time they even looked at it.
Yep.
Not a good scenario.
All right, up next, we'll talk about what Brett Veach had to say. Something occurred during the Super Bowl. We didn't know. Nobody knew until now. And we'll have a random question of the day.
You're listening to Cody and Gold, brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com. Josh Vernier joins the show every day at 12:45, live from spring training, right here on your home for Royals baseball, 96.5, The Fan.
March is almost here, and college basketball is reaching its most exciting stretch of the season. Right now, new customers on FanDuel can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $150 extra bucks to bet on everything from conference clashes to tournament upsets, and even who's cutting down the nets. If you've been waiting to join FanDuel, there's no better time. The app is easy to use, and when you win, you'll get paid instantly. So visit FanDuel.com/Alex and get in on the college hoops action before March takes over. FanDuel is an official sports betting partner of 96.5 The Fan. 21 and present in Kansas. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
I had the worst dream last night. You were in a car crash, and the kids and I were on our own. We had to move out of the house because I couldn't afford it anymore.
That's awful, hon.
My brother was saying he got life insurance from Ethos. With Ethos, it only took 10 minutes, and he got $2 million in coverage for around $2 a day. It's all online. No medical exam. He just answered a few health questions right from his house.
Ethos, here we come.
Visit getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
Sample rate is a 10-year term life policy for 35-year-old healthy, non-smoking male. Billed monthly.
You still thinking job change in the new year?
Yeah, I need something that's in high demand and more stable in this economy.
IT?
Yeah, cybersecurity, maybe even AI.
That's what I did.
Really? How?
Went to My Computer Career. You don't need any prior experience, and you could start your new career in a matter of months. A lot of IT pros go to school there, too, to level up.
Sweet. Are classes online or on campus?
Both.
Well, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Make this your year. Take the free career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students.
Taxes was not knowing your full financial picture. Now Taxes is getting and maximizing your refund all in one place. Credit Karma, where a TurboTax expert can do your taxes for you. They'll get you the most money back, guaranteed. Then you can do more with all that money, all in Credit Karma. Now this is Taxes. Intuit Credit Karma with TurboTax. Get started today. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees. Experts only available with TurboTax Live.
Men, this is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health. The one you love is the light of your life. And if you're like most of us, you want to do whatever you can to nurture your relationship. But if you're suffering with erectile dysfunction, you know the impacts the condition is likely having on you and your partner. ED is a relationship destroyer. It can contribute to depression, distancing, conflicts, and even breakups and divorce. And what's so disturbing about this is that most men who suffer with ED can be successfully treated, but a lot of guys don't seek treatment when they should. At Heartland Men's Health, we have protocols that are effective in well over 90% of cases. In fact, if you're like most guys, you could be having great sex within a day or two of your first appointment, and maybe find you're performing like you haven't in a long time. So call Heartland Men's Health today. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600 or go to heartlandmenshealth.com. We have 3 offices, Overland Park, Independence, and North Kansas City.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6812. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6812. That's 800-575-6812.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Saving for retirement was tough enough for us.
Yes, and navigating markets can be challenging at times.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we take a disciplined approach with your investments.
Tell us more about that.
We take an active approach to money management, positioning your portfolio for opportunities we see ahead.
So all your clients get the same portfolio?
No. We tailor your portfolio to your individual goals and needs.
What about communication? We don't like being left in the dark.
We check in regularly to keep you informed on the markets and your portfolio.
Which means you'll help us stay on track.
Yes. Our goal is your comfortable retirement. And as a fiduciary, we always put your interest first. Because we do better when you do better. At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Go check out 96.5 The Fan's Instagram page for videos, giveaways, and behind-the-scenes content. Your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5 The Fan, KFNC FM and AM, HD1 and HD2, Kansas City, an Odyssey sports station.
1 o'clock hour. I'm looking over across the way. Drew's on the phone right now. I feel like it's a family member or something. He's on the work phone. It's a number from Kokomo, Indiana. Talk
Is that
about
a
random.
real place?
Kokomo, Indiana. I mean, clearly it is. And Drew's having a good convo. Kokomo?
Like, is it spelled like this?
How far is Kokomo? Yeah, I think it is. How far is Kokomo?
Jamaica. Do they have a song, but it's just different Indiana cities?
I don't think so.
How far is that from Indianapolis? Who was this?
So, it was a listener actually,
From Kokomo.
a Chiefs fan who lives in Indy. It's more it was a 765 area code, which is one of the one of the 3 area codes I believe in Indy now because they got a third one.
Okay.
It's not Kokomo exactly.
But the number said Kokomo. I like saying Kokomo.
Came through as Kokomo. Kokomo is probably about a 30. It's probably about a 45-minute drive, I would say, an hour drive, maybe from like the center of Indianapolis.
But he's probably, he's probably loyal to his hometown team. He's probably a Colts fan, right?
No, he is a Chiefs fan.
What's he calling into this show?
He's a Chiefs fan? Why did he switch?
He is a Chiefs fan and a defender. He said, I am a defender of the Chiefs. He is all-in defender of the Kansas City
So he wanted
Chiefs.
to talk smack to you.
No, he just wanted to say what's up because he knows I'm from Indy and everything like that. So,
okay. Nice.
But hey,
Glad you picked it up.
There are people from other cities who don't cheer for their hometown teams. You know, it's
Here's the
not
deal.
just
If
me.
your number is an Indiana area code, Drew is required to pick up the phone and talk to you. It has to be an Indiana number.
You have an Indy number.
Then he has to talk to you.
I mean, if it's an Indy number, it'd be 765 or it'd be 317. So,
thinking of Indiana, we know that the combine is in Indianapolis, and while we had Brett Veach join us to talk about Travis Kelce's future, one thing he told a national outlet yesterday was something that was going on during the Super Bowl, which maybe makes more sense with those that watch Travis Kelce's performance.
This year, I mean, we're never going to make excuses and talk about it, but I mean, he was battling with pretty big illness there for the Super Bowl, but listen, the way the Eagles played, it wouldn't have made a difference.
Last part's key because nobody's saying if Kelce wasn't sick that they would have won. But that's new news. Like, okay, so you had, let's call it the flu or something going in. That would explain why people were isolating the clips of where he was just kind of walking around on some plays.
Dragging ass on a few.
Look, if you feel miserable, you feel miserable. They can shoot you up with stuff and IVs and all that all they want. But if you're miserable, he said serious.
30-0.
I don't know what.
Yeah, sounds like he probably had a really, really, really bad case of like the flu or
like
any
pneumonia
other,
or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it could have been any number of things that kind of fall in that category, but they all, even if it's severe food poisoning, they all kind of land with the same symptoms. You're hurt, you're nauseous, you have the body aches, you can't move as fast, you can't think as fast, all the things that normally exist inside of there. I think it's kind of stupid sometimes that we pretend like, just in athletics in particular is where we're bad about this, that context doesn't matter. If you were mad at Travis Kelce for some plays on tape that appeared, his effort was lacking more than you were accustomed to seeing, and for the rest of your career, you have never once questioned that for Travis Kelce, shouldn't you then, Gold, give him a pass on this one? Like, doesn't it make sense why he would appear on tape to be someone who did not have the same effort or energy or focus as you would expect him to have as a guy who has played tremendously, I would mind, in the postseason almost universally across the board? I don't care about his Super Bowl performance anymore. He could have played the game of his life and not been sick at all. They were still getting their ass kicked.
They were never winning that game. They just were never winning.
And now I got an explanation for why he didn't look like Travis Kelce.
I'll be curious if he ever gets asked. I mean, he'll get asked about it now. Maybe they'll address it on his New Heights podcast. If not, we might have to wait till May. I think somebody will ask in the media. I don't know if we'll get a chance to talk to him. Frankly, he does more national media stuff now. But
yeah,
I would. He may not even want to answer it because there's probably part of him that didn't even want that to get out there because he didn't acknowledge it at all. But I'd be curious to know, was it just food poisoning? Like, there was a video, he was in New Orleans, him and Taylor and Patrick Mahomes, they all went out to dinner one night on a Friday or Saturday night in New Orleans. They had, paparazzi all around them. Was that the meal, man? Was that the meal that did you in? Some bad oysters.
You still have to eat.
Bad oysters, man.
It's always the dumb thing. It'd be like, well, if you'd only just chosen that place that didn't give you food poison, you'd be good to go. I mean, sure, yeah.
It's always the seafood, man. It's always the seafood. Cioppino.
Not always seafood.
You're Cioppino.
The Cioppino did not make people sick.
Just saying.
People were sick before. I warned Nick and his lovely now fiance at the time that there was a bug that had hit the Tap household that appeared to be very short-lived and not
canceled the whole event. Should have canceled the whole event.
That's obvious now in retrospect. I would have. And then it would have only been the four of us that would have felt like ass instead of also Nick and his soon-to-be wife.
People outside of Kansas City are going to say this is an excuse, but I think if you're honest and listen to the answer from Brett
didn't
Veach,
even make it.
Brett Veach at the very end says, "I'm not trying to say that we would have changed anything against the Eagles, but I think he's just trying to acknowledge if people are going to beat up one of the pillars of their franchise, he wants to make sure people know, hey, by the way, he wasn't himself. Here's why." That's all I think that was. So you want to call it like covering for your guy? Yeah, I mean that's exactly what it is, but it doesn't mean it's not true.
I think there's a big difference.
Right?
And I think people toss around excuse too much. Again, I think this is sports related versus reason. Everything is not an excuse. Sometimes there are reasons. And in this case, I think the reason why Travis Kelce, who I have a mass amount of evidence, is a playoff performer, is an incredibly hard player, tries hard all the time, elite level talent, has done it for all these years. There's a reason why he didn't look like Travis Kelce. Not an excuse. The reason he didn't look like Travis Kelce is he wasn't well. I don't think there's anything wrong with sometimes saying it's a reason. Everything is not an excuse for why you played poorly.
So it says, if I'm a head coach, I'm not letting any of my players eat any food from any out-of-town area before the Super Bowl. Just not smart. I mean, we're going to bring in...
Oh, you think the catering staff can't not wash his hands before he came back from the bathroom? Yeah, only restaurants.
Now, those
are the only ones where you can be contaminated.
There was a story. Someone texted in, and I Googled it. I guess it's true. Somebody ran 7 marathons recently in 7 days on 7 different continents. The only thing he ate was chicken nuggets and Gatorade to ensure he wouldn't get food poisoning. He's like, I know I can't get food poisoning from the Gatorade and those frozen chicken nuggets.
I'm pretty sure you can get food poisoning from chicken nuggets.
I think the chances of the frozen chicken nuggets are pretty low versus let's just keep using the seafood analogy. Fresh seafood.
Also,
but like it's not like they've never had a listeria callback because like some, you know how many foods that like have like peanut butter? It's got salmonella. Don't eat your peanut butter. Like it happens all the time. It's food. There's a risk.
Did this person actually do this, or is this just one of those weird texts? Because 7 marathons in 7 days on 7 different countries is insane. That's insane.
I don't know.
There's
so you're not only traveling,
literally
you're doing
it's if you Google it, there's literally worldmarathonchallenge.com. The challenge is 7 marathons, 7 continents, 7 days. It's a thing. Like it's an actual.
That's insane.
It's an actual thing that none of us will ever be able to relate to.
From somebody who's ran multiple mini marathons or half marathons.
You've run some halves?
Oh, yeah.
Good for you.
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy.
Marathons?
Yeah, January 31st next year, because that means that the one's just wrapped up. But next year, it'll be obviously the continents, but like just it lists the specific cities and everything. But Ultima Base Camp in Antarctica, followed by marathons in Cape Town, Africa, Perth, Australia, Dubai, Asia, Madrid, Europe, Fortaleza, South America, and Miami, North America.
It's also not very healthy, as you can imagine.
What do you mean?
For you to do that for you to do that 7 days in a row.
But these guys are they're obviously at a whole different level of like.
I know, but you're like, it doesn't, that to put that much wear on your body, I think is, I mean, you would say, I don't know if
but your body, I mean, same thing with the Tour de France or whatever. Like nobody's like,
sure,
that's straining your body, but like they're trained. That's their training. That's how they're competing.
Yeah, but it's biking. I know that there's mountain days, but they even take days off in between on occasion.
Yeah.
That'd be like sporting playing 7 straight days a week, 90 minutes, and the starting lineup is the exact same. You're playing all 90 minutes. It's crazy.
Yeah, I don't necessarily. It's not. I don't know that it's a good idea, but also like I don't know.
Some dude did this in 2003. He had a heart attack. After he had a heart attack, he did this. He had a double bypass, and now he went out and did the 777. That is insane. How impressive is that? You had a heart attack, and then you went the next year and said, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to test this heart out. We're doing 7 marathons in 7 days.
I can only say a few things with utmost confidence in my life. And one of them is that I, Cody Tapp, will never run a marathon in my entire life. I'm not going to accidentally be like, you know what? I'm a runner now.
Would you walk one?
No, I'm not doing a marathon.
Okay.
I don't think I will ever do a marathon either. I think at some point I would
0.000% chance.
One year I would like to, because I haven't done it since I was a kid. I would like to just do, like a 5K again or something like that.
Do a 5K
that's
again.
way different than a marathon.
Would you guys do a mini? A half?
No, I don't think so. No. I told you, I'm trying to start doing some cardio stuff. I've been going to the gym recently. I'd like to get to the point where, where I can go and do a 5K and be respectable. But marathon, come on now, that's never happening.
If you guys do a
it's
mini,
also just not a goal of mine.
Like
I wouldn't like. There's not.
Why?
Why
is it better in Indy?
Because it's part of the month of May. It basically kicks off the month of May for the Indy 500. It's a big deal. You run 2 laps. You run a lap around the track. You can kiss the bricks if you want to. You can do everything like that. You run from the circle all the way out to essentially the speedway and then back.
So can you imagine the flight after the marathon in your way? Imagine this: you're 6 continents down, 6 marathons. You got 1 left, and you're trying to fly to Miami for the final leg, and then there's a dead corpse next to you on the flight. Could you imagine? All of a sudden, it throws off your entire marathon. It'd be awful.
Yeah, I'm not. No.
Things are going great, and then on that flight, it all falls apart.
Somebody said the Superbone wouldn't allow you to run a marathon, and honest to God,
true.
that is not. It's not even a joke. That is an accurate depiction of my medical condition. I would not get through 13 miles before my feet fell apart. I've decided. I think I'm like, so I keep trying to do like, like for the most part, I do like stationary bike and stuff. Okay. Like rather than like run on a treadmill, because again, the impact stuff is not good on my foot.
Yeah. Makes sense.
I think I'm just going to swim laps. Seems like I've got a gym membership that we utilize. The kids go to the pool there and stuff, and they take swim lessons there and all that stuff. They just got lap lanes. I'll swim laps. That feels like low impact, right? I feel like I'm going to switch into a lap swimming guy. Although, how many laps can I do before I'm like utterly exhausted? Like I'm a pretty decent swimmer, but like how many
down back?
Yeah, 2. Like, I mean, there's no way, at least when you first start, dude, they're going to wipe you out. You're going to get down to the end, and I'm going to be, like, gasping for breath. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, it's good. It feels good. Even just doing I'm doing, like, the bare minimum treadmill, like, 30 minutes every other day kind of thing, and it feels good. Yeah. I'm going tonight again, yeah.
You doing the elliptical at all yet? Or is
just
it
treadmill right now.
Treadmill?
Just treadmill right now.
Nice.
And then hopefully in the next couple of weeks, I'll start trying to do a little strength stuff, but I just wanted to get in a little bit better cardio shape, and I can tell there's a difference. Like, it's easier than it was a week ago, 2 weeks ago. It's working.
Yeah, good. You'll be in an hour in no time,
Or I'll just go fast. I don't know if I want to do an hour because like that just is boring to me. I think I would just speed. I would just go fast. I would just
run faster.
Yeah, run. I would just versus an hour on a treadmill. I think that's just boring for me.
Treadmill.
I would have to 30 minutes, 40 minutes max, and I would just go faster because sitting there or running for an hour or walking for an hour, that's boring.
Would you be more likely to not go to the gym but go to like when it's warmer outside to go to like a park and run on trails?
No, I think I always prefer the gym. I'm not big on.
I like being outside. I ride my bike outside in the summer more.
Yeah.
Again, no impact, and I can.
There's a park up in Parkville that I discovered out of nowhere, and it's a good spot.
When I was living in Waldo, I used to ride my bike here.
Yeah.
Really?
To work. Yeah.
Oh wow. Sorry, someone said maybe the dead body was the person trying to do the marathon thing and then had a heart attack.
Lesson learned. That's what we're all trying to figure out.
So this is I got this text from somebody that would know. So we were talking about Travis Kelce, and obviously Brett Veach saying he was sick during the game, and we were joking about the food and like what did he eat or whatever. The night before the game, I guess, a very very popular chef offered to make a meal.
Okay.
And I was turned down because that chef was an Eagles fan.
And they weren't going to risk it?
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to poison an entire NFL team. It's too obvious.
But the offer was made. Yeah.
Okay.
Also, I guess some other players had some bubble guts going into the game.
Oh. What's funny is like it got mentioned with the Eagles before the game. Remember there was like an illness going through their locker room?
Yeah.
But nobody mentioned it on the Chiefs end. That was not reported before the Chiefs game. It was reported from the Eagles side, as you recall, because like Jalen Carter had missed a practice earlier in the week or the week before.
That was just the flu, wasn't it? The regular flu?
Yeah, but it could have been for the Chiefs too. I don't know.
Sure.
I mean, I don't know what and someone says that's an excuse, not a reason. What qualifies as reason versus excuse? Like, let's say, so Vinny.
Because they lost probably is why people say it's an excuse?
I don't know. I think it just gets used too much in sports. We use excuse too strongly in there, but if Alex missed work or had a bad radio show because he had, food poisoning the entire time, we wouldn't call it a reason. Yeah. We wouldn't call it an excuse that he missed work. We would call it the reason why he missed. He's not giving me excuses. Oh, can't come into work today, huh, Alex? Mr. Excuse Maker, because his tummy hurts.
You would
call
that
the reason why he's unavailable.
That would be called an excused absence, though, in a way. So it is an excuse, which is where things obviously it's a gray line.
All right, let's get to the trash of the day.
Random question of the day.
Or random question of the day.
I mean, it might be trash too. I don't know.
So this one I sent to Cody. I sent this one to Cody, and we were like, should we do it for trash of the day? And he's like, let's do it for random. So this was something I came across. I'm not on TikTok.
But how did you come across it?
So, Twitter. That's people post the TikTok trend. So there's a new trend. I don't know if you've seen the videos. There's a new trend where people are trying to challenge themselves by dropping different weights of heavy objects on their feet and their reactions. How dumb is this?
Okay.
Yeah, go for you. You can have the question.
So I guess the question for you, Gold, for you, Drew, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, we live stream the show. Do you think, this is the question I had thought about, do you think this is any more or less dumb than the things we were doing as kids that just weren't on the internet?
Yes.
Because a show named Jackass came out.
I understand.
When we were kids. And I've been pushed in a shopping cart.
Yeah.
I told you I've been tied to the sled in the back of a car.
That stuff sounds fun. Does it sound fun just to stand there and let me drop a book? No, now let me drop a brick on my foot. That's not even fun, though. You know what I mean? Like the shopping cart thing, I could see the enjoyment there.
You're saying if you're...
I wasn't eating Tide Pods as a kid. I don't know about you. That was another dumb challenge people did.
I was too old for the Tide Pod.
Yes, we all did dumb stuff growing up, but I think there were some of the things you did, what you just described, where I'm like, I can see why that's fun and enjoyable.
I did some things that certainly were at risk of hurting myself.
The challenge is record yourself dropping different heavy objects on your foot to see how you react. I mean, is it any dumber? This is the dumbest one I've heard.
I guess they slowly drop heavier and heavier things.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
To see how much they can handle the challenge. How heavy of a thing do you think you could drop on your foot before?
Well, your foot's gonna break. You're gonna break a bone in your foot.
Let's say I gave you $100 for every heavier thing, and I put a big line in there. How heavy before you're out?
It depends. I'd have to have it.
We'll start with a paperback book. You're obviously taking the $100 there.
Of course, that's not heavy. Yeah.
You know, but look, I'm not going to make you drop a 20-pound dumbbell on your foot. That will break it.
Dropping just a big pint,
let's say this rocks glass.
Yeah, that's not gonna.
Would you drop that $100?
Might break over your
You
foot.
dropping that on your foot?
Yeah, you have shoes on.
How about the whiskey bottle?
No.
You dropping that on your foot for $100?
I'll
be honest, I'd probably drop that on my foot for $100.
No, that's gonna break your. That's gonna break.
Shoes on?
Shoes on.
Oh, yeah.
The whiskey bottle,
I dropped
it can still break. I'm trying to think what would possibly break my toe or foot.
I might be out after the whiskey bottle.
I've dropped a bottle like that. I've dropped a wine bottle on my foot in a restaurant.
So yes, I've dropped we've dropped a beer bottle on your foot before.
Yeah, sure.
It doesn't, but a full whiskey bottle that might be pushing. It might break your. If it hits the right spot, it's breaking a toe.
If it hits the right spot, it might, but it might not. I'd probably take the $100.
So where do you draw the line?
It had to be money.
What about
I'd probably do a dictionary.
Yeah.
I'd probably go up to at least a dictionary.
I'd rather have this is weird. I don't know the weight thing, but just maybe it's the perception. I would rather have a dictionary drop on my foot than a glass bottle. That's just me. I don't know why.
It's got to be the glass. It's got to be the
chance
glass
of the glass breaking.
Yeah.
Because the weight distribution, I guess, would be a little bit better.
That's what I'm thinking. It's just going to be a flat versus one direct hit on the
you
on
think
the big
less
toe.
likely a corner gets you or some weird part of the bottle? Maybe.
Yeah.
What about like a 10-pound dumbbell?
Absolutely not.
No, I'm out. Nope.
Cody, I just hold it.
That will
right
break
now, I just hold it. I hold it above your foot right now. Think about it. I hold it and I just drop it
height,
right on your foot.
That would break something.
I think that's probably about my breaking.
Are you volunteering to?
I think I probably would do the. If someone's going to pay me $100 for each thing I drop on my foot, sure. For free, no. That's the thing.
That's what they're doing it for free, just for social media clout on TikTok.
If they get enough views, maybe they're in the creator fund.
This was the dumbest challenge.
I think I liked it a lot more when, to your point, Cody, we didn't do things like this. Like we just did stuff because we were having fun. We didn't do it because we wanted to be.
They also think it's just fun.
I'm
on social media. It's the collective shared thing. We're all doing this stupid thing, but we're doing it fun. I did a lot of stupid things for fun when I was a kid. I used to jump off the roof of my neighbor or like a neighbor kid's house, and then we'd figure out if we were better at tucking and rolling.
I think you could argue, are you actually having fun doing this, or are you doing it because other people are doing it and it's a challenge?
But again,
I know that there was peer pressure, yes, when we did things as well, but I feel like they're along the lines of you're in the moment, you're enjoying the moment for being in the moment, not if you make sure, because listen, if you break the bottle, but the camera angle wasn't correct, are you going to drop another bottle just so you can make sure the camera angle is correct? That's where we're at in society today.
If it's that, it's different. But like, I do think that there's a part of you that like you're doing this thing because you're with somebody, you think it's fun, you're part of a collective. For the same reason, again, I told you I was like jumping off roofs, or Alex, someone correctly put it out, jump through a table. Now, he was doing that for content. Right? He was doing that.
They're playing the Bills that week. We decided to jump through a table on the show, and our boss was very worried I had to wear a football helmet, okay? Like, it wasn't like I even wore a football helmet and pads.
But, like, I think it's...
Because they were worried about it. The company was.
I don't think it's as different as we're making it out to be. It seems dumber because you're just dropping things on your foot. But I'm just telling you, man,
I don't know.
I did a lot of stupid things.
I might be the social media content aspect of it.
For the harm part,
of you filming it.
Well, maybe it's better because at least they're getting some like interaction out of it. You know, we're doing this stuff. Who was there to see it? I was going to tell Drew later that
interaction on social media is not real interaction as far as I'm concerned. That's false. That's not the real world. Those are not really your friends.
Giving you the serotonin boost, right? So we're getting some gratification.
So what is the dumbest thing that you've done then? Because I think that this is
jumping off the roof's probably up there, or
getting arrested for the
holding. Okay, the likely ways in which that's really low on the because the other things could have killed me. So one time we were driving through windy roads in a lake thing, taking turns holding onto the roof of the car while they twist and turn into that. That's probably on the list.
See this one? Someone says
jumping off the roof's probably somewhere on the list. I mean, I don't know. We did all kinds of bad stuff.
They didn't do this on purpose, I assume. But going back to the dropping stuff on your feet, someone said they dropped this is awful, dropped a butcher table on their foot, had their toe cut off.
Oh! Well, that guy wins the challenge, I guess, if he's got video.
Yeah, 300-pound butcher table on their foot, and they cut their toe off. That's painful.
Also,
that's painful to think about.
If you're doing something,
would you just pass out from the? Did you?
Sir, did you just mention the pass out game? We did that.
Did you? Well, no. I mean, from the person whose toe got cut off. Did you pass out right away, like the pain, and then you saw the toe? Did you pass out or no? I would hope I passed out.
God, great question. I don't know,
Cody.
I would think that's possible.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you this: you can do this. Guaranteed to get you 1 million views, and you make some serious money on it, but you lose your toe.
What is he dropping?
The butcher table. Are you cutting your toe off for 1 million views and some money? Because
$1 million?
You cut the toe off for $1 million?
No, 1 million
I'd
views.
like to take garden shears.
1 million views on the video, and that transitions into a lot of money afterwards.
So wait.
$1 million, you can take garden shears to my toe right now.
What?
You can cut it off in the middle of the show. I'll put it on camera. $1 million, just a toe.
No pain meds?
Just a toe.
No pain meds. Now, they'll give you care so you don't bleed out or anything, but
they're going to cauterize it or whatever? Okay, yeah, $1 million. You can have
but the pain's there. No pain meds.
Fine.
To me, that is as bad as that might be as bad as the Tide Pod challenge, because you're doing it for you're not.
I'm doing it for $1 million. That's not for nothing. That's a lot of money. I don't know that any tax.
I agree with you. This text describes the difference. Someone says everything we did maybe as a kid. You'd say, "Oh, let's do it again." None of these new stupid things you can say that. You're not like, "Oh, I'm going to keep
describe it."
What you said about it would probably be really fun. Yeah, be on the roof of a car or whatever while they're turning.
It's pretty fun.
You would do it again maybe when you were back. Not now, but back then you would do it again. Ugh. I don't think you're saying, I'm going to keep dropping this butcher's table on my foot over and over and over and over and over.
No, that one's just for direct financial. Yeah, but I don't think they're dropping it.
Or even the dumbbell. I'm not going to drop a 10-pound dumbbell 20 times.
Someone says it's going to be $200 to drop that 10-pound dumbbell on my foot.
Do it.
$200?
Right in the show, right now.
Pretty good.
Let's go.
I have a 10-pound dumbbell.
We can find something. Somebody in another room might.
I have a 10-pound dumbbell I can actually bring tomorrow.
Will you bring it so I can get an idea of the weight?
Oh, jeez.
I'm going to take a photo of this guy's number just in case he's still offering this $200 tomorrow.
Someone says $50K. I'm on my way to the station for you to drop my toe off live on the air right now.
$500. I said I need $1 million.
They said, what about your hand? What about the hand?
My whole hand? No.
Okay.
That's going to need to be enough money that I definitely don't have to work for the rest of my life. So I'm going to need
15 mil?
Yeah, 15, 20, something I don't have to work for the rest of my life.
I'm serious. You're going to say I'm lying and I'm not. There's no dollar amount to lose my hand. Absolutely not. That's way too important. A toe, you can obviously. A hand, dude, that's totally impacting your life in a major way. A toe, yeah, you're going to be fine. A hand, that is drastically changing how you live, man.
Yeah, it is.
No.
But for $20 million, $20 million is also drastically changing the way I live.
Yeah, but it's not better. Nope.
I may need this to be tax-free, to be clear. It can't be like Uncle Sam's coming to dip into my pocket after the $20 million to cut my hand off.
Yeah.
Okay, now people are offering 55-pound plates. Sorry, that's
just going to
definitely break it.
That's going to shatter my foot into a million
Yeah, it's
pieces.
not just going to break it, right?
Yeah, you're going to have surgery, and you're never going to walk the same again.
Real mixed bag over there, by the way. Some people in the text line saying, sure, I do it for $1 million too, but other people are like, no, not $1 million.
Yeah.
Someone says you could live without your
Well, you can live. I'm just saying, how enjoyable is life going to be? You're going to, you just can't, you're not going to go about your normal routine. That's awful.
Someone says, buy a new hand. I get a sweet-ass robot hand for that.
Jeez, that's awful.
Use that $1 million to buy yourself a new hand?
That's terrible.
Part Terminator. Sweet.
Terrible. That's the random question of the day. Up next,
a couple ways.
Yeah, Up next, we'll get to what's trending and then talk a little bit more about what the importance of this season is going to mean for one particular Royals player. That's next.
This is Cody and Gold on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5, The Fan, Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
College basketball is reaching its most exciting stretch of the season. Right now, new customers on FanDuel get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $150 extra bucks to bet on everything from conference clashes to tournament upsets and even who's cutting down the nets. Right now on FanDuel, I was pulling up the odds to reach the Final Four. Of course, Auburn and Duke right at the top of the list. Auburn minus 155. The Missouri Tigers sitting there at 7-1 to make the Final Four. If you've been wanting to join FanDuel, there has been no better time than right now to sign up. The app is easy to use, and when you win, you're going to get paid instantly. So visit FanDuel.com/Alex and get in on the college hoops action before March takes over. FanDuel is an official sports betting partner of 96.5 The Fan. 21 and present in Kansas. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
Jefferson's has a brand new happy hour designed to save you money. Enjoy half off appetizers and half off your bar tab. 7 days a week at Jefferson's Lenexa and Jefferson's North Kansas City. Yeah, you heard that right. Half off your bar tab during happy hour at both locations. And it gets even better. Mondays are all day happy hour. Plus, they've got reverse happy hour every night. Whether you're catching the game or just kicking back with family and friends, Jefferson's in Lenexa and North Kansas City is the place to be. Proudly local and always delicious. Jefferson's. Wings, burgers, oysters.
Folks, it's time to rev up your engines and get ready for a wild ride for Ford Truck Month. And who better to bring you all the excitement than my favorite Ford dealer in Kansas City, Rob Seid of Rob Seid Ford in South Kansas City. Hey, Rob, what's going on?
Hey, Kevin. There are a lot of F-150s out there, but you're not going to find a better deal than Rob Seid Ford's $15,500 off brand new F-150s. That's right, $15,500 off. These savings only happen during Truck Month at Rob Seid Ford, so now is not the time to wait.
Rob Seid Ford is on fire.
Best price and best inventory at Rob Seid Ford. So many F-150s in stock. Don't wait because they won't last long. Biggest savings, best trade-in offers, all part of the Kevin Harlan VIP experience at Rob Seid Ford.
And I appreciate that. Like I've said before, Bobby, nothing compares to the quality and the professionalism at Rob Seid Ford.
Rob Seid Ford, 135th and State Line, ROBSIGHT.com.
Hey, it's Rex here with RexBuysKC.com, your local KC home buyer. If you own a property in the Kansas City or surrounding area and want to sell it fast and at a fair price, write this number down. 816-330-6000. I'm a private real estate investor, not some hedge fund or large national chain. My family and I live right here in KC. I can pay cash and close on your timeline, even in as little as 3 days. Here at RexBuysKC.com, we're improving Kansas City one house at a time. I buy inherited houses, vacant houses, foreclosure houses, behind in payment houses, my tenant won't pay the rent houses, and properties that need complete rehabs. Do you own a house that's trashed and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at this number, 816-330-6000. That's 816-330-6000, or go to RexBuysKC.com. That's RexBuysKC.com, and I look forward to working with you.
Hey, KC, when I discovered my new passion, I dove into social media, got on some shows, and soon almost Andy Reid was born. But this winter, there's something new you might discover that's not as great. Issues with your garage door. Don't get stuck in the cold. Get your annual maintenance check for just $100 or a free replacement quote from my friends at Renner Garage Door. They carry top brands like Delden, Amar, and LiftMaster, trusted locally since 1956.
RENNER, RENNER. Shopping with your parents can be embarrassing.
Why would they sell jeans with holes in them? I'm going to speak to the manager.
Mom!
That hoodie is giving. You should get it. YOLO.
Thanks to the Chase mobile app, your kid can shop independently while you keep an eye on their spending. So you can go from
we can be twinsies
to
how was shopping? Saw you stayed on budget.
Thanks, Mom.
Freedom for kids, control for parents. That's family banking from Chase.
Account subject to approval. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. member FDIC.
My son loves to fly kites, but my active psoriatic arthritis can sometimes hold me back. Now with Skyrizi to treat my skin and joints, I'm ready to go. Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults, helps with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. For those who also have plaque psoriasis, 90% clearer skin is possible with just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, there's nothing like clearer skin and better movement, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi today and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
It's Power Torque Tools DIY days at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Lifetime guaranteed Power Torque professional hand tools only at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. At Uline, they know firsthand the road to success is an uphill climb. Uline started in the family basement, and through hard work is now North America's most trusted shipping and industrial supplier. They get what it means to have the support of reliable, hard-working partners. So they keep 41,000 items ready to ship. Whether your company is still in a basement office or expanding cross-country, Uline will be there on your road to success. Visit uline.com.
It's Power Torque Tools DIY days at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Lifetime guaranteed Power Torque professional hand tools only at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios. What's trending?
What's trending here on Cody and Gold is presented by Baker University, where graduates earn higher salaries, land jobs faster than any other university in Kansas. Apply today at bakeru.edu. Number one on what's trending, we mentioned the NFLPA grades are out today. It's the third year they've done this survey. It's completely anonymous from NFL players. 77% of players responded. Last year, Clark Hunt had an F- grade. This year, it's up to a C or C-, I think it is.
Turned in some late work.
Treatment of families went from a D all the way up to an A now, and that's because they added a daycare during the day of game days and things like that. It shows that there's some improvement happening. The theme, though, with all these, if you have a new stadium, therefore new locker rooms, new practice facilities, typically your grades are going to be much, much better. I looked the coach rankings. 3 teams had the lowest ranking for their coach, and they were all C grades. Okay. 2 of the 3 ended up firing their coaches. Jacksonville, Cleveland, and oh gosh, I just drew a blank. 3 teams.
Jets?
No, the Jets had it. Their coach ended up getting a B rating. But 2 of the coaches got Chicago, thank you.
Oh, Chicago.
Chicago, Cleveland, and Jacksonville. And only the Cleveland Browns kept their coach.
Next up on What's Trending, MU got a win last night. 30 points over South Carolina. Kansas State versus UCF tonight at 5 o'clock. Pregame starts right here on 96.5 The Game, or Fan. The game starts at 6 for Kansas. Kansas State needs, I mean, again, their only run is to go to the Big 12 tournament, but boy, they could use a feel-good win here so that maybe they can go into here in a couple of weeks the Big 12 tournament with some confidence.
Yeah, conference expansion. The tournament now starts on Tuesday and goes all the way through Saturday. It's like all of these other expanded conferences as well. Next on What's Trending, Sporting Kansas City unfortunately eliminated from the CONCACAF Champions Cup. They lost 3-1 last night to Inter Miami. That means in aggregate they fell 4-1. So they are eliminated from that. Now it's just regular MLS play Saturday when they host San Jose.
Next up on What's Trending, the Tennessee Titans say they'll let veteran linebacker Harold Landry seek a trade this offseason. The veteran linebacker has 2 years remaining on his deal with about $50 million left on it. But he's been averaging 10 to 11 sacks a year each of the last 3 years. Kind of feels like you'd have a suitor for that. It's always just less than you think. That's always like the acquiring team do that. But Borgazzi knows, the former Chiefs front office guy, that they're going to have to manipulate some of this in order to kind of get themselves back on track. Draft picks are more valuable than keeping aging veterans on expensive contracts. He's only 28 years old. I imagine there'll be somebody out there interested in Harold Landry.
That's what's trending here on Cody and Gold. I want to get to something before we get back to baseball. I mentioned a player that has a huge year ahead of him. So Jordan Schultz is reporting that Raiders minority owner Tom Brady recently hosted Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford at his home in Montana, where they spent time together, went skiing. Brady has been actively trying to convince Stafford to join the Raiders. Several teams are interested in Stafford if the Rams decide to move him, with Las Vegas believed to be the most aggressive suitor.
Yeah.
Now, Stafford is still under contract with the Rams, but we all know, and they've given his agent permission. Maybe that's a difference. Otherwise, how is that not tampering? Tom Brady is a minority owner of a team. How is he able to just meet with free agents? He gave him permission to seek a trade.
The free agency period isn't open. Could Trey Smith go to Tom Brady's house and just have dinner? Even if they gave him permission, like, for any free agent? And I get it. Like, technically, Stafford's not a free agent.
He's permission to seek a trade.
I know he's not a free agent. I still feel like there is no way this is common operating procedure. So, for instance, Harold Landry, a player we just mentioned who can seek a trade, is he allowed to just go have dinner with the owners of other, or the GMs or other players? Like, if Patrick Mahomes wants Harold Landry here, can he just buy Harold Landry dinner? Can they go get surf and turf tonight at Capitol Grill? And he just be like, come on, man, come play with me. I don't feel like that's how it works, man.
I could be way off.
Even if they're a player who's allowed to be traded, I guess it is. Otherwise, they wouldn't make this public information. But
yeah, I mean, maybe we're
tampering.
both way off, but you and I have the same reaction to that. And I understand, yes, he was given permission. His agent was given permission to seek a trade. And I guess by seeking a trade, that means the quarterback can go and meet with.
Can the quarterback or can your agent?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know. The agent can. I didn't know that the quarterback can go and hang out with owners of other teams to discuss a potential. And by the way, it's not saying, oh, they were just hanging out as friends. No, it's admitting they were hanging out to discuss Stafford moving to the Las Vegas Raiders.
Maybe it's allowed in a gray area. And you
I'm
and
sure
I just
there always
assumed that
is.
this was agents because you'd rather do these things behind closed doors. I am surprised to find out that the owner of an NFL franchise is allowed to just have dinner and hang out with a opposing team's quarterback who is actively under contract. I understand that the Rams want to trade him, right? Like, I get it. But I'm still surprised that you're allowed to do that, aren't you? Like, doesn't this seem like this would be against the rules in some way?
I just thought the player part was different, that's all.
Someone else, I mean, how else do you, they give permission to talk? How else do you do it? I was like, with agents. Like, and yeah, you're right. But also, like, this is, I guess, the problem with, like, gray area and stuff. It's like, so Andy Reid can't send a text to Jeremy Maclin,
right.
who is a free agent, but Tom Brady can go skiing in Montana with Matthew Stafford while he's under contract? I don't know, man. Whew. Like, it seems sketchy at best.
Someone just said it's Tom Brady, so he doesn't play by the same rules anyway.
He already doesn't. They were already altering rules to let him sit into some meetings he wasn't originally supposed to sit in. And they can tell me all the nonsense they want that is like, oh, he's not using that. Of course he is. If Tom Brady talked to somebody about how their organization ran, he is using that information to tell his team how to run their organization better. Like, it's foolish to think that that's not the place. So he's already
let's talk
coloring outside the lines. It's nonsense.
We're way ahead of ourselves here because we don't know if Stafford's getting traded and could it be to the Rams. But if Stafford got traded to the Raiders, instantly it's the best quarterback the Raiders have had since
Hostetler?
Like, honestly, though, like
Rich
Gannon. Honestly, that's probably the answer, Cody. Rich Gannon. Derek Carr was an MVP candidate one year, but Matthew
Rich
Stafford
Gannon
has
won an MVP,
or won an MVP. Sorry, yeah, and Rich Gannon won one. Yeah, and Derek Carr was a candidate. So maybe that's it. Maybe that year of Derek Carr. Otherwise, Stafford though had a ring. Stafford has won a Super Bowl ring and is still playing at a high level. That'd be a hell of a get for Pete Carroll, though. I'll tell you that.
Would the Raiders the best quarterback division in all of football by a mile?
Yeah. Knicks, Herbert, Mahomes, and Stafford with Pete Carroll and Sean Payton and Harbaugh and Andy Reid. That's a hell of a division. Now, do I think that suddenly
Hall of Fame head coaches and four maybe Hall of Fame? Not.
Do I think suddenly the Raiders are going to win the division? Of course not. But it means the chances of being the top seed I think are I don't say impossible, but it becomes very difficult if you're Kansas City, I think, at that point, to be a top seed, because the days of sweeping the division, and look, they would have swept the division if they tried to win the last week. The Chiefs went 5-1 this year in the AFC West, but they gave up in the last week of the season. Otherwise, they probably would have swept it.
I don't want to make this seem like it's sour. Like, people in Kansas City, they're always going to be like, it's sour grapes because you want Mahomes to catch him. This has nothing to do with what he did on the field. But because what he did, they are allowing him to do things no other organization is allowed to do. Clark Hunt, for instance, is not allowed to be critical of the referees. Tom Brady calls games in which he's like, they missed that call. Clark's not even allowed to do that. Does that matter for competitive balance purposes? No, probably not. But the whole point is, like, even and there's no leverage point on a different thing. Like, Tom Brady shouldn't be allowed to sit in any of the meetings that other owners, or let Clark Hunt start going to the NBC TV meetings, you know? Like, it shouldn't be that one person has the advantage. Not to mention, he's an owner who they're allowing to essentially be de facto GM in some ways, which some are, right? Jerry Jones is, which it makes it even sketchier to allow him to just, like, go on these vacations. You and I might be wrong, and it sounds like most people seem to not think it's a big deal at all that Tom Brady and Matt Stafford are doing, because they gave him permission to seek a trade. But I don't know, man. That just
even if they're not discussing anything like football wise, like the fact that if you go on a skiing trip with Tom, like you're hanging out with another quarterback, I know, okay, I could do this maybe more often if I'm with the Raiders. I can hang out with Tom. You know, I like Tom. You know, we're good. You know, he's a good dude. Even if it's not, hey, come to the Raiders. The concept of being able to hang out with him in a way that is friendly and in a way that is relatable, I think, for him too. It stands out a little bit where, hey, he just off of the cuff after that vacation or that time spent, he might be more willing to raise the Raiders up on his list a little bit more if teams to be willing to be traded to, because, hey, I can go to a spot where this guy knows what he's talking about in terms of quarterback play because, you know, he's been there and done it. I'm cool with him. We can go on another skiing trip together, whatever the case is. It's a friendly gesture that can maybe develop into, I might want to do that again, so I'm gonna sign with the Raiders more than, hey, come to the Raiders because Tom told me that it's going to be a great organization in the next 5 years.
Look, that's the job of the agents and the job of these teams, because the Raiders obviously want a really good quarterback. Reportedly, the Giants have been trying really hard to convince Stafford to, and all the other stuff, right? I guess I just don't think, like, and I guess technically because, like, owners can be GMs, it's all in the same boat. Like, what's the difference between the agent? It doesn't feel like a player, even if they're allowed to pursue a trade, should be allowed. Like, in a lot of ways, I feel like they're letting Stafford get away with something here. Like, too, where it's like, I don't feel like a player is supposed to just be like, I don't know.
It's a weird gray area.
I'm guessing what it is the Rams.
It is a weird gray area. It's probably technically fine, but it just
Rams
feels
gave him permission, so that's
weird.
it. That's basically the Rams gave his agent permission, so that probably allows you to do whatever you want. Anyway.
I mean, if Tom wasn't a partial owner of the Raiders, this wouldn't even be a story, obviously, because he'd just be going on a skiing trip with Tom Brady.
Yet again, like in the short term, it's big. Yet again, though, the Raiders still would not have a long-term answer at quarterback. So.
I will say I am fascinated because this is now, I think, roughly the 10th story that has come out of Las Vegas about Tom Brady's trying to convince this player to go there or this coach to go there because he wants the Raiders to be good, right? So, like, he was trying to, like, the story was like he was trying to convince Bill Belichick. He was trying to convince this quarterback, this wide receiver. So, like, this continues the thing. If he doesn't land any of these dudes, Tom Brady ain't exactly, like, solving the problem. I don't think that a player will choose to go there just because they like Tom and Tom's telling you it's functional. Like,
they probably shouldn't.
Like a bad ownership. They got a new GM. You don't know if it's functional other than he likes Spytech in Tampa Bay. He doesn't know. Isn't that his name, Spytech?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Brady and spying, I know it's very confusing. When you mention Brady and spying, you think of the cheating that they did, but you're right. Spytech is just the name of the GM. I understand the confusion. Let's talk about the Royals a little bit. MJ Melendez, this is a make or break season.
Yeah,
it's a make or break season. He's changed up his stance. He's changed up, he's changed his batting style before, but this is a full-blown change all the way around. He's still only 25 years old. Defensively, he's gotten better and better for a guy that was asked to change positions and play left field. I think he's actually been really, really good in left field if you consider where he came from. But this season changes his entire career trajectory. If we're still sitting here next October, or this October it is, and we say, hey, he's inconsistent, he had a bunch, multiple 0 for 25 stretches or whatever it was, then you cannot make plans in the future that he's your long-term answer. There's a lot of people that are probably already done now. I'm willing to say this is the year. This is it.
I think there's no reason. 3 years in the league, that's the break point. Based on his age, how many games he's got, look, if we want to go back to the old Dayton day and you got to get 1,000 at bats or any of the other stuff that and I don't think that he's alone in that organizations like to have a certain amount on paper before they just write off guys who, again, once had 40 home runs in a single minor league season and still are a 17, 18 home run guy. So it's the same thing. It's it feels like there's this untapped power and I'm afraid, and I think the Royals should be afraid of this too, that if MJ Melendez went to Cincinnati, played in one of these little homer domes, that all of a sudden you'd be waking up and maybe the batting average and the on-base percentage would still be low, but then he'd be hitting 30 home runs. He'd be like, damn, we just let a 30 home run guy walk for nothing? Because his value is no good right now. You couldn't trade MJ Melendez for some tremendous value. His value is not very high. I hope he finds some way to stick with it, because I watched his spring training at bats. He's got 5 of them. I went through the trouble of watching all 5. I know, crazy. I watched all 5. He looks uncomfortable, is probably the kindest way to put it, Gold.
Makes sense if he's only had 5 at-bats doing that. Obviously, he's worked behind the scenes, but
he doesn't look like he knows what he's doing. It looks like he's trying to guess a little bit on what the best scenario is in this case. And I think that they've got every contingency plan in the world floating through. Weimer's is the contingency plan for Isbell. Massey and India are the contingency plan for MJ Melendez. And they're putting all these because they didn't get the guy they wanted, Santander, in the outfield. They are putting all these little plans in place to cut bait earlier than they ever have. I don't think this season is the last leg for MJ Melendez. I'm telling you right now, Gold, if it's 50 games in and it still ain't right, he's not going to be playing starter innings for this team anymore.
Yeah, there's a reason why India and Massey are getting their work. I mean, it's about they need more offense. They're not getting out of left field. You need to get offense out of left field.
I hope he turns it around. I mean,
sure. He's a likable player, homegrown product, still only 25 years old. I think his defense is only going to keep getting better.
He's the best defensive guy of the 3 choices right now.
No, yeah. Well, yeah, the other 2 just haven't played, for sure.
And MJ didn't start them, but now he's had 3 years under his belt, and he's a good athlete. So.
But we'll see, man. I get the skepticism because, we haven't seen it. And this feels like his career, the way we talk about it, can change entirely based off of this 2025 year. And that's tough on the player because he knows it, but you also can't put that kind of pressure on yourself going in. Otherwise, you will fail. So it's a tough balance for him. But the fact that he was willing to make a change, knowing that, hey, the other thing, I can occasionally produce this way, but if I want to actually become, maybe a legit left fielder with the pop that's needed, the way I was hitting even in the minors that led me to 40 home runs, that's not going to work in the big leagues. It clearly hasn't.
Yeah. And I view it, and this is small, but I'm willing to wait out the at-bats why they're bad, because the simple reality of why I don't care about what a pitcher's ERA is in spring training, Gold. It is designed as a 6-week run-up. It's a long run-up in baseball to make you comfortable, right? So MJ's got tons of at-bats left, Gold, against live pitching, both in practice and in real games, where he's going to get to test this. The key is he can't switch back. Because switching back is admitting what you don't want to and you shouldn't admit yet, which is I am not a full-time starter in the big leagues. At least not for this team. Because if you just go out there and you run up those same numbers again, you play 140 games, you hit 210 with a 290 on-base percentage or a 300 on-base percentage and hit 17 home runs, they're going to start kicking those numbers way, way, way down. And your innings are going to go down, and Massey and India are going to take those place and all those other stuff. I'm not completely out. I mean, I don't think I'd put it in any better a 10 or a 20% chance that it flips around at this point, but I don't think that it's impossible. I assume you don't either.
No, it's just unlikely. That's it. That's where things stand with him and what the expectation should be heading into the future.
Someone down here on the text line saying that JJ should be ashamed. So this is the worst outfield in the American League.
Well, it might be. They tried to adjust it. Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. No, I don't think it's a good outfield at all.
It might be one of the better infields.
Yeah, the outfield is a huge question mark. That is why Massey and India are being asked to maybe see what they got in left field because they know they're not enough pop. The pop in the outfield doesn't exist. Hunter Renfroe had a stretch or two throughout the season. Kyle Isbell is a great defensive player, but that's kind of what you're getting. You got between left field and right field, you got to get way more production. And they were in on Anthony Santander. They didn't get it. It didn't happen. They didn't make it happen. Mid-season, could they make a move? Hopefully they're in a position to where that's what we're all saying they should be doing. Hopefully this team is competitive again, and it's July, and we're saying, hey, all right, go make a move. Go give up a prospect to go get a bat to help you right now to ensure that you win the division. I hope that's what we're saying a couple months from now.
It's weird. They've got like 2 players who just need to perform, and then they got 2 players who I think will perform just as long as they stay healthy. Like Massey and Vinny have done a pretty decent job performing for what they've been asked to do just as long as they stay healthy. And MJ is just you're not having a hard time staying on a baseball field, but can you put up the numbers to do it? I'd say Renfroe ends up landing in that camp this year just because he's a veteran and they're going to have to make moves faster. Isbell, I don't know how to break this to you in center field. You can go through every team in center field right now. I'm going to find you 3 center fielders who can hit. It's maybe slightly more than that. It is not a hitting position, especially at Kauffman Stadium. You need a guy who can play the damn field. You know me, I'm team, I'd rather a guy slug it over the wall and I'll trade offense for defense. A lot of times, a lot more than the Royals have been willing to do over the last 15 or 20 years. But not at center. Somebody's got to play center who can actually track down a baseball. Otherwise, you just kind of run into these problems over and over again. It is such a huge... I don't know if you view it this way, and we can get into it maybe later in the week, but it's a really big swing year for me is do you know what you're doing as an organization? You did it once, but being a really good organization is being able to repeat sustained success where you got young, good talent all throughout your roster. And can you develop one guy to be bigger or a guy who is struggling into something bigger than what we thought? MJ feels like kind of the case study of that.
It's going to do it for a Wednesday edition of Cody and Gold tomorrow. Of course, check in with Vern. We haven't had a snitch line in a while. It feels like, you know what? It's time for a little snitch line tomorrow, a Thursday edition of the show. Yeah,
got them all saved up.
We'll also get to some comments from Mayor Q on the stadium front. Get back into that today. Remember the big meeting, air quotes, big meeting in Jefferson City today around the stadium front. We'll see if anything new comes from that as well. So we'll be back at it tomorrow, 10 to 2. Up next, C-Dot and Rob on the